I only touched the third Hokage's head on my first day at the academy. On the day Solon comes to greet the new students, and somehow, I gain every single one of his abilities. I master all 5 chakra natures perfectly, plus a whole arsenal of combo jutsu and forbidden techniques. It all started the moment I got reincarnated, as an ordinary member of the Uchiha clan, and somehow, I unlock a cheat power, one pat on the head, and I steal their skills. But here's the thing, even if I dug up the bodies of 2 legendary Hokage, patted their heads, I could still absorb their powers. But right after waking up in this new life, I feel nothing but dread, because I'm now an orphan of the Uchiha clan, with no parents at all, with 0 training resources, and I'm the same age as Kai, Dax, and the rest. And here's the terrifying part. In 7 years, the brutal Third Great Ninja War breaks out, which means I have no idea where I might end up as cannon fodder. And more importantly, today is the annual enrollment day at the Ninja Academy. Solon, the 3rd Hokage, personally comes to attend the opening ceremony. But the moment he steps onto the stage, before he can say a single word, from the crowd below, a blood-curdling scream suddenly rips through the air. The commotion grabs everyone's attention instantly. The scream comes from a young Uchiha boy, who is kneeling on the ground, clutching his head, his face twisted in agony. That boy is me, just reincarnated. Along with the splitting headache, I rapidly absorb every memory of my former self. But the moment I realize I'm actually in the Hidden Leaf world I know so well, despair floods over me instantly. Sure, I know the whole story, but this world is a minefield, and without some kind of cheat power, I'd better start planning my escape route. But just as that thought crosses my mind, a mechanical voice suddenly echoes inside my head. Congratulations, player! System bonding successful! This is the head pat system. Pat someone's head and you gain their abilities. I'm stunned. This is a bizarre way to get strong, but ever since I arrived here, my mind has been racing non-stop. But to everyone watching, I'm just some Uchiha kid who suddenly screams in front of the whole crowd. Naturally, it draws a lot of shocked stares. The first person to rush over to me is Dax, a fellow member of the Uchiha clan. Ever since I became an orphan, Dax and his grandma have helped me out a lot, and the 2 of us have become close friends because of it. Ember, are you okay? Did you get so excited for school your eyes just activated, you hot-blooded idiot? Dax blurts this out without a filter, and a bunch of Uchiha kids burst out laughing. If it were that easy for Dax to activate his eyes, I'd already have 3 Tomo by now, ha ha. The laughter makes Dax's face turn bright red, and he just tightens his goggles and says nothing. Right as I finish processing everything that just happened, someone completely unexpected suddenly appears right in front of me. I turn to look, and it's the 3rd Hokage, Solon himself. Drawn by the noise, he instantly teleports right in front of me and crouches down. What's your name, and what just happened here? His tone is calm and unhurried, but underneath it, there's a quiet weight you can't refuse. Staring at the 3rd Hokage crouched in front of me, I fall into deep thought. Then, an idea flashes through my mind, and a wonderfully evil plan takes shape. I widen my eyes, staring at him with the most innocent look I can manage. Lord Hokage, nothing's wrong. It's just that Dax insulted my dream of becoming Hokage. Hearing himself framed like that, Dax instantly explodes. Get lost, Ember. When did I ever insult you? Although if we're talking about who could actually become Hokage, that would obviously be me. Solon just assumes it's some childish squabble and doesn't think much of it. So you both want to be Hokage, huh? Well then, work hard together, and I'm sure you'll both get there someday. But just as he's about to stand back up, what I say next freezes him in place. Thank you, Lord Third, but can I touch your Hokage hat just for a little inspiration? Solon clearly wasn't expecting that, never guessing a kid would ask for something so odd. Worried he might say no, I don't wait. I immediately reach out and touch his head. Ding. Head pat complete, S-rank ninja, 3rd Hokage, Solon. The following 7 rewards are available. Please select 5. Staring at this dazzling list of rewards, my breathing gets noticeably heavier. Looks like the gamble paid off. This is my first fortune toward dominating the ninja world. Meanwhile, having no idea what just happened, Solon is completely oblivious to my little scheme. Seeing my obvious excitement, he assumes he truly inspired this young boy, and he smiles warmly in return. Looks like the Uchiha clan still has some spirited young people in it. Meanwhile, standing right there, Dax watches his best friend getting this kind of treatment, and he's clearly bursting with jealousy. Lord Hokage, I'd also like to. But before he can even finish the sentence, Solon has already teleported straight up to the podium, putting an end to the chaos. And thanks to my little declaration about becoming Hokage, Solon is deeply moved, so much so he stretches his speech an extra hour. And while the kids down below get thoroughly lost in the old man's rambling, I'm stuck in the worst case of decision paralysis I've ever had. The rewards from an S-rank ninja are just too generous. I want every single one, but after agonizing over it for a while, I finally make my decision. System. I choose the 5 chakra natures and their transformations, Kage level chakra control, Kage level hand sign speed, 10 random jutsu, and 1 combo jutsu. Confirm selection, claim immediately. The instant I finish talking to the system, a wave of intense pain crashes through my head. Almost immediately I feel something new settle inside my body. Not just the muscle memory of countless hand signs and masterful chakra control, but I can now clearly sense chakra pathways I never knew existed. Before I even get the chance to test any of it, that cold mechanical voice rings out again. Now drawing 10 random jutsu for the player. My heart races with excitement. Let's see how much gold this old jutsu machine's gonna drop for me. Congratulations, player. You have obtained the following jutsu rewards. Once the draw finishes, what I see leaves me speechless. Aside from a few basic jutsu, everything else is a genuinely powerful technique, and there's even a very gentlemanly telescope jutsu thrown in. Right now, what I'm lacking most is chakra reserves and combat instincts. And of course there's the greatest advantage of being an Uchiha, the Sharingan. Once I have the Sharingan, I could practically become a jutsu scholar myself. I think to myself, claim the combo jutsu next. Ding player, please choose from the following combo jutsu. Combo jutsu, flowing earth dragon flame combo jutsu, water and lightning dragon bullet. Looking at these two powerful jutsu, I think it over carefully. Among the 10 jutsu the system drew, fire and earth defensive techniques dominate, while water and lightning defense are underrepresented, and mostly defensive in nature. So I have to pick the water and lightning dragon bullet, no question. After all, in the early stages, chakra elemental advantages matter more than almost anything else. A moment later, both the technique itself and the experience needed to use it are already fully mastered in my mind. I originally assumed I could farm the same person for rewards over and over, but to my surprise, the system's next answer makes my face drop instantly. System notice: unless the same ninja undergoes a change in ability or talent over time, repeat head pats will not yield further rewards. Guess there's no exploit to farm here after all. Once I finish claiming all my rewards, Solon's speech is finally wrapping up. But then he announces there's still an entrance exam coming up, and I freeze in disbelief. Wait, there's an actual test for enrollment? We're all just little kids. What's there even to test? Standing next to me, Dax, still recovering from the third Hokage's hours-long speech, notices my confusion. You idiot, Ember, you don't even know this? Let me teach you something. This test is for checking if losers like you actually have the talent to become a ninja. But for a genius ninja like me, haha, this is the perfect stage to shine. I can't help but be a little speechless. The Dax in front of me isn't the man who'll one day betray everyone he loves. He's just a hot-blooded idiot in goggles. But then, right as Dax and I keep bickering, out of nowhere, an arrogant voice cuts in. Ember, Dax, you two ill-mannered orphans talking about becoming Hokage in public, you're nothing but an embarrassment to the Uchiha clan. The owner of that voice is an Uchiha boy who looks down his nose at everyone. Hearing this, Dax's anger detonates instantly. Say that again if you've got the guts. He immediately lunges forward, ready to fight to the death. But just then, a small, childlike hand reaches out and presses down on Dax's head. It's me, taking the chance to grab his head, my expression eerily calm. Hey Noseboy, our parents might have died in battle, but they were the pride of both the Uchiha clan and the village. As for whether we've got real skills, let's settle it at the training grounds. Feeling his authority challenged for the first time, Noseboy instantly explodes with rage. Kid, do you even know who I am? I happen to be... But before he can finish, I suddenly burst forward with blinding speed, stopping right in front of him. Background extras don't need names. Soon as the entrance exam officially begins, the rules are simple. A Chunin instructor draws 2 students at a time to face off against each other. During each match, the instructors observe each student's reflexes and other essential ninja qualities, using it all to judge whether that student has what it takes to be a ninja. Which means this exam doesn't actually determine passing based on winning or losing. Meanwhile, I've got my arm slung around Dax's shoulder, rubbing my slightly trembling calf. That short burst of chakra I used earlier let me pull off a crude version of teleportation, and now my leg's still aching from it. And earlier, to stop Dax from fighting, I touched his head, which triggers the head pat system. Ding. Head pat complete. D-rank ninja. Dax of the Uchiha clan. Please choose one of the following 3 rewards. Beloved by middle-aged women, 10,000 gold in savings, or a set of choice goggles. I choose the 10,000 gold. As expected, this era doesn't drop anything great, but hey, extra savings never hurt. Meanwhile, as Dax focuses on watching the matches beside me, my mind is far from settled. Because even though I have all this jutsu knowledge and chakra control, my actual chakra reserves are still tiny, which means, aside from a substitution jutsu, I can only cast one more jutsu. If I want to beat Noseboy, I need to time that single jutsu perfectly. With that in mind, an idea sparks in my head, and I lock it into memory instantly. While waiting for my turn, I spot plenty of familiar faces around the training ground. Kai, Rowan, Otis, Cove, and more, and they all end up getting accepted. As for Ren's match, it sends Dax scrambling over eagerly, shouting, "Go, go!" In the end, both Ren and Dax are judged to have the talent to become ninja, and both secure their spots. But things at the training ground aren't calm for long, because the same Noseboy who mocked me and Dax earlier ends up drawn against me in the very next match. For a second, I suspect this is rigged, but I don't feel the slightest bit nervous. I stand up and walk to the field with steady, confident steps. Meanwhile, after watching Rowan and Kai's match, Solon had been getting ready to head to the Hokage Tower to handle official business. But seeing this next match come up, he decides to stick around, intrigued. He thinks to himself, isn't that the kid who touched my Hokage hat earlier? Interesting. Let's see what he's got. And soon, as the examiner announces the match begins, After we finish the traditional sign of confrontation, he and I instantly pull far apart. Just as I'm searching for the right moment to strike, my opponent throws one of the Uchiha clan's signature moves, Shuriken. What looks like a simple handful of shuriken quietly cuts off every one of my escape routes. With no time to think, I pull a kunai from my gear pouch and lunge forward instantly, knocking every incoming shuriken out of the air. Then I switch tactics, driving a punch straight forward. Caught off guard by the sudden close-range attack, my opponent has nowhere to dodge, so he crosses his arms to block. But that one simple punch lands with a heavy, dull thud, and he goes stumbling backward 10 full steps, rolling and scrambling just to absorb the force. The kids watching all look completely stunned, wondering how I could possibly hit that hard. While the kids can't figure it out, the examiners and Solon see exactly what happened. It's obvious to them that I have almost zero combat experience, barely any fighting instincts to speak of. But the reason I could force my opponent back in one hit is my exceptional chakra control, focusing chakra into a single point on my body. Watching this, Solon nods to himself. That move is oddly reminiscent of Tsunade's monstrous strength. Although now that his opponent knows how much that punch hurts, he won't be standing still for another one. Back in the ring, I rub my arm, fully aware that I'm weak in basically every other category. After all, just moments ago, I was a law-abiding citizen of a modern world, before all this began, and now I'm expected to face off against a ninja raised and trained by his clan since birth. Going up against someone like that is honestly absurd. If I want to get out of this bind, the only option is to lean into my strengths and find a sliver of opportunity in a losing position. After feeling the weight of my punch firsthand, my opponent clearly switches to a more evasive style, dodging my attacks constantly, trying to wear me down instead. Once I recognize his new strategy, a chill runs through me, and I can't help but mutter, guess you should never underestimate even a background extra. Well, are all Soulsborne gamers this cautious? I know it's finally time to put my plan into action, so I decide to bait him with an obvious opening. With that thought, I throw a fake punch, while secretly charging up for a real strike. The moment he takes the bait, I'll be ready to react instantly. But somehow he seems to see it coming, and yanks himself back out of range. You're really underestimating me, is that the best trick you've got? He taunts me while clumsily beginning to form hand signs. Wait, that hand sign is stop him now! One of the Chunin instructors shouts urgently, but Solon calmly waves everyone off unbothered, because on my face he sees no fear at all, only a level of focus he's never seen before. Fire release complete! Fireball jutsu! A massive fireball comes roaring straight at me. At this range, not even the Sage of Six Paths could save you, so just accept defeat. The blazing fireball rushes toward me, but after hearing his taunt, I just smile and toss back one line. Look at yourself. Running away already? The scorching flames erupt on impact, but once the smoke clears, all that's left on the ground is a charred tree stump. The Chunin instructor immediately jumps to his feet in shock. Substitution jutsu? That's impossible. I never even saw him form the hand signs. Solon pauses for a second, then says calmly, his hand sign's speed is that fast. Watch closely. This fight's about to end. Having just unleashed the fireball jutsu, my opponent, now fully drained of chakra, is equally stunned. Where did he go? Not around me, not above me either. Then that means he must be. Just as he glances down at his own feet, a faint pulse of chakra rises up from beneath the ground. A small hand suddenly bursts up through the dirt, gripping like a steel vice, latching onto his ankle. I yank down with all my strength, dragging him straight into the earth, leaving only his head sticking out above ground. Moments later, I emerge, pressing my hand smoothly onto his head, and say plainly, Earth-style, underworld beheading jutsu. Seeing this outcome, the Chunin instructor steps forward and announces, Ember and Korin of the Uchiha clan both pass. He then digs Korin out of the ground. Learning I've officially been accepted, I don't linger around, and immediately turn to head toward the Uchiha compound I remember from my former memories. After watching my match, Solon heads back to his office in the Hokage Tower. Outstanding chakra control, sharp tactics, genius-level hand sign speed, but on the other hand, absolutely zero real combat experience. That little Uchiha kid is interesting. With that thought, Solon gives an order to his subordinate. Go dig up everything you can find on Ember of the Uchiha clan. Meanwhile, on my end, I pull up the system panel the moment I get home. Remembering I also touched Korin's head earlier, so I silently think, claim, ding, head pack complete, D-rank ninja, Korin of the Uchiha clan. Please choose one of the following rewards, 50,000 gold, a neck support U-shaped pillow, or the complete book of trash talk. I go straight for the gold. Honestly, I knew Korin was never going to drop anything good. After going over the day's gains, I lay out paper and pen, and start planning my next moves. There are still 10 days before the academy officially starts, and the origin of the jutsu I displayed today leaves a huge gap in my story that I need to smooth over. Also, while my chakra reserves will only grow slowly over time, my taijutsu and kunai throwing training need to start right away. Tomorrow, I need to buy new ninja tools, plus weighted training gear, to push my taijutsu training harder, and while I'm at it, find myself a training partner. The next day comes quickly, and the moment I wake up, I start my training plan. First, I clean out my wallet at the Uchiha Ninja Gear Shop, buying kunai, shuriken, and weighted training equipment. Once I strap on the weights, I don't head over to my own clan's training ground. Instead, I head to the Leaf Village's public training field because my real goal is to make friends with my future training partner, Dash. 9 days fly by, and thanks to training way too hard, my medical bills and gear costs skyrocket. So I resort to rock, paper, scissors, betting that if they lose, I get to touch their head, milking gold out of the Uchiha kids for a decent income. Everything's going smoothly. Until the evening of day 9, while I'm finishing up my last set of push-ups, I happen to run into Dash, also training nearby. Hey there, I've been moved by your youthful spirit. Can I join you two and train together? The word youthful gets Dash unusually excited because ever since he started training with his father, all he's ever gotten from people is mockery and scorn. But today, from the mouth of a supposed Uchiha prodigy, he actually hears someone acknowledge their youthful spirit. Dash looks at his father with hopeful eyes, hoping his dad will say yes. His father, too, is on the verge of tears. But at the end of the day, he's an adult, and a ninja who's careful beneath his rough exterior, one who has seen his share of deception and hidden agendas. If this boy had been sent by someone else, pretending to approach them out of goodwill, while secretly aiming to learn the forbidden 8 gates technique, and given that he's an Uchiha of all people. But then, after taking a good, careful look at me, Dash's father drops the suspicion entirely. Because right now, I'm drenched in sweat, my bandages and clothes clearly showing signs of real training, weighted straps on my back, evidence this isn't training from just 1 or 2 days. So after thinking it over for a moment, he breaks into a wide grin, flashing his sparkling white teeth. Alright, hardworking Uchiha boy, join us then and let's bloom with youthful spirit together. In a blink, the 10-day break flies by, and today marks the official first day of the Ninja Academy. When I wake up and get ready for school, I run into Dash on the way, who's out running laps around the village. Even though Dash passed the entrance exam this year, he still got rejected because he has no chakra talent at all. So Dash trains even harder because of it, and seeing his face drenched in sweat from exhaustion, I wipe it off for him and take the chance to touch his head. Ding! Head pack complete, C-rank ninja, Dash. Please choose one of the following 3 rewards: a green jumpsuit, eyebrow thickening serum, or the Leaf Strong Fist fighting style. I go for the Leaf Strong Fist without hesitation. Right after, along with a mild headache, the entire Leaf Strong Fist style imprints itself directly into my mind. And beyond that, I can even feel my muscles physically strengthening. Without a doubt, this is a huge boost to my taijutsu. Thrilled with the reward, I'm in an even better mood. But with class about to start soon, I quickly say goodbye to him and head off to school. The moment I walk through the classroom door, I spot a bunch of familiar faces. Rowan, Kai, Ren, and Zale, but my friend Dax is nowhere in sight. Looks like he's late again. He only shows up a little while after class begins. The morning classes fly by quickly, though I don't actually pay any attention to the lesson. Instead, secretly focusing on refining my chakra, trying to fix my chakra shortage as fast as possible. Because during those 10 days of training, I make a surprising discovery. My chakra has actually doubled compared to before, which means I can now cast 2 jutsu in a row. I suspect it's connected to the extreme training I've been pushing through. In no time, it's afternoon, and we get to the highlight everyone's been waiting for: live sparring practice, led once again by Instructor Rourke. During the first half of the class, I focus mainly on kunai throwing drills. Even though I never had anyone teaching me hands-on, thanks to sheer effort and training, my kunai accuracy is improving rapidly. The next step in my plan is to touch the head of an Uchiha clan member, hoping to unlock the Uchiha's signature kunai throwing technique. The second half of class shifts to live combat drills, with students paired off to spar. First match, Zale vs Otis, next Rowan vs Rowan. And soon, it's Dax's turn to face off against Kai. Hearing his own name called, Dax lets out a strange yell, elbowing me in excitement. Watch me pull off something huge. But he barely takes a single step before a massive rumble erupts from his stomach, and his face immediately drains of color, before he sprints off to the bathroom in front of everyone. Well, Dax didn't pull off anything huge, he just pulled off a huge dump instead. Even Instructor Rourke facepalms, at a loss for words, then announces that since Dax has a stomach problem and left, his match gets postponed. Next up, Ember vs Kai. I freeze on the spot, pointing at myself in disbelief. Kai is, without question, a genius among geniuses. He graduated the academy at age 6, already master of the Ashcroft blade style. At this point in time, he could probably steamroll every other student in the academy. But that doesn't make me want to back down at all. If anything, it fires up my fighting spirit. Because I want to see exactly how far I am from a real genius, and put 10 days of hard training to the test. The moment I step onto the field, I see Kai across from me, looking utterly bored, as if the opponent standing right in front of him isn't worth even a shred of his interest. Without any extra trash talk, after we both make the traditional confrontation sign, the battle is about to explode. Before the match even starts, I've already broken down my own strengths and weaknesses. Even with plenty of jutsu in my arsenal, my chakra reserves are still limited, and trying to use 2 jutsu to defeat Kai, someone this skilled in both jutsu and swordplay, is basically an impossible task. On top of that, I've only trained for 10 days, which isn't nearly enough to make a huge physical difference, so beating Kai in pure taijutsu is going to be extremely tough too. I understand there's really only one path to victory in this fight, and that's a head pat mid-battle. If I can just touch Kai's head during the match, I get to power up all over again. Given Kai's level of skill, the reward is almost guaranteed to be worth it. It looks like a long stretch of time has passed, but in reality, all this thinking happens in a single instant. The fight kicks off, Kai doesn't hold back at all, drawing his blade and charging at me with blinding speed. But I stay completely calm, my eyes flicking briefly, as my hands blur through hand signs like a phantom. Kage-level hand sign speed keeps everyone in the crowd completely unaware of exactly what jutsu I just cast. Right after, I reach into my gear pouch, firing several kunai and shuriken straight at Kai. Even though my thrown kunai cut off every possible route he could take, Kai doesn't flinch for a second, drawing his own kunai, and deflecting every single shuriken to the ground with perfect precision, which briefly halts his forward charge. Exactly the opening I've been waiting for. I close the distance instantly, using my Kage-level chakra control to concentrate chakra into the soles of my feet, then release it all in one explosive burst. Seeing his opponent suddenly appear right in front of him, Kai's eyes sharpen instantly, never expecting my speed to be this fast. I plant both feet and drive forward with all my strength, spinning my entire body. Leaf Great Whirlwind! Thanks to having mastered the Leaf Strong Fist, my taijutsu has improved dramatically, and I folded my monstrous strength technique directly into the Leaf Great Whirlwind, making this attack far more devastating than usual. Kai clearly feels the pressure too, knowing full well he can't take this hit head-on, so he dodges and weaves out of the way, but the kunai in his hand gets kicked clean out of his grip. Kai rubs his sore wrist. You're strong, but even the strongest tree stump means nothing if it can't hit anyone. That brief exchange immediately sends a wave of gasps through the crowd of classmates. That's genius Kai we're talking about. An ember of the Uchiha clan is actually holding his own, and honestly, they both look so cool right now. Who am I even supposed to root for? Meanwhile, on the field, I'm thinking to myself, this tree stump substitution won't hold up much longer, so I need to end this fast. Then, I glance discreetly at the skull lying closest to Kai, but that subtle glance doesn't escape Kai's razor-sharp attention on the match. He's a little confused, wondering why his opponent would even glance at some old skull just lying there on the ground. I don't know exactly why yet, but whatever it is, I won't let him get away with it. Kai's usual laziness completely drops away, replaced by sharp, serious focus. He knows the boy in front of him is no pushover, so he draws another kunai and charges forward. Kai's footwork and speed right now are on a completely different level than before. If earlier I could roughly read his movement patterns and cut off his angles, now I genuinely can't tell where his next attack is even coming from. But even so, I refuse to just stand there and take it, drawing my own kunai and bracing myself. But this round of close combat turns into a completely one-sided beatdown. No matter how I try to defend, Kai always finds a blind spot to strike through, and whenever I try to go on the offensive, he darts away like a rabbit, out of reach again. The Ashcroft blade style. My heart skips a beat, realizing that even without a short blade, just a kunai in his hands unleashes this much power. But in the brief gap as we both pull back, Kai suddenly speaks up. Ember, I don't know why you kept glancing at that skull, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to let you get away with it. With that, he grips his weapon tight with both hands and slashes his kunai down at an angle. I raise my kunai to block, and steel rings against steel with a crisp clash. But watching my kunai get knocked to the ground, I smile. So you did see it, though it's actually lucky that you did. Suddenly the kunai that just clattered at my feet pops, and transforms straight into me. The classmates watching all gasp in shock. What? How is that even possible? Even a regular clone jutsu couldn't pull that off. But Kai, Rowan, and a few other sharp-eyed students along with the Chunin instructor all stay silent, because they understand this is something far more advanced. The Shadow Clone Jutsu. By combining the Shadow Clone Jutsu with the Transformation Jutsu in sequence, turning the Shadow Clone into a kunai and then, at just the right moment, launching a surprise attack out of nowhere. The only thing that leaves the ones watching closely confused is, when did I even form those hand signs? And me, I have no intention of giving them time to figure it out. The Shadow Clone attacks instantly, delivering a strike with shocking speed and power. A spinning kick launched straight at Kai. Leaf Iron Whirlwind. That heavy forceful kick forces Kai to abandon his attack on my real body entirely. He dodges to the side, clearing the range of the whirlwind kick, then whips his kunai around in one swift motion, and my Shadow Clone is instantly destroyed. But where's my actual body? A voice suddenly appears right behind Kai. See? Now who's running away? A hand lands right on top of Kai's head. Kai instantly grabs hold of me in return, trying to throw me over his shoulder, but I break free with a sudden burst of strength, quickly putting distance between us again. Ding! Head pack complete. C-rank ninja, Kai of the Ashcroft clan. Please choose one of the following rewards: the Ashcroft blade style, the secret leaf taijutsu technique 1000 years of death, or a permanent physical stat boost. Looking at the rewards, I don't hesitate for even a second, choosing the permanent physical stat boost. Because 1000 years of death, when I still lack a real finishing move, is basically useless. And while the Ashcroft blade style is powerful, I can't openly use it anyway, since it's the Ashcroft clan's hereditary sword style, and I'd have no way to explain how I got it. So this seemingly unremarkable permanent physical boost ends up being the smartest choice by far. Soon, as the reward activates, I know this fight is about to reach its end. Unlike the usual pain that comes with claiming rewards, this physical boost brings a strange tingling numbness across my whole body, leaving me momentarily stiff, completely unable to move. Kai catches the slight hitch in my movement, and seizes the opening, pulling out his kunai, and charging straight at me. In an instant, moving with the Ashcroft Blade style's signature unpredictable footwork. He appears right in front of me, his kunai slashing horizontally straight at my throat. But since these are special training kunai, this hit won't cause any serious injury, and that's exactly why Kai feels comfortable going for a killing blow. But from where I'm standing, Kai's movements suddenly seem to slow down. Motions that were nearly impossible to track before are now crystal clear to me. Did my eyes activate? No, wait. It's the physical stat boost, boosting my reflexes and dynamic vision to a whole new level. Guess I made the right choice. I drop into a sudden crouch, dodging what would have been a killing blow, then look up, my eyes burning with fighting spirit, meeting Kai's stunned expression. Surprised? The best part's still coming. I flip my body around, driving a kick straight into Kai's stomach, sending him flying backward. Instructor Rourke is caught off guard. Is that the technique from the Hour of the Tiger? The sheer force of that impact leaves Kai momentarily dazed. This ends now, I grin. Lion's Barrage. In seconds, after a rapid string of strikes, Kai gets slammed hard into the ground, rolling several times just to absorb the impact. Even so, I don't let my guard down for a second, drawing my kunai and staying ready, because suddenly, I sense a faint pulse of chakra coming from above, and something about this particular use of chakra feels strangely familiar. What I never expected is that this one split-second thought ends up becoming the turning point of the fight. Right then, with a sudden pop, the Kai lying on the ground suddenly dissolves into a puff of white smoke, and from inside my own shadow, the real Kai bursts out silently. You hid your real body in my shadow? Thankfully, my senses and reflexes have already been enhanced, and I block on instinct, pulling back to create distance between us again. Ember of the Uchiha clan, you're strong. Kai, I hope you get even stronger. But right after saying that, I quietly add one more thought in my head. That way, I get to keep milking you for more rewards. Right then, Instructor Rourke steps in just in time, putting a stop to the sparring. As both sides make the traditional reconciliation sign, Kai agrees to a rematch someday, and I happily agree as well. After all, it's only by fighting strong opponents over and over that I can get stronger, faster. The combat training finally winds down, as Instructor Rourke gives his closing remarks. Roan, your taijutsu needs work. Keep training hard. Otis, your fundamentals are solid, but your combat style is too stiff. Just then, a distant tree's shadow suddenly shifts, ever so slightly, and nobody notices it at all, except Instructor Rourke, who freezes for a beat, then quickly snaps back to attention. Ember's jutsu and taijutsu are both outstanding, and especially building off the Hour of the Tiger technique, he actually developed his own creative take on Lion's Barrage. Hearing this, my face flushes with awkward embarrassment. Sorry about that, Big Joe. Finders keepers on this one. Instructor Rourke turns to look at me, his admiration written all over his face. If you really want to improve further, you'll need to work harder on your taijutsu. In this match, your taijutsu was weak early on, and you only overtook Kai in the end thanks to your physical stat boost. I nod humbly, taking the advice to heart, while watching Rocket Dax come stumbling in, running late. Instructor Rourke doesn't say much more about it, just tells him to train harder so he can catch up with everyone else. Class wraps up soon after, and students trickle out of the classroom in groups. Dax turns to me. You training again today? I nod. I've got plans with Dash. Dax looks a bit disappointed, but the second he spots Ren packing up her bag, he trots over eagerly, and ends up leaving the classroom chatting happily with Ren. Right around then, Kai suddenly walks up to my desk. I heard you're heading off to train. Mind if I tag along? I'm a little caught off guard at first, but I quickly get it and understand where Kai's coming from. This is the first time he's found someone his own age who can actually match him, so of course he's curious how I trained to get here. I look up at him and say without hesitation, no problem. Actually, I was hoping to introduce you to my friend anyway. But just as Kai and I walk out through the academy gate together, suddenly, I feel that same pulse of chakra drifting down from the sky again, but I don't react rashly this time. Because I know that if I openly reveal I can actually sense this chakra, it'll immediately put the other person on alert, and everything I've worked to hide will fall apart. So I stay calm and give nothing away. I had no time to think during my match with Kai earlier, but now, taking a moment to piece it together, I already know exactly who's watching. It has to be Solon, using the telescope jutsu to spy on me. Because when I originally got that head pat reward from Solon, I ended up with the telescope jutsu myself, so I'm intimately familiar with exactly what its chakra signature feels like. And knowing that Solon has now spied on me twice, I instantly realize there are way too many loose ends in my story that I still can't fully explain, and the biggest one is where all my jutsu actually came from. I need to deal with this, and fast. But Kai has no idea what's going through my head, and just figures I've zoned out. So he speaks up. Ember, you okay? The words snap me right back. Oh, sorry about that. I was actually thinking about what to treat you to. Come on, let's grab some tricolor dango before training. I actually know a really good shop for it. Meanwhile, over at the Hokage Tower, Solon calls Instructor Rourke in, and after hearing his full assessment of me, he falls into deep thought. Underworld beheading jutsu, shadow clone jutsu, hand sign speed so fast even I can barely track it, and taijutsu improving at an insane pace, Ember of the Uchiha clan. Is he really just a prodigy, or is he? At that thought, Solon summons his personal Anbu squad, calling in Soren specifically, ordering him to dig into Ember's background. Meanwhile, Kai and I arrive at a little dango shop. But right after we get in line and buy a few skewers, a series of loud, passionate shouts suddenly ring out. Before Ember gets here, do a handstand walk across the entire Leaf Village. If you can't, that's 1,000 push-ups instead. I spot my good friend Dash coming down the street and wave him over excitedly. Dash, over here. The second Dash sees me, he sprints straight over, throwing his image out the window to bear hug me. Kai's eyes narrow slightly. That's some fast movement. Kai, this is my training partner, Dash. But right after hearing the introduction, Kai says, we've actually met before. From what I know, he can't even use a single jutsu. But before he can even finish, a bright, clear voice suddenly cuts in from behind us, sweet and melodic like a songbird. Just look at his hands and feet. Those are clearly the marks of serious training, which means he's been working incredibly hard. With that kind of determination, he's very likely to become an outstanding ninja someday. And if you don't believe me, the Academy's supplementary admissions list is about to come out soon, so you can go check it yourself. The old Hokage would never let real talent slip through the cracks. All three of us turn toward the voice, and see a pretty girl dressed in the Nettle Clan signature clothing, a skewer of tricolor dango in her hand. I recognize her instantly. She's the same girl who was napping through class this morning. Being polite, I introduce myself, and introduce my friend standing next to me as well. I heard about your match with Kai. I look over at the girl who smiles softly, her big eyes curving into a cheerful crescent. Nice to meet you all. I'm Sable, of the Nettle Clan. Noticing her finished skewer of dango, I casually ask, you still waiting in line? Yeah, the first one was so good I figured I'd grab another. I've actually got an extra skewer right here, only had one bite off it, if you don't mind sharing. But before I can even finish the sentence, Sable snatches the dango right out of my hand and immediately starts devouring it happily. Thanks, she mumbles, mouth full. And just like that, all 4 of my dango skewers vanish into her hands, while I've only eaten one myself. The financial pain is real. Guess not everyone in the Nettle Clan is a genius. Apparently some of them are just food monsters. But just as I'm quietly grumbling to myself, I never expect Sable's next words to send a cold sweat rushing down my back. Earlier, when your shadow clone missed the first hit, why didn't you retreat instead of risking it getting destroyed just to touch Kai's hair, and then, only moments after that, you suddenly pulled out Lion's Barrage? You clearly had that kind of speed the whole time, so why not use it from the very start? The question makes my stomach drop, and I glance over at Sable, who still has dango syrup stuck to the corner of her mouth, her big eyes full of genuine curiosity. But to me, I feel exactly like a murderer, watching a detective piece together clues one by one, a wave of pure panic washing over me. My mind races and I scramble for the only excuse I can think of, a bad one. Let's just say it's a weird personal habit of mine. With that, I gently reach out and touch the top of Sable's head, and once I confirm the system's chime goes off, I pull my hand back quickly, worried she might get annoyed by it. Sable freezes for a moment, then laughs it off. Not just anyone gets to touch my head, but since you did give me all that dango, I'll let it slide this once. With that, she wanders off toward the Nettle Clan's compound, still snacking. I breathe a sigh of relief, and pull up the details on my new reward. Ding. Head pat complete C-rank ninja, Sable of the Nettle Clan. Please choose one of the following rewards, 50,000 gold, basic chakra control, or a yin chakra amplifier. The moment I see that last option, my eyes go wide instantly. Yin chakra, of all things. Because yin chakra is essentially spiritual energy, and it's the primary force behind the Uchiha clan's Sharingan. Looks like the gamble paid off, so I go with the yin chakra amplifier. Turns out Sable is really not someone to underestimate. At such a young age, she already ranks as a C-rank ninja in the system's eyes, and on top of that, she hasn't even learned her clan's secret techniques yet, which means, on paper right now, she and Kai are pretty much evenly matched. Ding. System reward has been granted. Along with that cold mechanical chime, I don't feel any pain at all this time. Instead, a wave of coolness washes through my mind. Almost instantly, I feel my senses expand, as if amplified without limit, and everything around me suddenly comes into sharper focus. Unlike the last time my body got physically enhanced, this upgrade leans heavily toward the senses, though I know for certain that my eyes still haven't actually awakened. This yin chakra amplifier gives a direct boost to spiritual power, with its main benefits showing once the eyes awaken, unlocking even greater strength and access to more powerful eye techniques. Before the eyes awaken, resistance to genjutsu gets a major boost instead. If I were to fight Kai again right now, his unpredictable footwork would become completely readable to me, and I might even be able to spot his openings. Snapping back to the present, I glance over at Dash, casually picking his teeth with a bamboo stick, and Kai, looking utterly bored. I shout, "Come on, training time!" Soon the three of us arrive at the Leaf training grounds, and dive straight into our usual routine. Since it's Kai's first time joining us, I walk him through our usual training method, pushing yourself to the absolute breaking point in order to force real physical growth. With that, I wave Kai over to join in. And probably because the Ashcroft blade style also demands a strong physical foundation, Kai doesn't turn down the invitation, and jumps right into training with us. But partway through the session, Kai notices something. Both Dash and I are carrying seriously heavy weights, and the realization completely shocks him. Wait, he was fighting me while carrying all that? And judging by how naturally we move under all that weight, it's clear we've fully adapted to it already. especially the one with the thick eyebrows. His taijutsu is genuinely strong. Seeing this level of skill among people his own age, Kai finds his own competitive fire sparking up, and he throws himself into the training too. Once the session finally wraps up, the three of us head off in separate directions for home. I hand Dash a bit of extra money, since his father's often away, and I don't want him skipping proper meals to save time. Meanwhile, over at the Ashcroft household, Corvin notices something the moment Kai gets home, and it genuinely surprises him. Because even though Kai trains hard every single day, most of it usually focuses on technique, but today's session is clearly far more brutal than usual. So he can't help but ask, "Kai, were you training with that kid in the green jumpsuit today?" "Yeah, Dad. His name's Dash, and there's another one, Ember of the Uchiha clan. They're both really strong." "Is that so? Sounds like you've made some real friends. But their training methods aren't going to suit you. Tomorrow I'll teach you our own Ashcroft physical training method, one that complements the Ashcroft blade style perfectly." Meanwhile, back at my place, there's none of the usual relaxed calm I'd normally feel, and instead tension settles over me. Because I still can't shake Sable's words earlier, or the fact that Solon has spied on me twice already. I know I need to patch up my story right away. I recall exactly how the telescope jutsu works, using a mirror in my house as a conduit, and with my Kage-level chakra control, I release my own chakra in a way too faint for anyone to detect around the house. Once I confirm nobody's watching, I dig up some blank scrolls my parents left behind, and immediately start writing on them. The only jutsu I've actually revealed so far are the Underworld Beheading Jutsu and the Shadow Clone Jutsu. To make their origins believable, I need to forge 2 fake scrolls to explain them away. Once I finish writing them out quickly, I leave them spread open on my desk, partly to let the ink dry fast and partly to fake the appearance of studying day and night. And beyond that, I even rearranged the scrolls in my parents' old room, wiping the dust off every single one to make it look like they'd been dug through and searched. Once everything's in place, I fall into a deep sleep. But little do I know, over at the Uchiha compound at that very moment, Draven, the leading voice of the Hawk faction, after hearing his own son Korin mention that some young Uchiha kid has been making waves at the academy lately, and today even matched Kai of the Ashcroft clan blow for blow, actually proposes recruiting this genius straight into the Hawk faction. Because even if it means handing out extra favors and resources, there's no way he's letting the Dove faction get there first. Soon enough, the next day arrives and Instructor Rourke opens class with an announcement. "Everyone, let's give a warm welcome to a new student today who earned his spot through outstanding talent and relentless hard work to get admitted through the supplementary list. Please welcome Dash." A flash of green walks into the classroom. "Hey everyone, I'm Dash. Great to meet you all. I really hope my youthful spirit gets to collide with everyone else's here." With earplugs in, Sable's already gotten a full nap in, and Instructor Rourke sends Dash off the podium. Seeing that the seats around me are already taken, Dash ends up sitting next to Kai instead. Just as Dash is about to say something to Kai, Kai just gives him a flat, deadpan stare and mutters, "Youthful idiot, class is starting." Dash goes quiet after that. Watching the whole thing, Dax bursts out laughing like crazy, slapping his knee. "Ember, did you see that? Kai, always acting so above it all, just got completely shut down by the new kid, haha." His voice is so loud it makes Instructor Rourke shoot him a sharp glance from the podium. "Dax, would you sit still and actually pay attention? Look at how bad your grades already are, and you're still cracking jokes over here." Hearing that, Dax drops his head, though his expression still doesn't seem bothered at all. This is called saving it all up for a big breakthrough. Once my eyes activate, I'll catch up to you guys in no time. And just like that, a whole month goes by. During that entire month, I never once stopped training, and instead doubled down even harder with Kai and Dash. At one point, Kai even shows us a kicking technique Corvin taught him from the Ashcroft style, but once we try practicing it ourselves, we realize it just doesn't mesh with our own training methods. In other words, only Kai gets twice the results for half the effort with it, while Dash and I basically get half the results for double the work. But that doesn't discourage either of us. As our physical conditioning keeps improving, our training volume just keeps climbing higher, and the weights we carry keep getting heavier, and I can feel it clearly. My body has genuinely gotten stronger, and my chakra reserves have multiplied several times over. But what excites me most of all is the extra bonus the system keeps handing me. Because over the course of this month, through a mix of sweet talk and outright bribery, I managed to touch nearly every classmate's head. Most of them only drop gold as a reward, but every little bit adds up, and the growing fortune funds both my training and daily life. And a few of the more notable classmates actually drop some genuinely great rewards. Touching Otis's head earns me mastery of basic knowledge. Touching Zale's head earns me the 1,000-blade throwing technique. Touching Rowan's head earns me a minor physical boost, and touching Lark's head earns me the Larkspur sensing technique. And the reason I'm confident choosing that sensing technique is because its effects are genuinely powerful, while never giving away who's actually using it, so there's no risk of anyone tracing it back to me. It's not on the level of the Whirlpool clan's legendary sensory eye, but it's more than enough for scouting out enemies, so I don't hesitate to pick it. Looking over my own system panel, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't thrilled, because this whole month's worth of progress has genuinely become a real, tangible part of my strength. But for some reason, I've had this faint, nagging sense of danger lately, like someone's always watching me from the shadows. To keep growing stronger, and to prepare for whatever's coming next, I decide to kick off a plan I've been dreaming about for a while, mastering the Rasengan. After all, as a die-hard fan of this world, I know exactly how the Rasengan training process works. Originally, it took an entire month for someone to finally learn the trick of using shadow clones to help shape the chakra ball, but with my own Kage-level chakra control, I can pull off that chakra-shape transformation much more easily. Which means I can genuinely cast an instant Rasengan with fluid, natural movement. To squeeze in more training time, I even split off 2 shadow clones. One goes to attend classes at the academy, while the other stays with me to train the Rasengan. Half a month flies by quickly, and I stare at the rapidly spinning pale blue chakra sphere in my palm, pride swelling up in my eyes. With a gentle push against a tree trunk, the bark shatters instantly, and moments later, the trunk itself, crushed by the sheer rotational force, snaps clean in half. Hearing the loud crash, Dash and Kai come running over, and once they see just how much power it packed, their eyes go wide with shock. Ember, did you invent that jutsu yourself? Yep, want to learn it? I can teach you both if you're interested. And just like that, I pass along the training method for the Rasengan to both of them. After all, they're both going to be elite jonin someday anyway, with plenty of chances to encounter and learn jutsu on their own, so whether I teach them now or later doesn't really change much. Right as I'm walking them through how to properly train the Rasengan, that cold mechanical voice suddenly cuts in, filling me with instant excitement. Ding. Detected player has independently mastered the Rasengan jutsu on their own. Rank advanced to Chunin. Beginner phase complete. Graduation package now being issued. Simplified Sage Mode. Staring at this new reward, I'm honestly a little lost. Even as a die-hard fan of this world, I obviously know what Sage Mode is, but this simplified version the system's talking about leaves me genuinely puzzled. So wanting to look into it properly, I use the moment to send Dash and Kai off, telling them to keep training without me. Once they're both gone, I go ahead and claim the graduation package. But the very next second, a sharp, brutal pain suddenly tears through my stomach, intense enough that it feels like someone just slammed a Rasengan straight into my gut. Why does claiming a reward always have to hurt this much? The pain fades quickly, and I finally start noticing the new change taking hold. Now I can clearly sense the natural energy drifting all around me. I slowly run through everything I know about Sage Mode training. Since mastering Sage Mode normally requires a massive chakra reserve as the foundation, otherwise recklessly absorbing natural energy just ends with you getting completely consumed by it. But the very next moment, that quiet mechanical voice speaks up again. This reward is simplified Sage Mode, offering quick activation and minimal side effects, though in exchange its overall power is significantly reduced, and it lasts for a much shorter time than genuine Sage Mode. The moment it finishes speaking, everything clicks for me. This simplified Sage Mode is basically a harmless version of a cursed seal. Once I fully understand the trade-offs of this reward, I finally relax a little, though I'm still curious just how much this simplified Sage Mode will actually boost my strength. To find out, I quickly sit down cross-legged, and my body starts smoothly absorbing the natural energy around me. Thanks to my Kage-level chakra control, balancing the ratio between the 3 energy types comes almost effortlessly to me. And to anyone watching from outside, I appear to have completely merged with nature itself, with no trace of my presence detectable at all. With a low, focused shout, "Sage Mode activate!" The surrounding trees sway on their own, though there's no wind at all, as if some invisible force is sweeping through the area. I rise to my feet, carefully paying attention to every change in my body. System. Does entering Sage Mode come with the usual eye markings? Simplified Sage Mode does not, though the player can choose to enable them manually. The full version of Sage Mode, however, always includes the eye markings. Then let's skip the eye markings, because the moment those show up, anybody would instantly know I've leveled up. No visible markings, keeping the transformation a secret is the way to go. I clench my fist. My physical stats have improved by about 30%. Not only that, with Sage Chakra now added to the mix, my jutsu power has grown tremendously. Let me test my sensing ability too. In the original story, Jax used sensing to locate Osric from 1,000 miles away. That shows just how much Sage Mode boosts sensing. Thinking this, I close my eyes and activate the Yamanaka clan sensing technique. I sense Dash and Kai training nearby. Not only that, I can even clearly sense every blade of grass and every tree around me. But just then, my brow suddenly furrows. What is this cold, sinister chakra? Suddenly, within my sensory field, a pair of cold, emotionless snake eyes appears. Its unique, icy chakra makes my whole body shudder. The next second, I'm forced out of Sage Mode and collapse to the ground. In a daze, I see a brownish-yellow python slithering away. Was I seeing things? Moments later, Dash and Kai, hearing the commotion, rush over. Hey, what's wrong with you? Weren't you training your jutsu? What happened? I don't tell them the whole truth. After all, sometimes the more they know, the more dangerous it becomes. Afterward, Dash and Kai walk me home together. But right before we part, Kai says to me, I want to test what I've learned this past month. Once you've recovered, let's spar tomorrow. I'd be glad to. Very soon, early the next morning, Kai wakes me up. Since Dash just finished a mission with his team today, and needs to spend time with his father, he might not be free, so we set the sparring match at Kai's house. The moment I hear I'll meet the legendary White Fang of the Leaf, I spring right out of bed with excitement. To make a good impression on him, I head to the ninja tool shop and buy some blade oil. After all, it's our first meeting, so I can't show up without a gift. That'll be 100,000, sir. Come again soon. Under the shop girl's eager, flattering send-off, I walk out of the shop wincing at the price. Even though I built up quite a fortune from head pats, this particular purchase really did drain my wallet. You really didn't need to buy such an expensive gift. Ah, that's where you're wrong. The oil I bought is top quality, a generous amount enough to last 3 generations. It never goes rancid, no matter how long you keep it. Soon enough, joking and laughing, the two of us arrive at the Hatake equivalent clan's ancestral home. Perhaps because the family fortunes have declined, the Hatake equivalent clan doesn't have grounds as grand as the Uchihas. Instead, they have just one elegant old house. But the moment I step through the door, I catch sight of the legendary white fang of the leaf. It feels like watching a blade slide back into its sheath. I don't quite understand it, but it feels impressive. I can tell how strong Kai is. But Corvin's strength is simply impossible to read. It's like playing a game and running into an enemy whose level and health bar are both question marks. Just ask yourself, wouldn't that scare you? Of course I can't afford to be rude. I quickly say, "Good day, sir. I'm a friend of Kai's. I've long heard how powerful you are. Now that I see you in person, it's clear you're extraordinary. This is a small gift I brought for you. I hope you'll accept it." Kai smirks and mutters, "Suck up." Then the three of us sit together and make small talk. I can clearly sense that this elder carries no airs at all. In fact, he's remarkably kind. In the end, Corvin accepts the blade oil, and after promising to guide my training, he treats me to fish he cooked himself. It's absolutely delicious. But none of us eat until we're full. We only eat until we're lightly satisfied, because being too full would hurt our performance in the coming match. And soon enough, the two of them stand in the backyard of the Hatake equivalent clan's home, taking their stances. The battle is about to begin. The duel starts. 2 figures clash together in an instant. Corvin watches the two of them with a smile. Remember, in this match, the most important thing is to discover your own strengths and weaknesses. Winning or losing really isn't that important. The two of them nod in agreement, then quickly clash together again. By unspoken agreement, neither uses kunai to probe the other's defenses. After all, both sides already understand each other's strength quite well. They know kunai wouldn't put any real pressure on the other. So the moment the fight breaks out, it launches straight into the fiercest taijutsu exchange. Kai strikes first, using a strange, unpredictable gait to close the distance between us in an instant. Thanks to my improved physical stats and the boost from elemental chakra, my dynamic vision and reaction speed now are worlds apart from what they were a month ago. Your footwork is useless in front of these eyes. But the words have barely left my mouth when Kai switches tactics again, his steps growing even more chaotic and unpredictable, yet his forward speed doesn't slow at all. You haven't really opened your eyes yet, so don't talk so big. Watching this, Corvin chuckles. Reversing the Hatake equivalent step work, Kai really is bold to try that. It shows I can't see through Kai's footwork. I'm not about to just sit and take it either. I stamp my foot down hard, cracking the floor slightly, and charge straight at Kai at blinding speed. Watching my fist grow larger and larger before his eyes, Kai realizes this punch is dangerous. He blocks with an open palm, but he can't hold it back at all. The force packed into this punch sends him flying backward instantly, tumbling across the ground 2.5 times before he stops. But everyone present understands that punch didn't land at full power. Don't be fooled by the raw strength. Through that string of movements, Kai had already dissipated most of the force. Ember, your monstrous strength has gotten even stronger. Of course it has. Without giving Kai a moment to catch his breath, I close in fast, raising my right fist high. But shockingly, around my fist a pale blue, highly concentrated chakra swirls into being. Too slow. Kai dodges to the side, narrowly evading my attack without harm. However, the next second catches both father and son completely off guard. Because a moment ago, Kai, who had just dodged my attack, suddenly cries out in pain and collapses to the ground. How can this be? I clearly dodged your attack. Kai's face is filled with shock. Corvin too freezes for a moment, but quickly his expression shifts to understanding. Little Ember gathered chakra around his palm, expanding the reach of his strike. Your attack may have dodged the fist itself, but you still got hit by the chakra surrounding his hand. I silently marvel at how sharp Corvin's eye is, while feeling thrilled at how well that strike worked. It seems combining my monstrous strength with Jax's Sage Mode Toad Grip technique really was the right idea. Kai gets up, looking a little rattled, and brushes the dust off himself. Alright, now I'm getting serious. Kai gives a light flick of his hand near his ninja tool pouch, and a short blade slides smoothly into his grip. Hatake equivalent blade style. In an instant, Kai launches a fierce assault. I draw my kunai, my eyes darting rapidly, trying to track every one of Kai's strikes. Blow after blow, the two of us trade attacks, locked in an evenly matched struggle. Though I'm struggling to keep up my guard, I still manage time and again to narrowly block Kai's attacks without harm. After this fierce exchange, both of us realize our taijutsu is evenly matched. Next comes the jutsu showdown. Kai leaps backward in a flash, putting everything into widening the gap between us. Even as he retreats, he quickly forms hand seals. Corvin can't help but wonder, why is he going to such lengths just to put distance between himself and Ember? But soon he finds his answer. I don't bother forming any hand seals at all. Instead, using my own blazing speed, I keep closing the gap between Kai and me. When only a few body lengths separate us, I open my hand, and a pale blue orb of chakra forms instantly. Even Corvin, standing far off, can feel the sheer destructive power of that jutsu. And just as my Rasengan is about to strike Kai, Kai finally completes his hand seals. Earth style, complete! Mud wall, he roars. An earth style mud wall bursts up from the ground in an instant. Although it lacks the carved dog head detail from the original story, it still blocks my line of attack. But the very next second, as the sound of the wall shattering echoes out, I'm standing right in front of Kai. I concede. His shadowless jutsu is just too fast. Kai sighs, admitting defeat. At this point, Corvin steps forward, brushing the dirt off both of us, and begins his critique. Kai, your blade work has improved a great deal, but you focus too much on technique, while neglecting your physical conditioning. You need to properly train in the body tempering method I taught you. And for jutsu, you need to speed up your hand seals. Kai nods, taking the advice to heart. Then the White Fang turns to look at me. Little Ember, you truly are a rare kind of talent. Outstanding chakra control, excellent chakra application, and a self-created shadowless jutsu on top of that. These are things most people could never achieve in an entire lifetime. Hearing this, I actually feel a little embarrassed by the praise. That said, if you want to take it further, consider how your body and chakra flow together as one. I've noticed that whenever one of your strikes fails, you need a brief pause before your next attack. But what you may not realize is that pause can often expose a fatal opening. So if you can make your attacks flow together seamlessly, I believe it will benefit you greatly. I quickly grasp what Corvin means. Essentially, chaining my attacks together and canceling the recovery lag. After this round of feedback, both Kai and I gain quite a lot from it. After all, not just anyone gets the chance to receive patient guidance from an elite Jonin. After chatting a while longer, I get ready to leave. But unexpectedly, Corvin calls out to stop me. Little Ember, if I recall, that jutsu you created is a shadowless jutsu, correct? Is that right? Yes, that's right. Hearing my confirmation, Corvin continues. As it happens, I know a younger colleague who's also researching shadowless jutsu. I think you two should have a chance to exchange notes sometime. My heart skips a beat. At this point in time, who else could possibly be developing a shadowless jutsu? Even though I already suspect who it is, I still put on a curious expression. Sir, who is this younger colleague you're talking about? He's the apprentice of an old friend of mine, a genius just like you. His name is Lucian. Sure thing, sir, whenever he has time, just let me know, I'll definitely come. Very soon, several days pass after my sparring match with Kai. Today, Dash has gone to school, but Kai and I, without even discussing it, both use shadow clones to secretly train at the training grounds. But just as the two of us are really getting into it, I suddenly clutch my head and cry out in pain. But before Kai can even ask what's wrong, he lets out a muffled groan himself and starts rubbing his own head. It turns out Instructor Rourke is planning to hold midterm exams tomorrow, and everyone must attend in person. That's why our shadow clones just got dispelled. The way shadow clones can pass on memories had informed us both at once. Instructor Rourke's methods are way too harsh. Absolutely. He's clearly been annoyed with us using shadow clones for class this whole time, and now he's using this as an excuse for payback. Very soon, the next day arrives. The midterm exam takes place as scheduled, with Instructor Rourke personally overseeing it. As Kai and I walk into the classroom together, a pleasant voice suddenly calls out to me. Well, isn't this the guy who insists on using shadow clones for school? Uchiha Genius Ember? I turn and see it's Sable from the Shade Clan. Right now, her striking eyes are fixed on me, brimming with teasing amusement. Oh, and who do we have here? None other than the girl who insists on getting 8 hours of sleep in class every single day, Sable, the sleep goddess of the Shade Clan. Neither of us is willing to lose a verbal spar, so the conversation quickly turns sharp and combative. I was going to use that secret to squeeze a big meal out of you, but now that it's out, Instructor Rourke already gave it away himself. To make up for it, just buy me a skewer of tricolored dango. Hearing that, I can't help but find it amusing. Fine, come with me after school. Soon, the midterm exam officially begins. It's split into 2 parts, a written test and a practical combat exercise. First comes the written portion, which covers the fundamentals from the past 2 months. Instructor Rourke personally wrote the exam himself. If you've studied seriously, scoring 80 isn't a problem, but getting a perfect score is a different story entirely. Thanks to the foundational knowledge I gained from the Sketch Beast, mastering every question on the exam is honestly a piece of cake for me. While Dax next to me is still scratching his head, completely stumped, I've already set my pen down and am taking a break. Suddenly Dax nudges me with his elbow, requesting a private chat. Ember, do you happen to... Before he can even finish his question, a piece of chalk comes flying, striking Dax square in the forehead like a kunai. Uchiha Dax, what are you whispering about down there? Get writing! Instructor Rourke barks. Watching Dax take a chalk hit fills me with delight. He meant him, not you, so you know all the answers after all? But the next second I get up and gently place my exam on the teacher's desk. I'm going to go get ready for the second exam. Instructor Rourke picks up the paper and glances at it, then exclaims in surprise. Every answer is correct. He knows that if I had cheated, there's no way I could have gotten past this former Shadow Corps member's sharp eyes. So this must genuinely be my own work. It seems using shadow clones for school really does boost learning efficiency. Not long after, the written exam ends. Instructor Rourke collects the papers, wrapping up the first section of the test. After a short break, the second exam officially begins. The rules for this one are simple. form teams of 3 freely, then teams face off against each other. Grading isn't based on winning or losing, it's based purely on performance during the match. As for me, naturally, I team up with Kai and Dash. We're aiming to breeze through this and get back to training. But the 3 of us give off such an intimidating presence that no other team is willing to face us at all. The only other team stuck in the same situation is the newly formed Triune Squad, led by Sable of the Shade Clan. Unlike our team, built on raw individual strength, the reason no one wants to face Sable's team is their formidable teamwork and coordination. As a result, the 2 leftover teams naturally end up facing each other. And this matchup draws the most intense attention of the day. As both sides form their opposing hand seals, there's no time wasted on words. The battle is about to erupt. The Triune combination earned its reputation as far back as the Warring States era, precisely because of its formidable teamwork. I can't afford to underestimate this fight. I run through what I know about the 3 of them. As for Sable of the Shade Clan, that goes without saying. Her ninja system rating of C-class reflects her impressive skill. And more than that, what makes the Shade Clan truly frightening is never raw power, but their minds. Lark of the Yamanaka clan is usually quiet, but his strength is not to be underestimated. And Grover of the Boulderkin clan is, unsurprisingly, on the heavier side. But unlike most others in his clan, he sports wild, spiky punk-style hair and a fierce, unruly expression. Still, I have a feeling Grover might actually be the strongest of the 3. At this point, Sable, leading her team, says with a smile, "We've all mastered our clan's secret techniques. Better watch yourselves or you might lose." With that, she turns and gives an order to the 2 behind her. Hold them off for 3 minutes. The words have barely left her mouth when Lark and Grover both erupt into action, charging straight at the 3 of us. Seeing this, I simply give a slight nod, and Kai and Dash immediately rush forward. And right at this moment, Sable, who's been quiet all this time, springs into action too. She rapidly throws Shuriken to create a distraction. I already knew Sable wouldn't just sit around waiting. Still, I don't take it too seriously, because no matter what you're planning, in the face of our overwhelming strength, clever tricks won't do you much good. Even as I say this, I use my kunai to knock aside her shuriken, one after another. But what I fail to notice is that during that brief window she's already set up a trap right in front of her, built from explosive tags. Meanwhile, Lark and Grover, still fighting up ahead, let out a cry of pain. After all, Kai and Dash are simply too strong. The 2 of them are quickly overwhelmed. Seeing this, Sable's expression turns grim. She calls out softly, "Understood?" Grover and Lark answer at the same time, "Understood." It turns out this is a temporary communication network that Lark built using a secret Yamanaka clan technique, one that allows genuinely encrypted communication. Lark struggles to retreat behind the trap and quickly musters his chakra, bracing himself. But first, I need to block their line of sight. Hearing Sable's message, Grover instantly replies, "Got it." Body expansion technique. His body swells up rapidly, turning into a rolling flesh tank. The next second, he curls into a ball and comes barreling forward at full speed. It forces all 3 of us to weave and dodge. Watching Grover's attack, which fails to land a single scratch on us, Dash says proudly, "As long as it can't hit us, this jutsu is completely pointless." But before he can even finish his sentence, I cut him off directly. The dust on the field has been kicked up. We've lost our line of sight. At this moment, the whole field is thick with swirling dust, making it impossible to track our opponent's movements. My expression grows serious. As the brains of the Triune team, Sable would never do something this pointless without a reason. We can't afford to just sit here and wait it out. "Break out!" I give the order. The 3 of us dash off in different directions, trying to escape the smoke cover as fast as possible. But just as I'm sprinting at full speed, I suddenly feel a familiar pulse of chakra, one that sweeps over my body like radar. It scans across me, but its execution feels a bit clumsy, which is exactly what tips me off. This is the Yamanaka clan's secret sensing technique, and on Sable's side, while she also can't visually see us through the dust, Lark's sensing has already located us with perfect clarity. Having detected our movements, Sable issues orders through the encrypted channel. "Grover, hold down Dash." That's quite the tough assignment. Grover, who was just beaten up badly by Dash, says this, but he still charges off at full speed, racing straight toward Dash. "We don't have much time. We need to move fast." Sable keeps harassing Dash with precisely aimed kunai, while anxiously relaying orders to Lark on the other end. "Tell him to hurry up." By now, after using his secret technique repeatedly, Lark is already too exhausted to even stand, but he's still forcing himself to gather more chakra. Meanwhile, Kai and I, blinded by all the dust, have no idea where the fighting is even happening. All we can do is keep pushing to break through. Grover arrives just in time, cutting Dash off right before he escapes the dust cloud. The 2 of them clash and grapple, but unsurprisingly, Grover quickly gets knocked down. Yet just as Dash tries to push through and escape, Grover, still lying on the ground, grits his teeth and grabs onto Dash's ankle with one hand. "This is the job the boss gave me. If I let you leave, that would put me in a real bind." Dash can tell Grover's condition isn't good. From intensely using his clan's secret technique combined with the non-stop fighting, Grover's body is already worn out. Looking at the boy in front of him who refuses to give up, Dash feels a wave of deep admiration. "Friend, I recognize your fighting spirit, so out of respect for your ninja way," Dash lowers his head as he speaks and his body erupts with power like never before. "Oh no," Dash looks like he's actually serious. I say anxiously, What in the world is happening? Meanwhile, Dash calls out loudly, "Let me face you with my strongest power," but before he can finish his sentence, he suddenly can't speak anymore. Shadow imitation jutsu success. Sable says, straining, "Lark, move fast!" Lark behind her nods at the command, then he activates the mind transfer technique. A surge of spiritual energy streaks straight toward Dash. Right after, Lark's body suddenly goes limp, and he collapses behind the trap. What incredible power! The voice that comes out is Dash's, but the tone is completely unfamiliar. Sable quickly releases the shadow imitation jutsu and gives the order, "While they're exposed and we're hidden, take them out one by one." But before she can even finish speaking, "There's no way I'll let you succeed." I leap high into the air, breaking through the wall of dust. Right after, Kai bursts out from the other side as well. The classmates, finally able to see the whole situation clearly, can't help but gasp in surprise. There stand Dash and Grover, alongside Sable of the Shade Clan, facing off against Kai and me. Even seeing Dash under the control of the mind transfer technique, I don't panic in the slightest. I say, still with plenty of interest, "You three really aren't bad at all." Using a trap array to protect Lark's real body, having Grover throw up a smoke screen, then using the shadow of kunai on the ground to extend the range of your shadow imitation jutsu, and finally using the mind transfer technique to seize control of one of our own, that's genuinely clever. Sable listens to the compliment, but there's no joy in it for her at all, because from my expression she can't detect even a hint of worry. I continue, "But, can Lark really use Dash's body perfectly, or do you honestly think we're that weak?" With that, Kai and I charge instantly toward all three of them. Seeing this, Lark, controlling Dash's body, strikes first, throwing a powerful straight punch aimed right at my face. "You're really not holding back at all, are you? But have you actually trained in the Leaf Iron Fist?" After easily dodging that heavy punch, I simply lift my leg in a light sweeping kick, landing solidly on the back of Dash's leg, knocking him to the ground. But I don't follow up with a finishing blow. Instead, I sprint straight toward the trap, because I know that as long as I seize Lark's real body, this fight is over. Meanwhile, Kai squares off against Grover. Although Grover is already completely worn out, his attacks still carry serious weight. Even so, Kai's Hatake equivalent footwork keeps running circles around him. Sable blocks my path right at this moment. "A head pat, little cutie, I didn't expect you to be this strong." Sable's tone stays light and playful, but her expression is deadly serious. "Of course I am. This win is mine, if you can get past me first." With that, Sable lunges forward, and we launch into a full-on clash. Unlike Kai's unpredictable deceptive footwork, and unlike Dash's sweeping all-out strikes, Sable's taijutsu flows like water, light and elegant. You can neither land a solid hit on her, nor shake her off. And my Leaf Iron Fist strength can't seem to get through her defense for the moment. But relying on my superior physical conditioning, I force Sable to keep giving ground, step by step, retreating toward the trap array behind her. "Just give up. You don't have a chance. If I'm reading this right, your explosive tags are packed tight right behind you." But right at this moment, Sable suddenly flashes a smile like a scheme just paid off. "Whose back is toward the explosive tags? I'd say that's you." Sable spins her body sharply, preparing to slip nimbly behind me. Seeing this, there's no way I can't see through her plan. If she manages to put the explosive tags in front of me instead, she can use the shadow imitation jutsu from behind, forcing me to walk straight into the explosive trap, while she stays safe herself. That way, the match would be decided instantly, but there's no way I'm letting her pull that off. I move fast, cutting off her path immediately. The two of us clash again, right in front of the trap array. But little do we know, one of the explosive tags suddenly flares to life. Sable, still locked in combat with me, doesn't notice it at all. But I do see it happen, and alarm bells go off in my head instantly. This is dangerous. We can't stay here. I brace my body sharply, and several kilograms of training weights drop to the ground at once, kicking up a burst of dust. Simplified Sage Mode. Activate. A gust of wind bursts outward from me as the center, spreading in every direction. Right about now, Instructor Rourke also spots just how precarious the situation has become. Moving at incredible speed, he rushes toward Lark's real body, still behind the trap, and toward Dash, whom I knocked down earlier. After saving both of them, but before Instructor Rourke can go rescue anyone else, a whole chain of explosive tags detonates all at once. The shockwave from the explosion sends both Kai and Grover flying far away, and Instructor Rourke has no choice but to immediately deploy a basic barrier to protect the children nearby. In an instant, dust flies everywhere, and thick smoke fills the air. Kai and Grover both call out frantically, shouting for their own leader. Meanwhile, I'm tightly holding Sable, safe and unharmed. It's okay now." Sable nervously opens her eyes, and my face comes into focus in front of her. She can feel that the boy's back has been badly hurt by the intense heat and shockwave, yet he keeps trying to calm and reassure her anyway. Sable's eyes fill with tears instantly, but something feels strange to her. Her own calculations were definitely correct, so why did that one extra explosive tag end up completely out of her control? Could someone else have secretly interfered? And seeing that Sable is okay, the weight on my chest finally lifts. As Simplified Sage Mode wears off, a wave of overwhelming exhaustion crashes over me, and I pass out on the spot. Instructor Rourke rushes toward the two of us right away, but on the way, He spots a small white snake, though he has no time to dwell on it. He hurries straight toward the blast site. He had assumed that after an explosion this violent, the two children must have suffered serious injuries. But the sight before him leaves Instructor Rourke stunned. There's Sable, carrying me princess style in her arms, struggling to walk toward Instructor Rourke. Though both of us are covered head to toe in soot, our injuries turn out to be surprisingly minor. Instructor Rourke can't help but feel a huge wave of relief. Quick, get the medical team. Very soon after, when I wake up, I find myself already lying in a hospital bed. Turning my head to the side, Sable is dozing off, slumped by the edge of the bed. It's obvious she's been by my side for quite a while, but before I can even take a proper look around at my surroundings, a faint pain slowly starts creeping up from my back. Before long, the pain grows sharper and more intense, and I can't help but cry out. It wakes Sable from her deep sleep. "Oh, you're awake! I'll go get the doctor!" The doctor arrives quickly. "There's nothing seriously wrong. You were injured by an explosive tag, so this level of pain is normal. But more importantly, because of your long-term intense training, your muscles can't handle much more. If you keep pushing like this, you're at real risk of developing lasting internal damage." I nod, letting him know I understand. But no sooner has he finished than the hospital room door bursts open. Bursting in are Instructor Rourke, Dash, Kai, and the two remaining members of the Triune team. Once they hear I'm going to be fine, everyone lets out a collective sigh of relief. They remind me to rest up properly and not push myself too hard. I nod in agreement. Ever since I was reborn into this world, I've met so many people and made so many friends. This feeling is something I never experienced in my past life. But right at this moment, I sit myself up and turn my gaze toward Grover, calling him over. "Grover, I heard what you said during the fight. I really respect the courage and determination you showed for your team. Keep it up. I believe that in the future, you'll grow into a ninja who can stand on his own." With that, I gently pat Grover's head. Ding, head pat activated. Target, Grover of the Boulderkin Clan, C-Class Ninja. Please select one of the following rewards. "I'll decide later," I say silently in my mind. Meanwhile, being recognized by a peer far stronger than himself leaves Grover feeling a little overwhelmed with gratitude. I bought you a bunch of snacks. All the ones I like best. Thank you for encouraging me." Grover's face flushes slightly, drawing a round of hearty laughter from everyone. After a few more words, Instructor Rourke calls everyone back to class. But right before leaving, Sable says, blushing, My parents are really grateful to you. They'd like to invite you to dinner in a few days. Please do come." With that, she practically flees out of the room. But as Sable leaves, my heart slowly starts to sink as I recall what the doctor said earlier. If I keep training at this intensity, my body could end up with lasting internal damage. That's what makes me think about patting Grover's head again, because he has something I still haven't unlocked myself. System, reward selection, ding, head pat activated, target, Grover of the Boulderkin Clan, C-Class Ninja. Please select from the following. Option 1, punk-style hairstyling lessons. Option 2, 100 bags of Yang Chakra potato chips. So there is a choice this time. Yang Chakra reward granted. Instantly, my whole body feels as warm as if soaking in a hot spring. The feeling is so pleasant I can't help wanting it to last longer. But the warmth fades away just as quickly as it came. Thanks to my Kage-level chakra control, I instantly grasp what Yang Chakra actually does. Even though I don't have the 6 paths power, so I can't wield yin-yang release the way Jackson Cassian did in the original story. Still, through some basic experimentation, I've already fully figured out exactly how yang release affects me. First, there's a passive effect. Yang release boosts my body's healing and recovery speed, while also strengthening my vitality and constitution. Unlike the system's direct stat boost though, Yang Chakra strengthens my body gradually, so over time my body just keeps getting tougher and tougher. Second, there's an active skill. A yang release technique I developed entirely on my own, life restoration. By eating rapidly and boosting digestion, it speeds up my metabolism to heal wounds fast. It can even slow my heartbeat down to a crawl, simulating a death-like state, and it can even treat internal hidden injuries. The moment I think of this, I start testing it right away. I devour the fruit baskets and food everyone brought me, pushing life restoration into overdrive. My stomach feels like a bottomless pit, ravenously absorbing every bit of nutrition, and right along with it comes rapid physical recovery. I can instantly feel my body filling up with strength. Whoa, this ability is way too good. And what really sends me over the moon is the next system notification ding. Congratulations, player. You have successfully collected all 7 elemental chakra natures. 6 paths, hidden quest now unlocked, Bloodline Network. Hearing the system's notification chime, a rush of excitement washes over me. But soon I start thinking it through more carefully. Because in the original story, the Bloodline Network is a power that stands above even bloodline limits, ranking higher even than advanced bloodlines. It's formed by fusing all 7 chakra nature changes together, also known as the Otsutsuki bloodline. But now, the system has framed the Bloodline Network as a hidden quest, and I have no idea what the point of that is. Just as I'm racking my brain over this without any answers, the system conveniently offers an explanation. Once certain conditions in the quest are met, you may redeem a corresponding bloodline limit, or an advanced bloodline. If you possess both a sage body and sage speech, and meet certain additional conditions, you may redeem a bloodline membrane. The moment this registers, I become absolutely thrilled, because this means I could potentially obtain any bloodline limit I want. For the time that follows, I throw myself into studying this exchange system, but quickly discover it all comes at a steep price. For instance, to redeem wood release, I'd need 20 B rank or higher earth release jutsu, and 20 B rank or higher water release jutsu, plus a sage body. And the kaleidoscope Sharingan is even more absurd. Still, even though the number of bloodline traits I can currently afford is fairly limited, after some careful comparison, I finally find one that's an extremely powerful bloodline limit. System, I'd like to redeem it, but just as the words are about to leave my mouth, from outside, a sudden howl of grief pierces the air. It's Dax, arriving with a fruit basket to visit me. Ember, I thought you were about to die. He's so worked up that tears stream down his face. Looking at my friend standing there, I can't help but feel a rush of irritation. Dax, I've heard of people being late for school before, but I've never heard of someone being late to visit a patient. Only you. After chatting for a bit, Dax leaves without so much as a backward glance. What I don't realize is that from that day forward, he completely changes his usual habits and starts training relentlessly every single day. After watching Dax walk off, I turn my attention back to the bloodline limit system. I'd like to redeem Bright Release. That's right, the same Bright Release used by the villain in the movie. His signature technique is Bright Release, Drain Rift, an ability that devours other jutsu and turns them into attacks, something I've always admired greatly. And the redemption requirements aren't too steep either. Bright Release, 2B rank or higher Earth Release Jutsu, 2B rank or higher Water Release Jutsu, and the head pad ability. Redemption successful. The instant the system's chime sounds, it's as if I've already practiced Bright Release countless times before, mastering it to complete perfection. And correspondingly, in the palms of both my hands, 2 diamond-shaped seals now appear. These form the foundation for using Drain Rift. To test out my new ability, I first activate Simplified Sage Mode, then sit down cross-legged and activate the Yamanaka Clan Sensing Technique to confirm the area around me is secure. Right after, I raise my right hand and open my palm, aiming it forward. Drain Rift. An invisible pulling force radiates outward from my palm. Then, with a flick of my left hand, a pale blue Rasengan instantly forms, radiating a sense of danger. Without the slightest hesitation, I press the Rasengan directly onto the seal on my right palm. Before it can even fully make contact, the Rasengan dissolves into pure chakra and gets absorbed instantly by the Drain Rift seal. This technique is incredible, I marvel. It seems this could become my secret trump card from now on, perfect for catching enemies completely off guard. But right as I'm thinking this over, suddenly, within my sensory range, a familiar figure appears out in the hospital hallway, slowly making its way toward my room. It's Korin, of the Uchiha clan. I quickly cut off Drain Rift and put the room back to normal. But once Korin walks in carrying a fruit basket, he tells me he's here partly to check up on me, and partly to challenge me. Ever since I defeated him last time, Korin has been training night and day under the guidance of an elite clan Jonin. I already know he vowed before that he would definitely surpass me someday. So the current situation doesn't surprise me one bit. I happily agree. But little did I know this seemingly casual decision would end up earning me more than 30 Uchiha followers. After accepting Korin's challenge, I don't slack off for even a moment. I stuff myself with all kinds of food, non-stop, leaning on life restoration once again. Very soon, in less than a day, my injuries have already healed almost completely. This leaves both Kai and the doctor who come to visit absolutely stunned. In the end, I complete my discharge paperwork. But when I share the news of my discharge with my friends, everyone, including Instructor Rourke, finds it absolutely unbelievable. That kind of recovery is straight up monstrous. Still, worried I might suffer lasting effects, Instructor Rourke grants me 7 days off anyway, insisting I properly rest. To prepare for the duel with Korin, set for the 6th day, I head over to Kai's house almost every single day, asking Corvin to guide my training. Soon enough, 5 days of training come to an end. Under Corvin's guidance, I finally learn how, after a failed strike, to swiftly follow up with the next attack, without leaving any recovery gap for the enemy to exploit. Finally, the duel is about to begin. I had assumed that after more than 2 months of intense training, Korin's strength should be solid, and as it turns out, he really is impressively strong. His speed, strength, reaction time, and technique have all improved tremendously. But what he doesn't expect is that after just 2 exchanges, I, now even stronger, take him down with the toad grip technique. And all around, more than 30 followers he brought to watch look on with expressions of pure shock. Korin, looking utterly deflated, lowers his head in defeat. But almost immediately, his expression hardens with resolve. Since I've been defeated by you, it's only right that I acknowledge you as my leader. I'm caught completely off guard. The followers around us are just as stunned. Boss, please don't just abandon us. No, please, boss. We don't want to lose you. Watching this whole scene unfold, I'm about to protest that I hardly deserve such a title. But Korin cuts me off with a single line. Ember, with abilities like yours, you're bound to get involved in Uchiha clan matters eventually. And when that happens, we'll be your steady support. Seeing that some of the followers around him still seem hesitant, Korin calls out loudly, Greetings, Boss Ember! With Korin leading the way, the more than 30 followers behind him all follow suit, pledging their loyalty to me as well. Facing a spectacle like this, I still stay perfectly calm. Well then, Thank you all for your trust. I promise I won't let any of you down. But once I get the full picture from Korin about the state of my new followers, I'm genuinely taken aback. It turns out the followers, under Korin, make up nearly 2/5 of the Uchiha youths of this generation. That's no small number at all. The fact that Korin can keep a group this large organized and running smoothly speaks volumes about his leadership. Holding to the principle of, if you doubt someone, don't use them, and if you use someone, don't doubt them. And also to free up more time for my own training, I decide to hand over management of the group to Korin. Drawing on my own training experience, I write up a simplified version of the body tempering method for the group. Though this version is fairly basic, it's suited to their age, and if they stick with it consistently, their physical condition will steadily improve. Drawing on my knowledge from my past life, I also write a booklet on how to properly foster unity and kindness and mutual support within the Uchiha clan. I hand it over to Korin, hoping to instill the right values in Uchiha youths from an early age. At first, none of them think much of it. Not even Korin fully understands what I'm going for. But once these young people actually start helping fellow clan members, and receive genuine praise for it, they start throwing themselves eagerly into helping even more members of the clan. Very soon, half a month passes in a blink. Meanwhile, Korin is discussing something with his father. Father, what do you think of that guidebook? I have to say, the writing style really doesn't read like something a Green Academy kid would write. Could it be more like something the third Hokage or some other seasoned political veteran would produce? Still, I don't have any real issue with the content itself. At its heart, it's just clan members helping each other out. As long as it benefits the Uchiha clan, I have no objections at all. Not only that, I'll even help stir things along further. I'll give this kid's work a solid push, secretly print copies of it and distribute them to the rest of the Uchiha children. Wait, father, isn't that basically printing bootleg copies? But hearing his son's remark, Draven of the Uchiha clan simply tells him to mind his own business. However, what Korin says next actually brightens his mood considerably. Father, I'm planning to invite Ember over in 3 days. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about. Very soon, Korin passes this news along to me right away. Naturally, I have no reason to turn down such a kind invitation. Still, privately, I find myself puzzled. Why would Korin's father choose to invite me at this particular time? Meanwhile, over at the Shadow Corps headquarters, sir, this is a book that has recently started circulating unexpectedly among the Uchiha clan. It's just a book, why would that matter? However, upon hearing that the printer behind it is none other than the Hawk faction's senior elder, Draven of the Uchiha clan, Warwick suddenly takes interest. He takes the book and reads through it carefully, but soon slams it shut with a sharp thud. This is complete nonsense. Clan members supporting each other. Where does that leave the Hidden Leaf Village? What a dangerous mindset. And this author, Uchiha Ember, go investigate this person. Just be careful not to tip him off. With that, Warwick storms off, book in hand, heading straight for the Hokage's office. The moment he kicks open the office door, Warwick slams the guidebook down onto the desk with a heavy thud. Solon, take a look at this. What is this Uchiha brat writing? Putting the clan above everything else with such reckless disregard. Where does he think that leaves the Hidden Leaf Village? But the third Hokage, hearing this, flips through my book with an unconcerned air. Yet Warwick can tell that Solon isn't actually unfamiliar with what's in it at all. Sure enough, after finishing it, the third simply chuckles. This kid really does have some interesting ideas. A few months ago he was shouting about wanting to become Hokage, now he's championing clan unity for the Uchiha. Seeing his old friend still failing to grasp how serious this is, Warwick stamps his foot in frustration. This Uchiha Ember must be aligned with the Uchiha Hawk faction. This boy has dangerous ambitions. He can't be allowed to stay. Better to hand him over to the root. But before he can even finish speaking, the third cuts him off. This matter is none of your concern. In fact, months ago I already sent Soren to investigate Uchiha Ember quietly. Worried Warwick might still push back, he even adds a classic line, Warwick, I'm the Hokage here. The instant those words are spoken, Warwick's anger boils over completely. He storms furiously toward the door. Solon, you'll regret this. But watching his old friend leave, the third Hokage just laughs it off, unconcerned. The Uchiha clan's resentment has been building for a long time now. Blocking a flood is never as effective as redirecting it. As long as Uchiha Ember's heart stays loyal to the village, even if he genuinely does harbor ambitions, he'll still be firmly tied to it. The next second, something suddenly occurs to him. Ah, right. I heard Sable of the Shade Clan is planning to host a dinner for Uchiha Ember. Why not use this chance to win him over as well? With this thought, Solon raises his hand slightly. The very next second, a shadow slips silently out from a blind corner. Go and retrieve a first-rank Genjutsu scroll and deliver it to Sable of the Shade Clan. She'll understand exactly what I mean by it. And let Soren know he can go ahead and start probing. Very soon, just a few days later, I return to school. And the Uchiha family dinner that was arranged takes place this very evening, and so I make sure to find out Draven's preferences well in advance. After buying a gift, I head over to his home with Korin. Seeing that every gift I brought matches his own tastes, Draven is absolutely delighted. Afterward, the three of us take our seats as host and guests. We start with some casual, small talk. Mostly the usual back and forth about family background and sharing bits of our experiences. Much of it is just idle chit-chat. But just as the meal starts winding down, I have a gut feeling this dinner might not be as simple as it looks. And sure enough, the very next moment, Draven suddenly asks, "Little Ember, which do you think matters more, the village or the clan?" Though he reeks of alcohol from head to toe, his eyes remain perfectly clear and sharp. Before coming here, I'd already learned from Korin that his father is the Hawk faction's senior elder, someone with formidable cunning and even more formidable methods. I understand right away that this question is the real reason for tonight's dinner. So after carefully weighing my words, I say, I was born into the Uchiha clan. It's the uncles and aunts of this clan who raised me. They're the people closest to my heart. Seeing that I've avoided answering the question head-on, Draven doesn't seem the least bit offended. If anything, he looks at me with even greater approval. To be honest, I'm not one for beating around the bush. For that reason, I've personally funded the printing of your book and had it distributed to even more of our young Uchiha. I hope you, Ember, won't mind an old man's well-meaning gesture. But once I hear this fully, my heart sinks in an instant. This is nowhere near a simple courtesy. It's a scheme laid bare in plain sight. There's no doubt about it, I've already been half-tied to the deck of the Hawk faction ship. But before I can even dwell on it further, Draven presses on with another question. If two factions were to arise within the clan, one favoring the interests of the clan itself, and the other favoring the interests of the whole village, how would you handle that? He had expected me to hesitate at least a little over such a question, but to his surprise, I drop all my earlier hesitation and declare firmly, no matter whose interests are at stake, if it means harming innocent people, I will fight them to the bitter end. Hearing this answer, Draven is genuinely startled. He's struck by my decisiveness, and can't help but feel there's a deeper meaning behind my words. Pleased with my answer, Draven waves his hand grandly. Activating secret technique bankroll? Not only does he cover the entirety of my training expenses, he also promises a fixed monthly supply of training resources and silver on top of it. He even hands me a first-rank ninjutsu scroll as a gift. I can't help but feel a surge of delight. A generous benefactor really does spend without holding back. After a few more exchanges, I take the opportunity to make my exit. But the moment I get home, I find something waiting on my desk. A key sitting there. The address on it points to the most bustling district within the Uchiha clan compound. It seems Draven has an extra gift in store for me. Still, I have absolutely no intention of actually moving in. I know full well I can't afford to pick a side too soon. After all, right now, I've already caught the attention of quite a few powerful figures, and there are surely plenty more resources waiting to come my way. Over the days that follow, I keep going to school as usual, and to gather leverage while gathering resources, I double down on training with Dash and Kai, pushing myself to grow as strong as possible. But then, one day, Sable invites me over to her home for dinner, as a way of thanking me for saving her life. I happily accept, of course. After all, the Shade Clan family has always been a loyal supporter of the Hokage's faction, and this dinner might well carry a hidden meaning too, an olive branch extended to me by the third Hokage himself. I'm honestly curious what nice things they might give me this time. Soon enough, the appointed evening arrives, and Sable's parents greet me warmly. Both of them are quite pleasant to be around. After a bit of small talk, we settle into dinner properly. But once several rounds of drinks have passed, and the meal is nearly finished, Sable's father, unusually, turns serious. He looks like he has something on his mind he wants to bring up. And given that everyone at this table is quite sharp, even Sable herself can tell that this dinner isn't simply about thanking me for saving her life. What's your view on the village? Sable's father asks first, and the question is complex enough that it's not something a mere academy student would normally be expected to handle. But I don't feel intimidated in the least, because I already know this represents the Hokage faction testing me directly. After hearing my thoughts on the village, Sable's father seems quite pleased. After all, having read the original story hundreds of times in my past life, I know exactly how to answer in a way that speaks directly to what the Hokage faction cares about most. So my answer tends to resonate deeply with Sable's family, and in their eyes, it paints me as a fine young man devoted to the village. Once they learn where my loyalties lie, Sable's family seizes the opportunity to hand me a small pouch containing a first-rank Genjutsu scroll, and on top of that, to repay me for saving her life, they also give me a fine set of ninja tools and 3 boxes of specially made sticky rice treats. Beyond that, they even promise that should I ever need the Triune Team's help, as long as the Hokage approves, they'll gladly answer the call. Hearing that the third Hokage would go this far to win me over leaves me absolutely delighted. Curious about what Genjutsu this actually is, I can't resist asking right away. It's called the Nirvana Technique. The moment I hear that name, I instantly recall this Genjutsu. It's the one used in the original story during the ninja exams. A first-rank Genjutsu that Ren unleashed, putting the entire crowd of onlookers to sleep. Its strength lies in its massive area of effect, though despite being classified as a first-rank technique, it's not particularly effective in one-on-one combat. I immediately grasp both its value and its limits, but I keep this to myself. I accept the scroll graciously. Not long after, I excuse myself to leave, since it's already getting quite late and it's best not to overstay. But just as I'm hurrying home, eager to start learning this Genjutsu, halfway through my walk, I suddenly feel a chill run down my back, a wave of danger rushing straight to my head. On instinct, I sweep my hand out, and a sharp kunai appears in my grip. Sparks fly through the dark night as I precisely deflect the kunai flying straight at me. I never expected the fine kunai I'd just received would come in handy so soon, I think to myself while shouting out loud. Who dares ambush me here in the Hidden Leaf Village? I suggest you show yourself right now. The Leaf's Shadow Core doesn't take this kind of thing lightly. While my shouting sounds reckless and disorganized on the surface, inside my mind is perfectly clear. After all, an ambush this late at night is almost certainly premeditated. So while I keep shouting for cover, I focus my mind and slip into simplified sage mode. A gentle gust ripples outward from where I stand, spreading rapidly in every direction, and my presence surges upward along with it. Though simplified sage mode activates quickly, it doesn't last very long, so I need to end this fight fast. The attacker, who has stayed completely hidden in the darkness, seems to sense the shift in my presence as well, and starts moving quickly. Trying to run? There's nowhere to go. Yamanaka clan sensing technique. A faint trace of chakra, blended with natural energy in a distinctive way, spreads out rapidly through the surrounding area. There you are. I break into a wide grin, plant my feet, and burst forward instantly, shooting through the air like a cannonball, straight at the attacker. Two figures race after each other through the night. Before long I corner him at an abandoned training ground. Now let's see where you're going to run this time. Tell me, why did you go out of your way to ambush me? I demand loudly, but the words have barely left my mouth when I realize the attacker isn't even there. As if the whole thing had been planned all along, he steps slowly out of the shadows. But the moment I get a clear look at his face, my pupils contract sharply, and I immediately drop into a combat stance. The attacker looks to be in his early 20s, tall and lean, dressed in the standard Leaf Jonin vest, with a pale, almost sickly complexion. But none of that is what actually catches me off guard. What truly surprises me is that tucked inside the attacker's Jonin vest is something I can't quite identify. Judging by its size, it looks like a headband. The thought crosses my mind. This could be a ninja from another village, secretly infiltrating the Leaf. Alarm bells go off instantly in my head, every muscle in my body tensing up, ready to fight at a moment's notice. Obviously, I came to take a look at this rising young Uchiha genius everyone's talking about. Watching his relaxed yet flawless stance, I only grow more wary. If you just wanted to take a look, then why did you throw a kunai at me? But even as I demand an answer on the surface, underneath, I push my Kage-level hand seal speed and chakra control to their absolute limit. I quickly perform the Shadow Clone Jutsu, paired with the Earth-style Underworld Beheading Jutsu, working the two together just to slip briefly underground. As long as I can get outside this ninja sensing range, my Shadow Clone can go call for backup from the Leaf Security Patrol. After all, this area belongs firmly to Uchiha clan territory. But what I never expected is that after a burst of smoke, on an open patch of ground about 100 meters from us both, my Shadow Clone vanishes instantly. And right after, the clone's memories flood back into my mind, and only then do I realize just how powerful this man really is. I couldn't even see how he made his move. It seems he deliberately lured me out here on purpose. Tricks that small aren't worth wasting any more of our time on. The attacker still looks completely nonchalant, but looking at him standing there, still showing no intention of striking, I let my eyes flick sideways for a second, and an idea instantly forms in my mind. If I'm going to throw everything I have at this, I need to make absolutely sure I capture this enemy for good. And besides, an opponent this powerful, I've already started imagining just what kind of reward I'd get from a head pat on him. But right as I drift off into that fantasy, the attacker's next words, cold and sharp, snap me straight back to reality. Just how much longer are you going to stand there daydreaming? If you're not going to make the first move, then I will. Before I can react much at all, the attacker moves. He walks toward me slowly, but from where I'm standing, it feels like I'm staring straight into the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. A killing intent thick with the weight of countless slaughtered bodies, wrapped in a cold bone-chilling malice. I can't stop my whole body from trembling, because I sense with absolute certainty that the moment I make even the slightest move in front of him, I will die. And yet my mind keeps racing at full speed, desperately trying to find the best possible way to strike back. In the end, I steel my resolve and settle on the riskiest plan I can think of, which also happens to be the safest one available. Just as the enemy is about to reach me, I make my move. My legs explode with force, launching me backward instantly. I've now fully mastered the technique behind my monstrous strength, and the sheer reaction force is enough to crack the ground itself. Even as I fly backward through the air, my hands move at full speed, combining Kage-level chakra control with rapid hand seal formation, the two working together to let me unleash multiple jutsu in an instant. Shadow Clone Jutsu. With a sharp burst of sound, two identical clones of me appear right beside me. Once all the preparations are complete, I don't even give the enemy time to register his surprise. I push off the ground instantly and charge straight toward him, and my two clones aren't sitting idle either. They quickly form hand seals and shout in unison, "Fire style, now! Fireball Jutsu! Fire style Phoenix Flame Jutsu!" Suddenly, a massive fireball erupts and rushes toward my opponent. Blazing with heat right behind it come countless smaller fireballs, arcing swiftly toward the enemy, quietly sealing off every escape route. And that's not all. My real body deliberately slows down using the Uchiha Kunai throwing technique to keep up the harassment. Facing an assault like this, even seasoned onlookers have to stay sharp. But this enemy remains unnervingly calm. My kunai arrives first. He flips his hand and a kunai appears out of nowhere. He hurls it without a moment's hesitation. It collides with mine in midair. Shattering the flawless formation I'd set up next to arrive are the towering Great Fireball Jutsu and the Phoenix Flower Fire Jutsu. These twin fire shields look devastating, but for an opponent this strong, they're far too easy to dodge with just a few nimble steps. He slips clean out of the blast radius. The giant fireball hits the ground, erupting in blinding light and a deafening roar, kicking up clouds of dust. Even though it didn't land a hit, I'm not disappointed at all, because my goal was never to actually wound him. It was to use the light and the noise to draw the attention of the guards and the Shadow Corps. After all, this man's presence alone is terrifying. If I just charge in recklessly, I'll probably lose my life before anything else. But right then, the enemy seems to see right through my plan and flashes a careless smile. "I'd drop whatever little scheme you're running," he says. "I've already set up a barrier technique here. No one outside can see a thing." But before he can even finish, my real body, which has stayed still this whole time, uses the billowing smoke as cover and appears behind him like a ghost. I open my palm and a pale blue sphere of chakra flares to life, radiating waves of danger. This sudden, invisible jutsu seems to throw the enemy off balance. The Rasengan doesn't hesitate for a second. I slam it straight into him. But he grabs my wrist without warning with a force I simply can to resist, and forces the Rasengan down into the ground. Smoke bursts out in every direction and the earth cracks open. I'm stunned by how fast he reacted, and just as stunned by his raw strength. Who on earth is this guy? But the enemy has no intention of letting go of this rare opening. He lunges forward with a kick, sending me flying 25 meters. That kick leaves me badly hurt, but I refuse to give up. Instead, an endless surge of fighting spirit rises inside me. Because ever since I crossed over into this world, I've had things go my way almost every single time, and this is the first real challenge I've faced. Sensing that my simplified sage mode is about to run out, I know I need to end this fast. If my own strength isn't enough, then I'll have to bring out my cheat power. I quickly use life restoration to patch up my wounds while frantically working out a plan. Suddenly, my eyes flicker and an idea clicks into place. There's one ability I haven't shown yet. It's Bright Release. If I can catch him off guard with it, I can pat his head in the same motion right now. Gaining his power is my only shot at winning. So I quickly lay out my plan of attack. By the time the thick fog starts to clear, my body has mostly recovered. The final showdown officially begins. Just then, the enemy's voice drifts over from a distance. "Heh. That original, unnamed technique of yours packs quite a punch, Ember. Uchiha, you really do live up to the name of genius." His voice is low, faintly hoarse, but the next moment the enemy suddenly notices, with a mocking edge. "Oh? Well, looks like you've also picked up some kind of medical ninjutsu." But before I, still hidden in the fog, can think it through, "This is taking far too long to find you, Wind-style great breakthrough." As that slightly hoarse voice rings out, suddenly, a massive gale comes howling in from a distance, carrying a sharp cutting edge, and along with it, every speck of dust nearby is swept clean away. Facing the gale bearing down on me, alarm bells blare in my mind. I can't take this one head on. With that thought, I plant my feet and push off, just barely escaping the gale's reach. In the end, the gale slams into a training post, and the post simply can't withstand the force. It snaps clean in two. What surprises me even more is that on the broken stump, it's densely covered with countless gouges of every depth. I realize that within that great breakthrough, he'd woven in wind nature transformation. It's nowhere near Jax's wind style, Rasen Shuriken, but it's still enough to force a plain C-rank jutsu up to the destructive power of an A-rank one. This man is a master among masters. I can't let him seize the pace again. With that thought, I don't hesitate and charge at him with everything I've got. "Nice speed, but your path is far too straightforward," he says, hands already flying through seals aimed straight at me as I close in. Wind-style wind cutter. Suddenly, from his hands burst countless razor-thin blades rushing straight at me. At this moment, I deeply regret never asking Corvin for footwork lessons. My iron fist stance is wide and sweeping. There's no way I can weave through a wall of blades closing in from every side. Faced with a situation like this, I'm seeing red. All the frustration of being pushed back surges up at once. I decide to trade wounds for wounds without slowing my charge. I dodge every blade I can, and whatever I can't dodge, I'll fix afterward with life restoration. Everything hinges on this one moment, watching me throw caution to the wind. The enemy can't help but look surprised. "Oh? Changing tactics, are we? Can't let you close the distance that easily." With that, he pours even more power into the wind blades until, right in front of himself, he forms an impenetrable web of attacks. But thanks to that burst of speed just now, I'm already right in front of him, staring down the wall of wind blades, rushing at me. A jolt of pure danger shoots straight through my head. My pupils shrink. I thrust my left hand forward. Bright Release, Drain Rift. Instantly, My left hand erupts with a powerful pull. The countless blades vanish in an instant, turning into pure chakra and flowing into my body. I feel myself brimming with power. My chakra is nearly filled to the very limit my body can hold. Watching the enemy freeze for just a split second, I grin. Here's that kickback for you. Before the words even finish leaving my mouth, I dart my right hand forward first and pat the enemy's head. Then I leap and swing a whipping kick with tremendous force straight into the enemy. Still frozen in shock, with a heavy thud he sent flying, reduced to a blur, hurtling backward through the air until he crashes through several trees before finally stopping through the smoke. The enemy slowly rises to his feet. Ding. Congratulations, head pat complete. I can feel chakra swelling inside me. Looking again at the enemy who's had me on the ropes this whole time, I can't hold back the anger building inside. A bold idea flashes through my mind. I've never fought a battle this well-funded in my whole life. Even if the king of the world showed up today, he'd have to take this next move with no time to spare. For the system's notifications, I flash through hand seals, and 2 shadow clones appear out of nowhere. They snap their hands out, and a pale blue Rasengan instantly forms. But that's not all. One clone holds the Rasengan steady, while the other applies Kage-level chakra control to weave into the Rasengan, a wind nature-shaped transformation. Everything rests on this one strike, sensing the natural energy draining away. By the second, I know my simplified Sage mode is about to run out. Wind style. Rasen Shuriken. A massive shuriken of pure chakra forms in my hand, spinning at blinding speed, and letting out an ear-splitting shriek. I hurl it at the enemy with everything I have. The instant it leaves my hand, my simplified Sage mode fades away completely, watching the Rasen Shuriken streak into the distance. I finally allow myself to steady my nerves, because I know this is already the strongest move I have. Right then, I suddenly remember the system's earlier notification. Oh right, system, who did? I just pat the head of. I should pick my reward carefully in case he isn't dead. I might still get another shot at him. Ding. Head pat complete. Ninja Soren has generated the following rewards. Please choose 3. I wonder who it could be. Oh, an old acquaintance. Soren. It's actually Soren, but why would he disguise himself as an enemy ninja? Why would he attack me in an instant? 1,000 thoughts flood through my mind. My trump cards are completely exposed. Now what kind of fallout is this going to cause? Will he capture and dissect me to study? But watching the shuriken streak away, I've already resigned myself to it. What's done is done. I might as well pick my reward. I'm not the least bit worried about whether Soren will survive, because the answer is obviously yes. After all, Old Snake's survival skills are second to none. In this world, no one would dare claim to be first if I don't hurry and grow stronger. I'll just end up as someone else's prey. And as the Rasen Shuriken strikes precisely where Soren stands, countless razor-fine chakra blades erupt in an instant. System rewards ready to claim. Ding. Head pat complete. Ninja Soren has generated the following rewards. Please choose, and very soon. Once I get a clear look at the dazzling array of rewards, my eyes go wide with excitement. This is way too generous. I genuinely can't decide where to look first. There's no impure world reincarnation or the 8-branch technique here, but what's here is more than enough for where I'm at right now. I don't dare hesitate even a moment, because I know the second the Rasen Shuriken's aftermath fades, Soren will show up again. So I make my decision in an instant. System. I'll take the triple Rashomon Gate, a major boost to my physical abilities, and 3 random serpent-style jutsu rewards, granted instantly. As that familiar pain shoots through my whole body, I brace against the ache of my body being enhanced, while, at the same time, I keep my eyes on the Rasen Shuriken tearing apart the very ground Soren was just standing on. The reason I chose these 3 rewards was after careful thought. The boost to my physical stats needs no explanation. Just a moment ago, Soren forced my Rasengan straight into the ground with brute strength. That's proof enough. As for the triple Rashomon Gate and the serpent-style jutsu, I have my own hidden reasons for those too, because ever since the first Hokage, Soren is the only person in the Leaf Village who can pull off that ultimate defensive jutsu. Its defensive power is staggering. As for the last serpent-style jutsu, that one's just me rolling the dice. My wind-style collection isn't complete yet, and the 5-element seal, at least right now, doesn't seem all that useful. Besides, I can always pick up sealing jutsu later with a head pat, and among the serpent-style jutsu, the serpent-style substitution jutsu is something most cross-world travelers would kill for a life-saving miracle technique. One guy used it to cheat death itself. Another turned certain disaster into a clean escape with it very soon. After the painful transformation is complete, I suddenly feel a surge of power welling up throughout my body. For me, this boost to my physical stats is nothing short of exponential. I'm certain that my physical condition right now already surpasses Dash, who trains day and night. Just then a cold, mechanical voice suddenly rings out in my mind, now drawing 3 random serpent-style jutsu. Congratulations, player. B-rank jutsu obtains Serpent's Hidden Hand. Not bad, it's one of Old Snake's signature moves. Congratulations, player. Serpentine body modification obtained. Whoa, right after that little complaint, the next jutsu leaves me overjoyed. Congratulations, player. Serpent-style substitution jutsu obtained, because I know with these key techniques in hand, even if I end up cutting ties with Soren, or even with the entire Leaf Village, I'll still have a fighting chance right after. Inside my mind, the usage instructions for all 3 jutsu appear. What's a bit of a headache, though, is that Serpent's hidden hand requires a summoning contract with the Dragon Sovereign Cave before it can even be used in the original story. Both Soren and Ren had the same requirement, but the other 2 jutsu I've already mastered completely, and very soon. Once I've fully absorbed all the rewards from patting Soren's head, the shockwave of the Rasen Shuriken finally fades away completely. Where it struck, a massive crater now yawns open inside it. There are gouges and slashes, dense as a shredded battlefield. Aside from dirt, nothing living remains inside. But right at that moment, a white snake, thick as a grown man's arm, bursts up from beneath the crater. It clearly burrowed underground before the Rasen Shuriken even detonated. Just as expected, the white snake's jaws unhinge at an impossible angle, and Soren's entire body slides out of its mouth completely unharmed, building on top of a self-made A-rank jutsu and weaving in nature transformation to form something at S-rank power. Ember Uchiha. You keep getting more and more interesting. Soren flicks out his long tongue and licks his lips without a shred of dignity, but I can clearly tell there's a faint weakness in his voice. Clearly, even cheating death under an S-rank jutsu took quite a toll on Soren. That's enough testing me, Lord Soren. I already know who you are. I declare boldly, but my clenched fists betray just how nervous I really am. I'm gambling everything here, betting on whether I can still keep any chance of a peaceful life here in the Leaf Village. But hearing this, Soren doesn't deny his identity at all. Instead, he reaches up and rips the false face right off, then breaks into a grin. Didn't expect a kid these days to still remember me. I'm honestly flattered. But there's a chilling edge hidden in his words. Ember Uchiha. You know who I am, and of course I know exactly who you are too. So how about you answer a few questions of mine first? First, why are you so obsessed with patting people's heads? If it were Milo asking this, my heart probably wouldn't be racing like this, but coming from Soren, it almost certainly means he already has the answer. According to Instructor Rourke's reports in the Shadow Corps' intel, in your first fight against Kai, you were losing early on, but later on, it was like you suddenly leveled up out of nowhere, and the only thing in between was one single head pat. Soren says, step by step, slowly closing the distance toward me. Including today's fight, the number of people you've patted the head of is uncountable. Care to tell me exactly why? As Soren advances step by step, that familiar fear spreads through my whole body again. But unlike last time, this time, it feels more like the panic of a secret being exposed. Lord Soren, everyone has their own secrets, don't they? Maybe I'm just hiding a shameful little trick. Hiding a trick? Soren neither agrees nor denies it. Then can you at least tell me that ability of yours to absorb natural energy and enhance yourself? Where exactly does it come from? Hearing this, it suddenly hits me. The very first time I activated simplified sage mode, I felt a cold, sinister chakra watching me from the shadows. It was Soren. And why is it that you can burst into incredible speed at exactly the right moment to save that little girl from the Shade Clan? What? How does he even know about that? I suddenly remember Instructor Rourke during a visit mentioning offhand a small white snake, so that means... Lord Soren, you've been watching me in secret this whole time? That's right. At first, the third Hokage just asked me to keep an eye on you, but who would have guessed you'd end up giving me one surprise after another? After saying this, Soren stops in front of me and slowly crouches down, staring straight into my eyes with those cold, serpentine pupils waiting for my answer. But just as my mind races searching for a way out, Soren can't help but marvel. Internally, this boy in front of him is just monstrously talented. Taijutsu, ninjutsu, mental composure, none of it matches someone his age. It's not impossible that some enemy village used a secret technique to seize control of his mind. With that thought, Soren's eyes narrow. If this really is a hidden threat, then this boy absolutely cannot be allowed to live. After all, at this point in his life, Soren has already dabbled in forbidden experiments, but he hasn't given up entirely on the Leaf Village. Otherwise, he wouldn't be carrying out orders from his teacher, Solon. But right at that moment, I suddenly speak up. So what exactly was the purpose of your visit, Lord Soren? To my surprise, my attempt to change the subject is instantly seen through. I already told you, answer those questions of mine. Hearing that Soren won't let this go until he gets an answer, I straighten my back and look him dead in the eye. I'm sorry, Lord Soren, but this is my secret to keep. The instant those words leave my mouth, Soren's presence explodes outward. A wave of pure death crashes outward like a tidal surge, and I, standing closest to him, take the full brunt of it. His presence crashes over me like a wave battering against my mental defenses. I can back down. I grit my teeth and clench my fists, staring hard back at Soren. I'm betting he won't actually kill me, after all. Soren hasn't uncovered my deepest secret yet, and what gives me even more confidence is that I've just earned the backing of the Uchiha clan and the Hokage's faction. I'm not the kind of asset anyone kills for no reason, but little by little, I can't hold out any longer. Suddenly, Soren's low, hoarse voice rings out. Let me ask you this. Do you want to destroy the Leaf Village? But to me, that voice feels like a ghost dragging out my truest thoughts from deep inside. No, the Leaf Village has my friends. My bonds. I would never hurt my friends. I say it loudly, but to my surprise, the moment those words leave me, Soren's overwhelming presence recedes, and the terrifying atmosphere in the air gradually fades. The next second, I drop straight down onto the ground with a thud drenched in sweat. I know that if I'd answered wrong just now, I'd already be lying here without my head seeing this. Soren breaks into a knowing, meaningful smile, because he knows that this particular interrogation technique of his rivals, even the Mindwood clan's secret arts, unless someone is vastly stronger than him, there's simply no resisting the urge to blurt out what they truly feel. Since you're clearly no threat to the Leaf Village, then the task the old man Third Hokage gave me counts as finished. Soren rises to his feet, his tone a little more relaxed now. There's one more task though, how about joining the route? Hearing that, a chill runs through me so that old dog Warwick has already noticed me. I absolutely cannot let a single crack show right now, so I ask, playing dumb, what's the route? And once Soren gives me a rough rundown of what the route actually is, I flatly turn down Warwick's invitation. After all, no sane person would want to join an organization like that. Alright, Warwick's task is done too then, Soren says, sounding utterly bored, as if he's already lost all patience, but just as I assume he's about to leave, Soren, surprisingly, crouches back down again, a dangerous curiosity glinting in his eyes. Now let's get to my own question, Ember Uchiha. I need your help studying natural energy. That amplified state you enter after absorbing natural energy carries a presence similar to those two toads that Griffin summons. It's oddly familiar. I need to obtain that power. With that, Soren's expression twists into fanatical hunger. Without even pausing to think, I answer, no, that one's staying my secret, Ember Uchiha. Surely you don't want your own secret spread out for the whole world to see either. If that's the case, can your trump cards even still be called trump cards? Whoa, come on, is this some anime villain's blackmail line? Or would I complain silently to myself, but my mind keeps racing all the same. Sure, I can do that, but this is a secret I never share unless you take me on as your apprentice. I steel myself and finally voice the plan I've been plotting for a long time, but the moment I say it, the two of us fall into silence. Why? Soren rises to his feet, looking at this boy as if seeing him for the very first time, studying him closely. Because, in the Ninja Academy, I'm never going to get any real chance to grow, but if I follow you, I can become far stronger, ha. Soren reacts as if he's just heard a joke. Stronger? Little does he know, following me there's a very real chance you'll die. With that, Soren slips, unexpectedly, into a strange sorrow. He thinks back to a boy who used to loudly declare he'd become Hokage someday, and remembers that same boy, badly wounded by an explosive tag in a scene beyond any saving. But Soren snaps out of it, quickly fixing me with a cold stare. You're small, but your ambition sure isn't. What is it that makes you want power so badly? I already told you it's because I want to protect the people who matter to me, the ones who are real to me. I answer, standing firm, neither timid nor defiant, and the scene falls into another long silence. Fine. Both to research natural energy and to keep an eye on you up close, you suspicious little Uchiha. I agree to be your teacher, just don't go and get yourself killed, understood? Ember Uchiha greets his new teacher. Very soon. The next day arrives the third Hokage, upon learning that Soren wants to take me as his apprentice, though clearly full of questions, ultimately waves it through with a decisive gesture, once confirmed, officially sealing the master-apprentice bond between Soren and me. But since I'm still enrolled at the Ninja Academy, he sets a single condition: if I can graduate early, I'll be allowed to study under Soren. Naturally, I agree. After all, there's nothing left for me to learn at the academy anymore. Before long, Soren and I step out of the Hokage Tower. I glance over at my soon-to-be master, and just as I'm about to say something, I see Soren, without a trace of self-consciousness, crack his jaw open wide, and then pull out a scroll, dripping in slime. I'm guessing you weren't holding anything back yesterday, so I've drawn up a rigorous training plan based on your actual abilities. Forcing down my discomfort, I take the scroll and read it over carefully. The more I read, the more I marvel at just how sharp Soren's eye really is, and how ingenious his training method is, because I'm certain if I follow this training regimen, my strength is bound to skyrocket. But the next moment Soren says with a sudden grin, "Little Ember, graduating early without a hitch is my very first test for you. Don't you dare disappoint me. And sign the contract with the Dragon Sovereign Cave as soon as you can so it's easier for me to reach you. Once I have some free time, I'll come find you so we can study natural energy together." Soren smiles, leaving a hint of deeper meaning in his tone. Then he turns and walks away, leaving me with the Dragon Sovereign Cave's contract scroll. But hearing all that, I couldn't care less, grumbling to myself, who does he think he's looking down on? Something as small as graduating early is hardly a challenge for me. Besides, at this stage when it comes to natural energy, I'd only have to show him a fraction of what I know, and it'd keep him busy studying for years. The thought makes me laugh out loud, feeling rather smug. Very soon, the news of Soren taking me as his apprentice reaches Kai and Dash as well. Both of them congratulate me since Kai's ability has already reached the necessary level. I make a pact with him to graduate early together. As for Dash, while his strength speaks for itself in other areas, he's still nowhere near meeting the graduation standard. So Kai and I go find Instructor Rourke to submit our request. Hearing this, Rourke is visibly taken aback at first, but quickly gathers himself. Even knowing full well these two boys are geniuses among geniuses, he still says, with a serious look, "I've already heard about the two of you wanting to graduate early, but I need to make one thing clear: the standard I'll be holding you to will be harder than what regular graduates face. Not easier. I won't let my own negligence be the reason one of my students loses their life out on a mission." Hearing Instructor Rourke's genuinely responsible words, Kai and I officially begin our early graduation exam, but on the walk home after school I suddenly turn to Kai and say, "There's no way we don't pass this graduation exam. The written knowledge test is no problem for either of us, and I'm not too worried about the combat portion either. There's no way they can't find anyone tough enough to test us." Hearing this, Kai nods in perfect agreement, but to our surprise, the higher-ups have indeed assigned a Jonin and, on top of that, one who's actually listed among the strongest, most elite Jonin, around soon after saying goodbye to Kai the moment I get home. I unroll the Dragon Sovereign cave summoning scroll that Soren gave me without a shred of hesitation. I sign my name on it, decisively biting my thumb and pressing down my handprint. I feel a faint connection forming somewhere far off, but unfortunately, I don't actually know the summoning jutsu, otherwise I'd absolutely summon some ninja snake just to mess around with. After that I open up the training plan Soren drew up for me and follow it to the letter. Time flies by, but on my very next day at school, I go and do something that outrages the entire student body and staff alike. The moment I set foot on campus, I activate simplified Sage mode, shed all my weighted gear, and push my speed to its absolute limit faster than anyone can react. I pat the head of every single student and teacher in the school, except for a handful of especially skilled teachers who manage to dodge me. Everyone else gets fleeced. Since I won't be sticking around here much longer, I figure I might as well cash in while I still can. After a solid round of harvesting, most of the rewards from all this head patting turn out to be money, while a portion of the teachers and classmates drop things like a complete encyclopedia of ninja knowledge, mastery of advanced knowledge, and small boosts to physical stats. These kinds of enhancement-type rewards add up more than you'd think. This whole head-patting spree at the academy turns out to be a huge haul, and with every reward comes that familiar burst of pain. I grow stronger through pain, and honestly, I enjoy every second of it. "Ember Uchiha, what did you just do?" Instructor Rourke's furious roar comes booming from the distance. Guilty as charged, I take off running, immediately shouting as I flee, "I'm not Ember Uchiha, I'm Dash." For the next several days, Instructor Rourke is buried under a mountain of complaint letters on his desk, while I stay busy training and cementing my new strength, and on top of that, I stick strictly to Soren's training regimen every single day. To my surprise, I discover that training under Soren's method pushes my growth to be even more well-rounded and rapid. Even though I know full well this is a double-edged sword, I'm confident I can wield it properly. Half a month flies by, in what feels like no time at all, and Kai and I finally arrive at the graduation exam, meant only for prodigies, with the third Hokage leading the way. Soren and Instructor Rourke escort Kai and me as we push open the office door. "This is where your written exam will take place," the third Hokage says. "Whenever you're ready, begin." Kai and I exchange a glance, and each of us notices the quiet confidence in the other's eyes. We both start writing at a rapid pace. The result is never in doubt. We ace the written exam flawlessly. Afterward, the three examiners lead us to the Leaf Village training grounds. Instructor Rourke is the one to announce the rules for the combat exam. The rules are simple. Your examiner will be carrying a single bell, steal it, and you pass. Hearing that, I'm immediately bursting with complaints. How many generations has this bell test been recycled through? Already even Solon used it back when he was training his own students. Could nobody in this village come up with something original? But none of the three examiners catch even a hint of my silent grumbling, and they simply continue. "As for who's serving as your examiner today, it's him." Hearing that, I immediately start looking around, genuinely curious who this examiner could be, but even standing on my toes, I can't spot a single trace of any ninja. Just as I'm about to use my sensing ability, I notice the third Hokage slowly crouching down and planting a specially made, three-pronged kunai into the ground, and with a flash of golden light, a figure suddenly appears out of thin air. Am I late? I take a good look at Lucian in his younger years. He looks noticeably younger than the Lucian who'd become Hokage's face, still carrying a bit of youthful softness. This is unmistakably a young Lucian right then. The third Hokage claps Lucian on the shoulder and introduces him to Kai and me. "Your opponent for this bell test is one of the Leaf Village's finest Jonin." Lucian. Hearing this, Lucian gives an almost bashful smile, then turns to look at the two of us. "Kai and Ember, really? Corvin's actually mentioned you to me before, especially you, Ember. Once we're done sparring, we should sit down and talk jutsu together." I nod along right away. "No problem, Lucian." Right on cue, Instructor Rourke speaks up. "You'll have half an hour to discuss strategy. After that, the combat exam officially begins." Kai and I both nod. This is nothing like the written exam. Our opponent, after all, is Lucian, and neither of us dares underestimate him once we've walked far enough from the examiners. I glance over at Kai only to find his eyes heavy with worry. I can't help teasing him. "What's up, Kai? This isn't like you at all. Aren't you the one who calls yourself a genius? Cut the jokes." "Lucian is genuinely hard to deal with. My father's told me about him before, said he's a once-in-a-century genius if he actually uses a space-time jutsu. How are we supposed to handle that?" Watching Kai's brow stay furrowed with worry, I clap him on the shoulder. "Alright, stop talking him up like that. Sure, he's strong, but I've already got a plan to deal with him." I lean in close to Kai's ear and quietly lay out my plan. Listening to it, Kai lets out a sigh of admiration. Your insight is as sharp as always. Alright, let's do it your way. Relax, we've got this in the bag. I thump my chest, speaking with total confidence. After that, the two of us hammer out every detail of the plan. The half hour flies by, in no time seeing us both brimming with fighting spirit. Instructor Rourke immediately announces the combat exam starts now. The moment the words leave his mouth, Kai charges forward like a cheetah, moving with the distinctive footwork of the Ashfang blade style, leaving Lucien momentarily unable to predict his next move. But Lucien is, after all, a seasoned and famous Jonin and one carefully trained by Griffin, one of the legendary Sannin. His strength is beyond question. Even so, he doesn't rush to plant any Flying Thunder God kunai. After all, this is just an exam, not a real fight to the death, so he simply throws his own weight forward, rushing straight at Kai. At this, my gaze sharpens. I bring both hands to my ninja tool pouch, and, timing it perfectly, snap my hands up. Kunai fly out one after another like bullets from a gun, streaking forward at blinding speed, colliding with each other mid-air, and quickly sealing off every route Lucien could take. Seeing this, Lucien's expression turns serious. He knows if he doesn't show some real strength here, he might actually end up on the losing end, because he's realized these two boys are nowhere close to being fresh academy graduates. They're both flirting with Chunin-level strength. With that thought, Lucien sweeps a hand across his own pouch, and a kunai appears in his grip. With a sharp clash of metal sparks flying in every direction, Lucien swiftly knocks the kunai aside, clearing himself a path forward. But in that split second, Kai has already closed the gap, and is right in front of him. The two launch into a fierce taijutsu, exchange dozens of blows, trading in the blink of an eye. Even a regular Chunin watching would struggle to follow it all. But among the onlookers are two Kage-level heavyweights, and one retired member of the Shadow Corps. All three can clearly see just how intense this fight really is. Lucien is obviously holding back. After all, this is a graduation exam, not a real duel, not even the Chunin exams. If Lucien actually went all out, Kai and I would stand. Almost no chance at all, but even holding back, Lucien is still visibly pushing Kai back. Kai has no choice but to fight while retreating. Even though I can see my partner losing ground, I stay exactly where I am, as if I'm quietly brewing something, and as my kunai throws slow down, Lucien seizes the opening and sends Kai flying with a single palm strike. But not a single person notices that in that same instant, a thin line of characters has been etched onto Kai's chest, and the very instant Lucien sends Kai flying, I finally move. It's basically water, not the Rasengan, but the recovery lag afterward is easy enough to punish. The muscles in both my legs tense, and I stomp down hard, chakra erupting instantly beneath my feet. My whole body launches forward like a cannonball aimed straight at the bell hanging from Lucien's waist. Of course, Lucien doesn't miss this, even caught in that recovery window. He doesn't panic in the slightest. Instead, he simply pivots his body, dodging my outstretched hand as I reach for the bell. That flawless save shows off just how sharp Lucien's combat instincts really are. But what nobody expects is what happens next, catching everyone completely off guard. The bell suddenly flies off on its own, and the one behind it all is, of course, me. I'd already guessed Lucien would dodge my attack, so I'd used a foothook technique the moment I struck, and since everyone watching is an expert, they need only a single glance to immediately understand what that move was for. Ha, now that's a genuinely clever way to use chakra, Soren remarks, impressed. That's true, it's a small trick, but a small trick can still land a big blow. The third Hokage adds. Meanwhile, Lucien notices the bell has vanished right off his belt, but just as he moves to reclaim it, Kai steps in to block his path. Sorry, but I can't let you through that easily. Meanwhile, I burst forward with astonishing speed, racing to snatch up the bell before anyone else can, but Lucien doesn't look the least bit worried. He whips out a kunai in an instant, pinning it precisely right beside the bell. Seeing this, my pupils shrink mid-sprint, but just as I try to pull back, a flash of golden light appears and Lucien is suddenly standing right beside the bell. You two really are something else, I have to admit. This is a bit tricky without the Flying Thunder God technique. Seeing him pull out even more Flying Thunder God kunai, I retreat, instantly firing off my own kunai, as I fall back to scatter the formation of his kunai. But no matter how hard Kai and I try, Flying Thunder God kunai end up planted all across the field. Lucien's expression turns serious. The two of you are about to lose. Hearing that, I just grin. Who says we're losing? Haven't you noticed this whole field is flat, open ground? That's right. We deliberately drew you out of the tree line. We already expected you'd use the Flying Thunder God technique, and just now, when we scattered your kunai with ours, take a good look now at where all your Flying Thunder God kunai actually landed. Does it match what you planned? Hearing this, Lucien's expression turns grave. That's right. The kunai you threw out to spread wide were meant to give you more mobility, but with Kai and me disrupting them, that spread has been drastically cut down. There's one more thing, though. Have you noticed that I haven't used a single jutsu this whole time? As I speak, my hands flash through Seal's chakra, pouring out of me like there's no tomorrow. Water style, Great Waterfall Jutsu. The speed of my hand seals leaves everyone present utterly stunned. Lucien, most of all the others, have either already watched me cast jutsu before or fought me head-on themselves, so they all know my seal speed rivals Akage's. Only Lucien is caught off guard by the gap in his intel. Take this, Water style, Great Waterfall Jutsu. I roar in an instant, a ring of water forms behind me, and a massive torrent surges out like a waterfall bursting forth from within the ring. Watching this unfold, Lucian's pupils shrink, a flicker of genuine surprise crossing his face. Watching from the sidelines, the third Hokage can't help but remark, when it comes to water style, the second Hokage was always the finest, able to unleash devastating water style jutsu, even in places with no water at all. And for Ember Uchiha to pull this off at such a young age, reaching this level of mastery already genius, doesn't even begin to cover it anymore. As for the one directly facing this technique, Lucian isn't nearly as tense as he appears, because he knows this jutsu of mine isn't meant to attack. It's meant to concentrate and sweep away the flying thunder god kunai planted in the ground. With Lucian's tactical mind, in a single instant, he's already worked out a way to break through and win. But Lucian doesn't move a muscle, because he knows this is just a graduation exam at the academy, not a real fight between ninja. If he were too harsh here, it might just crush the confidence of two young kids. So Lucian stays right where he stands, hands flashing through seals, and as the surging torrent bears down on him, he slams both hands together. Earth-style, mud wall. A thick, sprawling wall of earth shoots up from the ground in an instant, fully shielding Lucian behind it. But to everyone's surprise, this wall isn't flat at all. It's angled sharply, pointed straight at the roaring torrent like a wedge, and everyone watching knows exactly Lucian is definitely holding back. Even though the water crashes in with what looks like unstoppable force, it slams straight into the mud wall, and the wall easily splits it into two separate streams, dispersing the attack with ease. Watching this, I can't help but curl my lip, of course. Purely defensive, no counterattack at all. Guess we're being underestimated, but watching the flying thunder god kunai scattered into disarray by the great waterfall jutsu, I know my real goal has already been achieved. Kai and I exchange a glance, and the instant his line of sight is blocked, before he can even speak, two shadows move like ghosts, streaking straight toward Lucian. Lucian, still guarding behind his wall, senses both of us closing in, and reacts immediately. He plants his feet, and his body shoots backward through the air, just about to clear his own wall entirely. But Kai and I are already there. Kai locks straight into close combat with Lucian, and right at that moment, my hands blur through seals, and I shout, "Nirvana technique!" That's right, ever since I picked up this genjutsu at Milo's place over the course of half a month, I've made sure to fully master it, and thanks to the surge in genjutsu talent I picked up from all those head pat rewards, mastering this first-tier genjutsu took less than a single day. The jutsu I gave him, I never expected this kid would master it in such a short time. His genjutsu talent isn't half bad either. It seems the third Hokage glances over at Soren, and Instructor Rourke, beside him, smiling, as if quietly showing off something. Meanwhile, caught between two fronts, Lucian clearly has no time to spare, wondering who gave this jutsu, to whom he simply notices a single feather drifting down and landing on Kai, followed immediately by an overwhelming wave of drowsiness. "Break!" Lucian calls out sharply, and that boundless drowsiness vanishes instantly. This is exactly what I expected after all. The true strength of the Nirvana technique lies in the breadth of its reach, not the raw intensity of its hold. For a ninja on Lucian's level, breaking free of the genjutsu with ease is completely expected. But even so, it still costs him a fraction of a second, and that fraction of a second is exactly the opening I need. I gather every ounce of strength in my body in an instant, and lunge for the bell, quick as lightning. But just as my fingers are about to close around it, a flash of golden light streaks by, and the bell, mere inches from my grasp, vanishes instantly. And in that very instant my mind races at full speed, recalling the strategy session Kai and I had gone over earlier. "Ember, why is it that in the plan you're not the one engaging Lucian directly?" Hearing Kai raise that question earlier, I'd explained. "Because whoever uses the Flying Thunder God technique can plant a Flying Thunder God marker on someone without them even noticing, so we absolutely need someone staying hidden and unmarked." My thoughts snap back to the present, and I realize every other Flying Thunder God kunai has already been swept far away. So on this battlefield right now, the only place he can possibly teleport to is, of course, that living Flying Thunder God marker. With that realization, my reaction speed peaks. In this exact moment, I snap my hand open, and a pale blue Rasengan forms instantly. Without a shred of hesitation, I spin around, aiming straight at Kai, the whole motion flowing seamlessly, executed in one single unbroken beat. And as the bell's cheerful jingle rings out, Lucian's voice sounds out right beside Kai. "I give up. You two are genuinely impressive." Seeing this, all three examiners present break into applause. At exactly the same moment, the third Hokage speaks up first. Now that was a truly thrilling match. Soren, looking my way, says with real interest, "Indeed quite the eye-opener for all of us." Instructor Rourke breaks into a genuine, heartfelt smile, pride written plainly across his face. Then, turning serious, he says, Congratulations, both of you. You've passed the early graduation exam and are now official ninja of the Leaf Village. The third Hokage, Lord Solon, will now personally present your forehead protectors. With a warm, grandfatherly smile, the third Hokage steps forward cheerfully and presents to the two of us the forehead protectors that mark us as ninja of the Leaf Village. As the cool metal of the protector touches my skin, it all feels strangely surreal. I've actually become a ninja of the Leaf Village. Soon, after a round of pleasant conversation, everyone goes their separate ways. Kai and I head back together to share the news with all our friends, Dax, Dash, Milo, Callan, and everyone else. But just as I'm sharing this joy with my friends, the third Hokage has already returned to his office. Issue this order. Ember Uchiha and Kai's personal growth records are now classified as top secret files without my explicit approval. No one is authorized to access them. Meanwhile, spread word far and wide, making a real show of the two of them say that. But what the third Hokage doesn't realize is that this very publicity ends up putting a target on both my life and Kai's. And sure enough, 1 week later, at the Sand Village Elder's residence, Yara, upon hearing the news, erupts in fury. The Leaf Village's youngest genin ever, an Uchiha prodigy and the son of the White Fang of the Leaf. This is absolutely infuriating. The White Fang killed my son and my daughter-in-law, and yet his son gets to walk free and be celebrated. Send my orders. But before she can even finish, her brother Thane cuts her off with a raised hand. Sister, calm down. This Ember Uchiha and Kai absolutely cannot be allowed to. While we shouldn't make any bold moves right now, we could still try this instead. What neither of them realizes is that their entire conversation has been overheard, word for word, by a Sand Village prodigy just 2 years older than me, the puppeteer Ronin. And what Ronin doesn't realize is that from that very day forward, within the Sand Village's intelligence division, a squad has quietly been formed with the sole purpose of hunting down promising young talents from the Leaf Village, a dedicated special unit staffed entirely with elite Jonin. Meanwhile, over at the Leaf Village's route, when Warwick hears from his subordinate that Soren has flatly refused the route's attempt to recruit Ember Uchiha, he flies into a rage on the spot. But what infuriates him even more is what his subordinate adds. Next, Soren also said, the two of you are only ever partners, and that you shouldn't push for more than that. The moment those words land, Warwick slams his fist down on the desk with a heavy thud. This is beyond insulting. But very quickly a dark smile spreads across his face as an idea takes shape. If I can't have something for myself, then no one else gets to have it. Either get me in contact with the Sand Village right away. Meanwhile, on the other side, the news that I've become the youngest genin ever sends ripples of excitement through the entire Uchiha clan, especially the Hawk faction, who feel, one after another, that they've clearly backed the right horse. It isn't just Draven, plenty of other Hawk faction elders, some offering money, others offering jutsu, all determined to win me over. And that's not all. Even factions, from every side, send over generous rewards overnight this time around. I genuinely feel like I've hit the jackpot, absolutely swimming in it. It feels incredibly satisfying. But right as I'm counting up all my gains, I also receive an invitation from Lucien. He tells me that during our match, he'd seen me use the Rasengan, and because of that he wants to sit down and discuss developing original jutsu together. Of course, I happily agree. I've been eyeing the Flying Thunder God technique for a long time after all now. Out at the Leaf Village training grounds, Lucien looks at me, eyes brimming with curiosity. Would you mind showing me that invisible jutsu of yours one more time? Of course, although this is a jutsu I poured my heart and soul into developing, I put on a hesitant expression while secretly grinning ear to ear on the inside, handing Lucien back his own jutsu. Essentially, this is just too funny. Seeing my reluctant expression, Lucien actually looks embarrassed. I'm sorry, that was presumptuous of me. He turns to leave, but before he can even turn around, I grab his arm. No, I just meant I want more payment. Lucien is left utterly speechless. You could have just said so what is it you want? My eyes flicker as I think it over. If I just outright asked to pat his head right now, it would only raise Lucien's suspicions. After all, there are plenty of sharp minds in this world, and Lucien happens to be one of the very brightest among them. If I slip up even a little here, someone sharp enough could see straight through my secret. With that thought, a plan clicks into place. I want that technique of yours, the one that lets you flash all over the place. Oh, you mean the Flying Thunder God technique? Lucien's face shifts into understanding. That one's going to be tough. Though first you'd need natural space-time talent second, and I'll be honest with you, the Flying Thunder God technique is a forbidden jutsu developed by the second Hokage himself. Even I don't have the authority to decide who learns it. As for me, as if I'd already known exactly what he'd say, I reply, calm and unhurried. That's fine. In a bit, I'd like you to test my space-time talent, Lucien. If it turns out I actually have it, would you mind putting in a good word with the Hokage for me? Seeing how genuinely I want to learn, Lucien stops making excuses and simply agrees. As for the space-time talent test, I honestly don't give it a second thought, please. After a head pat, I can have anything I want, so... After unrolling an absurdly long map of the region, I finally reveal my true intentions. There's just one condition. Would you mind letting me pat your head? Pat my head? Sure, go ahead, though I have to ask why. Without giving Lucien any extra time to react, the instant he agrees, I pat Lucien's head. Whoa, this is off the charts. Sting. Head pat complete. Young ninja Lucien, And once I get a clear look at the 6 rewards, the system pulls up, my eyes go wide with excitement. But for now, I don't dwell on the rewards since I still need to keep my promise to Lucian first. Lucian watched closely. I open my palm, and a small, pale blue orb of chakra forms instantly in my hand. The whirring hum, produced by the chakra spinning at high speed, hints at just how destructive this technique really is. And seeing this technique again, Lucian knows at a glance that this is exactly what suits him, committed to top-notch service. I give Lucian a thorough breakdown of how to train in this technique, along with its strengths and weaknesses. But as I explain, I can't help but marvel at Lucian's incredible talent, because with just a couple of pointers from me, he grasps it instantly, and can even build on it himself. Ember, this technique pushes chakra shape transformation to its absolute limit, so could you add chakra nature transformation on top of it? That question leaves me genuinely moved, because any fan of the original story knows, in the original timeline, after creating the Rasengan, Lucian had actually proposed this very same idea, but tragically died far too young, leaving it for Jax to finally perfect. It remains one of the biggest regrets among fans of the original story. Of course you can, though I can't really demonstrate this one here. After that, I tell him about the giant Rasengan, as well as the concept behind the Rasen Shuriken. But you absolutely need to be careful. The Rasen Shuriken isn't just devastatingly powerful. It can also damage your own chakra pathways if you haven't found a way to work around that. Do not use it. I say to Lucian, dead serious after all. I'd hate for a moment of carelessness on my part to end the life of a genius like him. Lucian nods, acknowledging that he understands. Soon, the two of us talk from morning all the way into evening, thoroughly enjoying the conversation. Before we part, I make a point of adding, this jutsu is called the Rasengan, so don't go slapping some random name on it. Lucian laughs at that, and doesn't forget his own promise either, to test my space-time talent. Meanwhile, I finally open up the system rewards. Ding. Head pat, complete, ninja. Young Lucian, the following 6 rewards. Please choose 3. My goodness, these are all fantastic, except for the first one. Without a shred of hesitation, system, I'll take a major boost to space-time talent, the Flying Thunder God technique, and a major boost to reaction speed, rewards granted instantly. Soon, as the pain fades away, the enhancement is already complete right now. I don't just fully command the Flying Thunder God technique, I also know exactly how to craft and apply its formulas. My skill level with it has already reached a point comparable to Lucian's, and even the second Hokage's, though the boost to my reaction speed isn't dramatic. I know full well that when I'm using the Flying Thunder God technique, or the Rasengan, reaction speed matters enormously, even if it's not enough to trigger a full counterattack. It's bound to make a real difference at the critical moment. As for the space-time talent boost, its effects run even deeper because it ends up enhancing every single space-time related jutsu I know. First, the Flying Thunder God technique's range expands. Second, there's the triple Rashomon gate, because after this massive boost to my space-time talent, I can now actually sense the 5-fold Rashomon gate, the very technique the first Hokage once used to hold off Tornin himself. And right at that moment, Lucian has everything ready for the space-time talent test. J-Yining hand seals, as he explains. This is a method the second Hokage recorded in the Flying Thunder God technique. Scroll, the user simply channels their chakra into the other person's body, and can then sense how attuned that person is to space and time. Once Lucian finishes explaining, he takes my hand gently. The next moment, a gentle stream of chakra flows into my chakra pathways, tracing along a fixed route. Meanwhile, as he slowly guides his own chakra to probe through my pathways, he still finds a moment to reassure me. Ember, honestly, the space-time jutsu took me years of research too before I even mastered it recently. Not to brag, but so far, only the second Hokage and I have ever known this technique, so if the result isn't what you're hoping for, it's completely normal. Listening to Lucian's reassuring words, I can clearly feel just how much thought and care he puts into treating people around him. Even so, moved as I am, I just say out loud, it's fine, Lucian, but if it turns out I really do have space-time talent, you have to put in a word with the third Hokage for me about how I could get permission to train in it. But hearing this, Lucian just shakes his head slightly, thinking to himself, still just a kid at heart. Little does he know, everyone has their own natural strengths, and those who truly excel at space-time jutsu are just far too. But before he can even finish the sentence, he suddenly senses something, and his brow slowly furrows. After double and triple checking, he says, utterly astonished, "This is unbelievable, Ember. You have an incredibly powerful natural gift for space-time, honestly, the best I've ever come across." Lucian says to me, thrilled, even though it's exactly what I expected. Hearing Lucian's genuine praise still leaves me feeling a little pleased. Then Lucian, you really do have to ask the third Hokage for me. Of course. Lucian grins, and right there on the spot he leaves behind a Flying Thunder God kunai. The next instant, a flash of golden light streaks by, and he vanishes completely. He doesn't keep me waiting long. Moments later, Lucian reappears right where the kunai landed. Ember, when Solon heard about your progress, he was pretty stunned. He called you an all-around genius. So the Hokage has decided once you become a Jonin, I'll personally be your teacher and guide your Flying Thunder God training. I can tell Lucian is genuinely happy for me, and I feel like his terms are more than reasonable, so I happily agree. After all, I've already fully mastered the Flying Thunder God technique. Going through this formality is just so I can use it openly, without hiding it. But when a real crisis hits, I won't be holding anything back. Soon, as night falls, Lucian and I chat a bit more, then head our separate ways home. But once I'm home, I can't rest at all because I want to test out my new Flying Thunder God technique. Simplified Sage Mode activate, I call out softly. Once I sense that within a mile around me no one is watching, I pick up a finely crafted kunai. Then a thought crosses my mind. Lucian's Flying Thunder God kunai is the Tri-Blade kunai. So what should mine be? Suddenly, an idea sparks in my head, and a mischievous urge rises up in me. I channel the chakra inside me, and the next moment on the handle of my kunai, 3 small marks suddenly appear. No arguing. Looking at my Flying Thunder God kunai, a wave of pride swells up inside me. That night, thanks to my razor-sharp reflexes, I practice combining the Flying Thunder God with the Rasengan until it's flawless. Honestly, if I fought in the Third Great Ninja War right now, I'd be the new Yellow Flash. But after this night of training, I discover the one weakness I still have. My chakra reserves are still painfully limited. Looks like I'll need to find a chance to pat the Nine Tails, maybe even claim the whole beast for myself. The next day comes quickly. Soren sends a message by Ninja Snake telling me to come train. Of course I agree, but what I don't expect is running into Kai on the way there. Just like in the original story, he tells me he's been assigned to Lucian's squad, training under Lucien now. We chat for a bit, then part ways. Soon, I arrive at the training ground Soren has set for us in the Leaf Village. The moment he sees me, Soren sharply notices the change in me. Ha! Ember! Just a few days apart and you've gotten stronger again. I have to admit, his eye is razor sharp. Soren explains that he's called me here mainly to lay out a training plan for me. From now on, I'll teach you how to use your abilities more precisely in battle, and I'll even teach you every jutsu I've created in my own serpent style. I nod in agreement. There's one more thing. Soren pauses for a moment, licking his lips with his tongue. You'll also help me research natural energy every week. I tell him that's no problem. From then on, under Soren's guidance, I begin brutal training. 3 months fly by. On the Leaf training ground, I unleash Serpent's hidden hand. With a fierce shout, 5 giant white serpents burst violently out of my sleeves, slamming hard into the training posts. Watching the posts shatter to pieces, Soren claps beside me, praising me. Ember, you're honestly making me feel outclassed. There's really nothing left for me to teach you, so from here on, it's time for real combat training. I look at Soren, a little confused. I'll personally take you on missions now, not D rank or C rank ones, but B rank and above. I understand B rank missions and up almost certainly mean actual battles between ninja, and the risks are obvious, but Soren seems to read my thoughts. You have to sharpen yourself in real battle. Get ready. Ember, I'll let you know when it's time to go. With that, Soren turns and walks off, while I pack up my training gear and go over everything I've gained. First, there's my own strength. Without the sudden leap the head pat gives me, these 3 months of training have made my abilities far more integrated. I'm confident that against myself from 3 months ago, I'd win with ease. Then there's the serpent style. I've fully mastered it by now. Not only that, during these 3 months I've basically walked through every corner of the Leaf Village, leaving my Flying Thunder God markers at every key location just in case. As for natural energy, I haven't held back either. Besides letting Soren draw my blood for testing, I've also offered him unique insights now and then, which makes him like me even more. There was even one crucial experiment that genuinely impressed him. So, Soren and I have shifted from a mere researcher and subject relationship into something more like research partners. However, just as I finish packing up to leave, Kai suddenly appears behind me and calls out, Ember, there you are. I'm signing up for the Chunin exam a month from now. What about you? Want to join? Hearing that, I can't help sighing to myself. Becoming a Chunin at 6 and a Jonin by 13, that record is just monstrous. But Kai doesn't notice what I'm thinking and keeps going. Your Rasengan actually inspired me to develop an emergency jutsu of my own. Hearing that, I straighten up a little, thinking to myself, he's about to invent Thousand Birds. Looks like I'm witnessing history in the making. So, drawing on my knowledge of Thousand Birds from my past life, I offer Kai plenty of suggestions, which help him enormously. Over the following days, I keep training while helping Kai develop his jutsu. I have to say, Kai's talent is genuinely astonishing. Within half a month, he can already perform Thousand Birds. After training that day, Kai turns to me. I won't be training with you tomorrow. My father's mission is over. He's expected back tomorrow. Hearing that, I jump straight up. Corvin's coming home? I've really missed him. Let's go greet him together tomorrow. What neither Kai nor I know is that a massive conspiracy is already unfolding at this very moment. The next day arrives in a blink. At the Leaf Village gate. When Kai and I arrive, we're surprised to find we're not the only ones waiting at the entrance. A huge crowd of enthusiastic villagers is also there, waiting for Corvin's return. It turns out that while on duty at the Cloud Village border, Corvin single-handedly captured a whole group of Cloud Shinobi spies sent to gather intel. Suddenly the streets fill with people, the crowd bursts into excitement, and everyone rushes forward. Master Corvin, thank you for protecting our village. Master Corvin is so handsome. Even the Hokage doesn't get this kind of praise normally, yet here it is, non-stop. Corvin really is popular, and hearing his own friend gush like this, Kai's face turns a rare shade of pink. Guess we won't get to see my father right now. Let's just go home and wait. That evening, right after finishing his mission report to the Hokage, Corvin heads home exhausted, and the moment he steps in, he's greeted by the smell of a delicious meal, courtesy of me and Kai's own cooking. During dinner, Corvin talks with us about a lot of things, though for confidentiality reasons he can't share too many details about the mission itself, mostly telling us about life and customs at the cloud border instead. Just then Corvin suddenly turns to me. Ember, I hear you've become Soren's student? I fill Corvin in on the whole story, and he falls silent for a moment, thinking, then says with a frown, Soren's power is formidable, and he's a responsible teacher. He's not a bad mentor by any means, but he's the kind of man who never moves without profit in mind. Be careful dealing with him. I understand, this is Corvin genuinely treating me like family, willing to risk offending someone just to give me this warning. The three of us go on to discuss all kinds of training matters, and thanks to Corvin's advice, Kai and I both come away feeling inspired. But far from this happy reunion, over at the Root headquarters, Warwick's mood is anything but pleasant. Staring at the report of Corvin's glorious feat, and recalling the scene today, villagers lining the streets to welcome him back, he can't help thinking that on his path toward becoming Hokage, he now has yet another rival. And now, he can no longer hold back his jealousy. Why should it be him? I've contributed so much to the Leaf in the shadows, and he gets treated like this. With a wave of his hand, a Root operative appears like a ghost emerging from the shadows. Warwick asks coldly, in the past few days, have we captured any Sand Village shinobi? Yes, sir. Hearing the answer, Warwick pulls out a scroll and writes something unknown on it, then rolls it closed. But after much hesitation, he decides against using a sealing jutsu on it, because he knows all too well Sand Village's sealing techniques are on another level. Anything too advanced they simply couldn't crack. With that in mind, he hands the scroll to his subordinate, and tells him to find a convincing excuse to release that Sand Shinobi, then have him deliver this scroll to Thane and that old woman. Watching his subordinate take the scroll and vanish at once, Warwick's face twists into a wicked smile. Corvin, don't blame me for this. For the Leaf to get the leadership it deserves, I have no choice but to get rid of you. Days pass quickly. Over these days, Soren keeps me in his lab, helping with his research. By his own assessment, my actual research skill is basically zero, but my unexpected ideas always seem to spark something in him. Because of that, he officially brings me into his research team. And today, he shows me his most secret research. Ember, you should know, after you see what I've been working on, it might just cost you your head. There's a clear warning in Soren's eyes, as if he's trying to talk me out of it. But as someone who's been reincarnated here, how could I not know exactly what he's up to? I can only say, since I chose to become his student, I've already mapped out the path he'll take after his defection. So I look up and tell him I'm ready. Haha, Ember, your attitude toward research is right up my alley. Soren looks at me, approval clear in his eyes. Soon, I follow him into a hidden chamber. The moment I step inside, I feel an overwhelming surge of life energy, every cell in my body suddenly buzzing with activity. Ever since I gained Yang-release chakra, my sense for life energy has grown far sharper, but I've never felt it this concentrated before. After that, Soren shows me a piece of tissue from Alaric's body, soaking in a petri dish. Too bad it's not the head, or I could have tried patting it. Not only that, Soren leads me over to an incubation pod, inside which is a boy of about 4 or 5, the only one who survived after receiving a transplant of Founder's cells. Listening to Soren's explanation, I instantly recognize it. This must be Milo, the future construction expert. But as Soren gets to this part, disappointment crosses his face. The problem is, the transplant risk is still extremely high. Aside from the subject in front of you, not a single one has successfully integrated the Founder's cells. Hearing that, I can't help asking, why not try a localized transplant of the cells instead? Soren replies, with a localized transplant, the risk would actually be even greater. The Founder cells would uncontrollably drain the subject's chakra and eventually grow into a full tree. What he doesn't expect is that my next answer makes his eyes light up instantly. I lay out the concept involving Dax and Warwick that I remember from the original story, offering it to Soren as a suggestion. This idea of yours is fascinating. It actually sounds very feasible. Soren can barely contain the excitement in his voice, as if he's already worked out how to put it into practice. Afterward, he goes on to discuss the mysteries of natural energy with me. As someone who watched the Pain Invasion arc 10 times over as a die-hard fan, I could easily explain every detail of natural energy's mechanics to Soren, but I choose not to. I know the old lesson, once the rabbit is caught, the hunting dog gets cooked. If I burn through my trump cards too early without overwhelming strength to back me up, that's a dangerous game to play. Both of us know full well that in this teacher-student bond, affection comes second, interest comes first. We talk pleasantly for a good while, and evening arrives before long. Sensing it's getting late, Soren turns to me. Remember that live combat exercise I mentioned before? There's an urgent mission now, escorting a Sand Village shinobi back to the sand. I accept it. We leave in 3 days. But after hearing him out, I suddenly ask, if a sand shinobi is going back to sand, why do we have to be the ones escorting him? Soren patiently explains this shinobi is actually a defector, who stole a Sand Village secret technique, and was ultimately caught by the Leaf. Calling it an escort is really just a polite word for extradition. Hearing this, I finally understand the real nature of this mission. So the thing we need to guard against is anyone who covets this secret technique, right? Exactly. Because this technique is extremely powerful, quite a few people are after it. Seeing my grave expression, Soren just laughs it off. Don't be so tense, I'll be coming along with you. I nod. And even though I know with Soren backing me up nothing too serious should go wrong, this is still my very first mission, and it's already B rank, so I can't help feeling a bit nervous. Alright, that's it for today. Use these 3 days to say your goodbyes to friends. This trip will take at least half a month. Soren sees me out of the lab. Over the next few days I spend all my time preparing for the mission. I get every piece of travel gear ready and let my friends and elders know, each one telling me to stay safe on the road. Kai, meanwhile, is busy preparing for the Chunin exam. By the time I get back he'll probably already be a Chunin. Corvin's parting advice means the most to me. When he learns I'm heading to the Sand Village he thinks it over for a moment, then takes off his own sword. Ember, this sword is called White Fang. I'm lending it to you. I look at Corvin, a little puzzled, not quite catching his intent. Corvin, you know full well I don't even know how to use a sword. Corvin just smiles. This sword isn't for you to use, it's for others to see. It's a talisman, a way to protect you. Just as he says that, I cut in and finish the thought myself. And also a death sentence? Corvin nods approvingly. Exactly. This sword tells any enemy if they want to kill you they'd better be ready to be hunted down by the white fang of the leaf. Though of course it'll also draw out anyone who hates me. It suddenly dawns on me Corvin wants to test me this way. And he nods in confirmation. With Soren overseeing things, the worst outcome should just be a close call, no real harm. So consider this sword one more layer of insurance from me. Learning of Corvin's thoughtful intentions, I'm deeply moved. 3 days pass in a flash. I'm fully prepared to set out, though little do I know, a massive conspiracy is waiting for me. I arrive early at the village gate since this is my first time ever leaving the village, and I can't help feeling a bit excited. Before long, Master. Soren walks over with a man beside him. This must be our mission's target, I think to myself. Something about him just feels off, though. Before I can dwell on it, Soren has already finished the exit paperwork and calls for me and the man to set off. After we've walked a while, Soren, walking ahead, suddenly stops, scanning the surroundings, muttering to himself, now we're somewhere with no one around. Just as the two of us are still puzzling over what he means, Soren suddenly lunges. His neck stretches out in a flash, moving at blinding speed, and he sinks his teeth straight into the Sand Shinobi. As the Sand Shinobi lets out a piercing scream, Soren pulls his neck back and calmly licks his lips. What did you just do to me? Hearing that, Soren replies unbothered. It's a toxin that suppresses chakra. Don't worry, once you reach the Sand Village, both the poison and the wound will heal completely, without leaving a single trace. But for now, it's in your best interest to walk along with us quietly, or things could get troublesome for you. Soren says it flatly, then pays no more attention to the shinobi's expression, motioning for me to keep moving. Cade quietly gathers his chakra, but the moment he realizes everything Soren said is true, he gives up resisting. Because if someone injects you with poison in plain sight, and you're powerless to fight back, then there's a good chance he already could have killed you, and you still couldn't have stopped him. Just as the three of us continue our journey, outside the Leaf Village, unbeknownst to us, 3 Leaf Shadow Corps operatives suddenly appear, shooting forward like arrows loosed from a bow, turning into streaks of shadow, racing straight toward the three of us. Meanwhile, elsewhere, far off in the vast desert of Wind Country, a squad of Sand Shadow Corps stops to rest and resupply. If anyone looked closely, they'd notice these men's clothing blends in perfectly with the desert around them. Boss, we've been searching for a whole week now. Still no sign of Cade. Should we keep going? The squad leader hears this and glares back with bloodshot eyes. Cade went missing right at the Leaf border. He's most likely been captured by Leaf Ninja and there's critical intel locked in his head, so dead or alive we find him. Can't we just request backup from the village? Searching like this? When does it ever end? To his surprise, the moment the man finishes talking, the leader tears into him. Have you lost your mind? If word of this reaches the higher-ups, both our heads will be on the chopping block. The leader grows angrier as he speaks, then orders the squad to keep moving, heading toward the Leaf border in search of their missing comrade. Little do they know, the very man they've spent a week desperately searching for, Cade, is right now being escorted by Soren and me on our way to the Sand Village. We just haven't realized yet that the man we're escorting isn't a defector carrying stolen secrets, he's actually a Shadow Corps operative. Days of travel pass quickly, and the three of us finally reach the border of Fire Country. Just as we arrive, Cade abruptly says he can't walk anymore, plopping himself down beside a big tree to rest. Seeing this, Soren slowly walks over. Mr. Cade, you haven't quite figured out your place here, have you? I can clearly feel that with every step Soren takes closer, his killing intent grows heavier. Even so, Cade, already pale-faced from the pressure, still refuses to budge. Looks like we've got a stubborn one, Soren says, his gaze turning ruthless. Just then, a bird flies overhead. To anyone else, this bird looks perfectly ordinary. But the moment Soren spots it, the corner of his mouth curls into a slight smile. He turns back to Cade leaning against the tree. Since you want to rest, why not just take a nice long nap? With that, he knocks him out cold with a single punch, then turns to me. He has no chakra left, and he won't be waking up anytime soon. Stay here and watch him. I've got something to take care of. I just nod, saying, got it. I don't press him about what it is, because I know full well, whatever Soren doesn't want to say, Pushing for answers gets me nowhere. As Soren vanishes in a flash, I start examining this sand shinobi closely. Sure enough, Soren appears in front of the 3-leaf Shadow Corps agents. Talk. Using Old Solan's signal method to contact me, what exactly do you want? Facing Soren's terrifying presence, the lead leaf agent drops to one knee, forcing himself to stay calm. Reporting, Lord Soren. Lord Solan sent us here on a covert mission. After investigating, we discovered that your escort target is not actually a defector carrying stolen secrets. He's supposed to have been silenced. The Shadow Corps agent finishes, and Soren's face immediately lights up with understanding, licking his lips. No wonder his behavior seemed so odd. The lead agent goes on. Days ago he was captured by the Root, yet now he's quietly heading back toward the Sand Village. The Hokage suspects there's a plot behind this, and sent us to uncover the truth. Having briefly laid out their mission, the lead agent lowers his head, waiting for Soren's response. Warwick's handiwork, is it? Didn't expect Ember's very first mission to run into something like this. Quickly making sense of the situation, Soren gives his orders on the spot. The three of them should trail behind at a distance and stand by, while he goes ahead to see what's really going on. With that, Soren turns and leaves, leaving behind 3 Shadow Corps agents, looking like they just survived a near-death encounter, gasping for breath, all because the pressure Soren radiates is simply overwhelming. Meanwhile, I'm carefully studying Cade in front of me, and I finally spot what's off about him. It's his outfit. Ask yourself, what defector who just fled would be wearing such immaculate gear, complete with a perfectly worn forehead protector? This shinobi's real identity might not be as simple as we thought. The thought sets off alarm bells in my head, and I quickly drag Cade aside, and sure enough, on the trunk he was just leaning against, there's a mark I can't decipher. Without a doubt, this is a signal Cade just left behind. Without hesitation, I open my palm and a pale blue Rasengan forms and slams down onto the mark, its sheer destructive force not only erasing the mark completely, but tearing the entire tree out by its roots. After checking the area and finding no other tricks Cade has left behind, I bind him tight with rope I brought along, leaving a flying thunder god marker on him too. Just as I finish all this, Soren happens to return. Seeing the fallen tree, Cade tied up head to foot, and me standing there, drenched in sweat, Soren falls deep into thought. Even so, he quickly fills me in on everything that just happened. Once my suspicions are confirmed, I'm relieved I acted decisively when I did. But just as the two of us, teacher and student, discuss how to handle Cade, far away, in the Sand Village deep in Wind Country, Yara is having a secret conversation with a Jonin. Torin's team hasn't sent back any word in over a week. Something's likely gone wrong. Roth, I'm sending you this time officially to take my grandson on a training trip. But really, I need you to secretly track down where Torin's squad went. The Jonin nods at this, then turns and departs. What neither of them knows is that right now, Torin's squad is already in complete disarray. Boss, let's just head back to the village. We're already at the Wind Country border. If we keep dragging this out and the village finds out, there's no escaping a death sentence for us. Hearing this, Torin, who used to be unshakably resolute, starts to waver, and after a moment of thought finally stands up. Pack up. One last sweep with my summons, and if we come up empty, we're heading back. With that, Torin summons over a dozen lizards, which scatter out in every direction at once, carrying out the squad's final search. Meanwhile, Cade wakes up only to find himself already tied up tight. What are you two doing? Is this how you treat a client? Cade glares angrily at Soren and me, while the two of us stand there with a torch, idly poking through Cade's belongings out of sheer boredom. Hearing Cade's accusation, Soren smiles, amused. You think I don't know what you did? A supposed defector secretly sending signals for help. Even though his little trick has been exposed, Cade breathes a sigh of relief once he realizes they still don't know his true identity, and the fear that just gripped him starts to ease. Just then, Soren senses something and jerks his head aside, mouth flying open, his tongue lashes out in a flash, just like a frog snatching prey, snapping a nearby branch, and the next moment, a half-dead lizard drops to the ground. A puff of white smoke drifts by, and the lizard vanishes. I say, startled, a summon? Looks like whoever's after you has arrived. Soren says it in an eerily calm tone, but Cade doesn't respond, instead thinking to himself, Torin, my captain, you've finally come. As the lizard disappears, Torin senses something amiss in the distance, and without another word, rallies his squad and races full speed toward our location. Right then, I turn on Cade, shouting furiously, You still had the nerve to pull tricks! Without warning, I step forward, reaching out to pat Cade's head, and a powerful surge of insight courses straight through his entire body. Ding! Head pat, B-rank Shinobi Cade. Choose 2 rewards from the following. Ignoring the system's chime, my hand plunges straight into Cade's body, tearing through flesh and blood, until a blood-soaked scroll ends up in my grasp. I quickly carry the scroll over to Soren, ignoring Cade, who's still bleeding out. After all, ever since sealing the scroll inside himself, Cade always knew that someday it would have to come out, which is exactly why he deliberately sealed it in a spot that wouldn't be fatal. But once Soren takes the scroll, he doesn't open it right away. Instead, he simply holds it between his teeth. His hands flash through hand signs, and a fire-style jutsu shoots into the sky. It has no offensive power at all, but it's more than enough to alert the leaf agent standing by in the distance, and it's already reached Torin's squad, already racing toward the 3 of us. Upon seeing the fire signal, their resolve only hardens further, and their pace quickens without thinking. A massive battle is about to break out. But standing right at the center of the storm, neither Soren nor I show a hint of panic. Instead, the completely unsealed scroll in front of us has thoroughly captured both of our attention. Soren licks his lips, clearly intrigued. Ember, aren't you even the slightest bit curious what's written inside? Having gotten pretty comfortable around Soren by now, I don't even give him the courtesy of a soft answer. Come on, teacher. You know this thing is a hot potato. If whoever's behind this ever found out we peeked at that scroll, you'd be totally fine. But I'd be the one in serious trouble. Hearing that, Soren just laughs, but he doesn't open the scroll either, not while his own research remains unfinished. Better safe than sorry. But mid-conversation, Soren suddenly seems to sense something and quietly puts the scroll away. Staying alert as always, I slip into combat mode too. Suddenly, several kunai come flying out of the shadows. For a moment, Soren just stands there, not moving an inch, as if frozen in shock. But I know better, he's just being plain lazy. I sweep my hand across my pouch, and a finely made kunai appears in my grip. With a flash of sparks, I deflect every single one of the incoming kunai. I grin. You're really underestimating me here, aren't you? At that, 5 shinobi step out of the shadows, all wearing matching Sand Village uniforms. It's Torin's squad, arriving at full speed. Soren, drawing on years of dealing with the Sand Village, judges this is unmistakably an elite Sand Border Patrol squad. Among these 5 shinobi, Torin and 2 others are Jonin-level fighters, while the remaining 2 hold Chunin-level strength, and adding in Cade, the tied-up Jonin, Torin's team at full strength actually adds up to 4 Jonin and 2 Chunin. Looks like they mean business. The playfulness in Soren's eyes fades a little. Torin, leading the group, quickly assesses the situation before him. But the moment he spots Cade, the very teammate he's been desperately searching for, Torin can no longer hold back his fury. The words are barely out when 3 Jonin, Torin included, charge at Soren like cannonballs. Take out the leader first, Torin thinks, dead certain of it. This cold, unreadable man in front of him is impossible even for him to see through. If they don't take him down first, this mission is bound to end in failure. Meanwhile, Soren leaves me with one calm, unhurried line. Take care of the 2 Chunin. Let's see what 3 months of training got you. With that, he engages Torin and the other 2 in close combat. Though Torin's trio attacks fiercely, Soren still moves at an easy, unhurried pace, handling everything with room to spare. It's not that his opponents are holding back, it's that Soren's strength simply crushes everyone present. It's only for the sake of testing me that Soren deliberately keeps the 3 of them occupied, creating the right conditions for my own fight. I catch on to what Soren's doing, and without a moment's hesitation, I charge straight at the 2 Chunin. The 2 Chunin aren't idle either. One focuses on freeing Cade, while the other tries to hold me off. But the ropes I used are simply too tight. This particular rope can't even be cut through with a kunai in any hurry. After 3 months of training, my strength has reached the level of a special Jonin. I lunge forward, appearing before one of the Chunin in an instant. I throw a single fast punch, and the sheer force behind it instantly strips my opponent of all ability to fight back. Seeing this, the other Chunin's pupils shrink at once, since he's never seen someone this powerful, or this ruthless, at such a young age. Even so, he doesn't stop what he's doing, knowing full well that freeing a Jonin is far more valuable than rushing in to fight me directly. But there's no way I'll give him that chance. I sprint straight toward the Chunin in an instant. Cade never expects that the boy who'd been playing dumb this whole time actually possesses such terrifying strength. With no time to think, Cade shouts at the Chunin who's still sawing at the rope with his kunai, "Use a jutsu!" The Chunin freezes for a beat, then, not daring to waste another second, immediately starts forming hand signs. Just as I appear in front of the 2 of them, he finishes the final sign. "Wind style, wind cutter!" With the Chunin's furious shout, razor-sharp blades of wind erupt from behind him. I don't even flinch. These past 3 months of Soren's training have completely fixed every flaw in my footwork. Not only that, I've also combined serpentine body modification with sensing, developing a whole new form of combat intuition. This lets me sense danger the instant it approaches, and use my modified body to dodge instantly. Facing the wind blades rushing toward me, radiating danger, I stay perfectly relaxed, completely unhurried. All it takes is a slight sidestep, and every single blade sails harmlessly past. What? That's impossible! Before he can process his shock, I'm already standing right in front of the last Chunin. Just as I'm about to repeat the same move to take away his ability to fight too, I don't expect that Cade, beside us, slowly gets to his feet, gives his body a single shake, and the rope, tough as it was moments ago, slips loose and falls to the ground instantly. So the wind blades were really meant for you all along, I say flatly, while the others try to strike while my attention is split, but I knock the Chunin flat with a single punch, leaving him unconscious. Just then, a sharp cracking sound rings out. It's Cade, cracking his knuckles. Even though Soren's toxin is still suppressing his chakra, even a starving camel beats a healthy horse. And Cade is a seasoned elite Shadow Corps veteran. His refined combat skill alone, combined with his brutal taijutsu, is more than enough to give me real trouble. Facing Cade's fury, who charges at me like a cheetah at full speed, I stand right where I am, still perfectly calm. System, extracting reward. The moment I see the reward, my eyes light up. Guess I shouldn't be surprised he's Shadow Corps after all. Assassination mastery of all things. Without any hesitation, I make my choice at once. I pick Assassination Mastery, Vacuum Domain, and Moderate Physique Enhancement. The rewards kick in almost instantly, and a familiar wave of pain makes me wince, but right after, I feel my body flooding with strength like never before. You dare lose focus mid-battle. With a furious roar, Cade's form materializes right in front of me, his kick launching at blistering speed. I block Cade's furious strike with my forearm, and it's obvious, now that my physique is moderately enhanced, my strength has jumped up considerably, and that alone genuinely stuns Cade. Just then, from the direction where Soren is fighting the three Jonin, a violent surge of chakra suddenly erupts. My heart lifts. Looks like Solen's Shadow Core has arrived. The outcome must already be decided. Cade reaches the same conclusion, glances briefly toward where Soren is fighting, and abruptly turns around, sprinting away deep into Wind Country. There's no way I'm letting him get away that easily. After all, if Cade makes it back to the Sand Village, every scrap of intel about me and my village ends up straight in enemy hands. But instead of chasing after Cade as he speeds away, I don't rush to give chase. I steady myself and call out calmly, "Simplified Sage Mode, activate!" In an instant, with me at the center, a powerful web of natural energy spreads outward. Thanks to Sage Mode and the Mindwood Clan sensing technique, I can read exactly what state Soren and everyone else are in. Right now, every shinobi caught up in the chaos can also feel my blatant sensing sweeping over them. Even though this kind of scan is far from subtle, Soren still recognizes his own student's chakra signature. Once the Leaf Shinobi hear Soren's explanation, they gradually lower their guard, but the Sand Jonin's faces turn grim, because they know the battle over there is most likely finished, and their two Chunin are probably in serious trouble. Once I confirm that Soren and the others have no attention left to spare on me, I gather all my focus and call out softly, "Flying Thunder God technique." Earlier, just to be safe, I placed a Flying Thunder God marker on Cade. As Cade keeps sprinting away, he can already see Wind Country's border, endless desert stretching out in the distance. After everything he's been through, Cade even finds himself missing this same old desert he used to be sick of, more than he ever thought possible. Just then, suddenly a flash of red light streaks by and I appear instantly, right above Cade's head. "Sorry, but you're staying right here." "What? How could you?" Before his shock even registers, I reach out my hand from above and a pale blue Rasengan forms instantly. With a thunderous blast, thick smoke billows into the air. But the old rule of smoke without harm doesn't seem to apply here at all. Once the smoke clears, there on the ground, a massive crater blasted out by the Rasengan slowly comes into view, Cade's mangled body lying at the bottom of it, too grim to look at. I wipe the sweat from my brow. Finally, it's over. Just as I let my guard down a little, an ill-timed set of footsteps suddenly rings out. "Well then, you've just killed a Sand Village shinobi right here on Wind Country's border, little leaf boy." It's Roth and Ronan the Sand Scorpion. Sensing someone approaching, I snap into combat mode instantly, saying flatly, "Well, one wave never seems to end before the next one hits." Roth sneers at that. "Just who exactly are you, and why are you carrying the sword of none other than the White Fang of the Leaf?" At those words, Ronan, who's been lurking in the shadows this whole time, slowly lifts his head, studying me closely, and in the same moment, I recognize him too, thinking to myself, so this is the Sand Scorpion. Even though his presence isn't overwhelmingly terrifying, my instincts tell me that facing him is going to be extremely dangerous. Even knowing Corvin killed Ronan's parents, I have no intention of tarnishing Corvin's generosity in lending me this sword, so I choose to answer honestly, "The White Fang of the Leaf is an elder of mine." "What, looking to have a meeting with him?" Though my words come out sharp, Roth doesn't show a hint of anger. The White Fang's reputation speaks for itself. If I fought him, the odds wouldn't favor me. But, killing one of our Shadow Corps operatives on Sand Village's own territory, what punishment does that deserve? Hearing this, I realize this man isn't the type to be intimidated just by the name of the Leaf's White Fang. Facing two seriously powerful opponents, my eyes flick with a quick thought and a plan forms in my mind at once. I drop my guard entirely and instead face Roth head-on, chin high. "Your Sand Village tried to steal classified Leaf intelligence and I've just carried out justice on the spot, and now you want to attack me for it? Is the Sand Village trying to start a war?" That sharp, cutting reply leaves Roth completely stunned. After all, he's only just arrived at the border, with no time yet to actually investigate anything, and now, this Leaf shinobi is pinning that kind of accusation on him. His instinct kicks in, wanting to clear things up. The instant he tries to explain, I know he's already taken the bait. I can tell Roth is an elite Jonin himself, and a genuinely formidable one. If a real fight breaks out now, I'm bound to come out worse for it. Still, I have no plan to just use the Flying Thunder God to flee. I don't want to reveal my greatest trump card to the Sand Village. What I don't expect is the sudden clatter of mechanisms, as a puppet called Crow suddenly lunges at me. But this unexpected turn doesn't throw me off at all. After all these body enhancements, this speed of movement is honestly child's play to me. I trigger my combat intuition, dodging Ronan's attacks with plenty of room to spare, while continuing to press Roth with words. "As a Jonin yourself, aren't you going to rein in your subordinate here? Should I take this as the Sand declaring war on the Leaf?" When it comes to raw power, Roth's strength as an elite Jonin is well known throughout the Sand Village, but when it comes to politics, he's completely out of his depth. Just as he's caught in this dilemma, his student Ronan suddenly cuts in. "Either way, he did kill Cade, didn't he? If we just silence him permanently, won't the story be ours to tell?" Hearing that, I think to myself instantly, this is bad. Sure enough, all hesitation vanishes from Roth's eyes, replaced entirely by killing intent. I snort coldly at that. The prodigy puppeteer with the deadliest bloodlust, that's the sand scorpion for you. Living up to the name, no doubt about it. Ronan doesn't even acknowledge me, instead saying coldly, tell me your connection to the white fang of the leaf, and I'll leave your corpse intact. That's quite the mouth on you. I settle into a proper fighting stance, going all in. A brutal battle now unavoidable. I've never fought a battle this hard before. Forced to face alone an elite Jonin at the peak of his power, plus a puppeteer with terrifying natural talent. I know deep down that with my current strength alone I'm not yet strong enough to take them head on. The best strategy is to stall for time and conserve my strength, dragging things out until Soren arrives. But that seemingly simple plan turns out to be brutally hard to actually pull off. Roth excels at taijutsu, and even with my physique enhanced multiple times over, I can barely hold my own against him. One brutal roundhouse kick from Roth sends me flying, and Ronan doesn't let up either, manipulating his puppet crow, rigged with countless mechanisms and poison, launching one lethal attack after another. Facing a situation like this, I know that if I keep stalling, things can only get worse. I have to play a trump card now. My hands flash through hand signs, and as white smoke rises, 3 shadow clones suddenly appear at my side. Whatever you're planning, you're not going to get away with it, I say flatly, while Ronan controls Crow, sweeping in with mechanical blades soaked in deadly poison. Meanwhile, Roth erupts with a burst of ghost-like speed, appearing like a specter right in front of me and my clones. But I've completely shaken off my earlier struggle by now, my eyes now filled with pure calm. Facing both of them attacking at once, I respond without a shred of panic. 2 of my shadow clones charge straight at the puppet, screaming in like a cannonball, serpent's hidden hand. With a low shout from one of the clones, 5 thick white serpents burst violently from his sleeves, wrapping around Crow in an instant, ready to crush the puppet into splinters. Ronan's pupils contract. He never suspected I'd been holding back this whole time. But even with just that brief hesitation, his puppet is already starting to strain under pressure. Ronan snaps back to focus at once, his fingers flicking lightly, and blades suddenly spring out in every direction all across Crow's body, and within just seconds, they slice clean through the serpents wrapped tightly around him. Right at that same moment, my other shadow clone deploys a Rasengan and with a fierce shout, slams the Rasengan in his hand hard into the puppet's body. Crow, still showing off its fierce prowess moments ago, is instantly hit with a devastating impact, the high-speed spinning chakra grinding the puppet's chest to pieces. Crow crashes to the ground like a kite with its string cut. Meanwhile, at the same time, Soren's battle is also nearing its end. With 3 Shadow Corps agents now joining in, Torrent's squad falls further behind, and it's not long before Soren's side crushes them completely. Alright, mission complete. Time to head back with Ember. Just as he extends his sensory range to carefully locate where I am, his brow furrows tightly in the very next second. Instantly, killing intent as dense as a mountain of corpses floods outward, crashing again and again into the 3 Shadow Corps agents present. All 3 drop to one knee at once, their captain speaking with a slight tremble. Lord Soren, is there anything we can do? But Soren acts as if he hasn't even heard him, continuing to widen his sensory range. The moment his sense reaches Wind Country's border, his pupils narrow because he can feel that I'm currently fighting an elite Jonin and a puppeteer at the same time. How did that kid end up all the way out there? With no time to think it through, Soren pulls out the secret scroll Cade was carrying and tosses it to the Shadow Corps captain. Report back to headquarters. The instant he says it, Soren shoots off like a cannonball, racing straight toward where I'm fighting. Faster. Just a little faster. The thought echoes in Soren's mind as he recalls that boy from a rainy night long ago killed by an explosive tag. Ever since that moment, Soren has deeply understood just how fragile human life really is. With that thought, Soren pushes himself even faster. Don't you dare die on me, Ember. Meanwhile, on my end, just as my 2 clones deal a heavy blow to Ronan's puppet, my real body and 1 clone are locked in battle with Roth. With no wasted words, I go straight for a brutal, fist-to-fist brawl with Roth. Even with a shadow clone helping to harass him, Roth's taijutsu is simply too overwhelming, and none of my attacks manage to land cleanly. Even so, I don't show even a hint of frustration or anger. My eyes stay perfectly clear the whole time. Suddenly, Roth seizes his chance, driving a devastating punch straight into my stomach, but I don't even try to dodge it. Roth stares at me, visibly caught off guard, and in my eyes he reads nothing but pure, boundless madness. As blood sprays from my mouth, both my hands land on Roth's head. Ding! Head pat, Elite Jonin Roth. Choose 3 rewards from the following. In just an instant, I'm sent flying backward, while Roth's body now carries my Flying Thunder God marker. I spit out a mouthful of blood, glaring coldly at Roth, silently thinking, extract reward. Without hesitation, I go straight for 3 major boost type effects. Instantly, agonizing, bone-deep pain tears through every limb in my body, but Roth doesn't give me a moment to recover. His fist, heavy as a sledgehammer, slams straight toward my chest, but the outcome I expected, my body shattering, never comes. Instead, I dart aside like a startled hare, slipping past that lethal strike entirely. That was way too close. I brushed the dirt off myself, and right now I can clearly feel that my physical abilities have reached the level of a Jonin. Roth doesn't waste any more words, pressing forward to keep grappling with me. But as the fight drags on, he starts to realize more and more that the boy in front of him seems to have gotten stronger. All at once, what used to be his overwhelming advantage has now become an even match between the two of us, and Roth's expression grows increasingly grim, while my own eyes start to burn brighter. But right as the two of us clash fiercely, Ronan, who's been struggling to control his broken puppet crow this whole time, suddenly makes his move. His fingers dance through the air, fine threads of chakra manipulating the puppet's every motion. The very next moment my two clones, previously holding the upper hand, suddenly explode. Intense pain surges into my mind, freezing my movements for just a split second. But that split second is all it takes. Roth seizes the opening instantly. His deadly, iron-hard fist slams into me without mercy. At the same time, from within Crow's arm, a kunai shoots out like lightning, its blade gleaming with an eerie green light, clearly laced with deadly poison. As my body crashes backward like a torn sandbag, the poisoned kunai strikes true, embedding itself right in my shoulder. The situation takes a sharp turn for the worse. I can tell things are looking really bad. My body is starting to grow numb and weak from the poison. What neither of them expects is that the very next moment, I force myself back to my feet with everything I've got, using life restoration for now to forcibly suppress the poison in my body, then unleash every ounce of strength I have, moving at a speed even Roth can't react to, and rush straight at Ronan. Even though Ronan is a puppeteer, his physical abilities are also at Chunin level, but he still can't escape my grasp. He doesn't even have time to pull Crow back for defense. The moment my hand touches Ronan's head, the poison in my system finally erupts fully, and I collapse right in front of him. But just as a soft thud of footsteps touches down, Soren has already arrived, standing before the three of us. Behind him, an entire stretch of forest lies wrecked from his high-speed sprint. The moment Roth recognizes who's arrived, he musters every ounce of strength to whip his head around and shout at Ronan, "What are you standing there for? Run!" But before he can even finish, Soren's tongue pierces straight through Roth's right hand. If it hadn't been for Roth's right hand shielding him, that strike would have gone straight through his heart. Watching his own master have a hand crippled with such terrifying ease, Ronan finally understands just how powerful this newcomer is. Without a moment's hesitation, he turns and flees at full speed. Watching Ronan's retreating figure, decisive and without a shred of hesitation, Roth isn't the least bit surprised, because he knows Ronan is a rational person, someone who always adapts his decisions to whatever the situation calls for. But he also knows full well that Ronan is anything but cold-hearted. This retreat isn't him abandoning the fight, it's him going to find someone who can actually save him. With that thought, Roth ignores his ruined right hand entirely, pulls a purple pill from his pouch, and swallows it without a second thought. Watching Roth's actions, Soren's eyes narrow slightly. He'd seen a pill like this before, during the Second Great Ninja War, crafted by the Sand Village's Yara. Its effect pushes a shinobi's hidden potential to its absolute limit, but its toxicity is severe. If a Jonin doesn't receive treatment within 10 minutes of taking it, they'll drop dead on the spot. Soren turns his head, glances over at me lying on the ground, and realizes he doesn't have much time left to keep fighting Roth. This has to end quickly. Serpent's hidden hand. Even though it's the same technique, Soren's version is clearly far more powerful than mine. 7 massive dark brown serpents burst violently out of his sleeves, rushing straight at Roth. Not only that, every one of these serpents is ferocious beyond belief. The sheer intensity they give off can even leave onlookers briefly stunned, rivaling the effect of a minor genjutsu. Roth clearly falls for it. In an instant, the 7 serpents wrap tightly around him, squeezing his body without let-up. Being crushed by these giant serpents is far beyond what any elite Jonin could break free from, but it just so happens he's already taken that toxic pill. Fueled by the pill's effects, his power now hovers just below peak Jonin level. As Roth straightens his body sharply, an invisible wave of force erupts instantly, even triggering a small sonic boom. The serpents' bodies drop to the ground one after another, while Roth's presence just keeps climbing higher. Soren glances once more at me lying on the ground, realizing there's truly no more time to lose. So in the very next instant, his hands flash through hand signs at blinding speed, and the chakra in his body drains out at a speed like never before. Earth Dragon Flame Torrent. That's right, Soren, a true genius of jutsu, has flawlessly mastered even Solon's own signature combo jutsu. Right in front of Soren, a massive earth dragon rapidly takes shape, its enormous jaws yawning open like an abyss, a torrent of thick mud erupting from within. Not only that, the dragon then spews out scorching flames the very next instant. 2 terrifying elemental forces carrying an aura of pure destruction, surging violently toward Roth. Roth wants desperately to dodge, but he's already locked in Soren's sights with no escape, and the wounds from the earlier serpent's hidden hand are severely limiting his ability to move. Looks like I've got no choice but to take this head on. The massive energy unleashes an incredibly powerful shockwave, and the thunderous roar it produces sends a chill straight through Ronan even from a distance, but he still forces himself to run even faster. That sound jolts me back from unconsciousness. With what little strength I have left, I activate life restoration to check my body. The poison has spread through me. Without treatment soon I won't survive. In my mind I think claim reward. The truth is, the instant Ronan's attack struck me, I had already planned my counter. I would use the reward from patting Ronan's head to turn the tide. Ding! Head pat complete, B-rank ninja Ronan. Choose 2 of the following rewards. When I see the last reward on the list, relief washes over me. Because if the head pat doesn't give me a cure, there's nothing left to do but leave it to fate. In my mind, I choose Grandmaster Pharmacology and Advanced Trap Engineering. Soon, as the rewards are granted, but what comes next isn't the pain I expect. I focus, sensing carefully, and realize the poison has already begun to damage my senses. But the rewards have been granted, which means I've just become a pharmacology master to rival Ronan himself. Sensing the poison inside me, I quickly work out its exact composition, and I know exactly how to brew the antidote. But I can't summon any strength at all. My whole body feels ice cold. And with my new mastery of pharmacology, I understand. I'm already at death's door. Suddenly a figure appears before me. It's Soren. With a heavy thud, Roth's severed head hits the ground, tossed there by Soren. Seeing the state I'm in, Soren rushes to check on me, and when he finds I'm still breathing, he lets out a rare sigh of relief. Seeing Soren arrive, the last weight on my chest finally lifts. With every ounce of strength left in me, I whisper, barely audible, how to save myself, and then I slip back into unconsciousness. Soren doesn't dare waste a second. All he can do now is trust his student. Trust that this 6 or 7-year-old boy, who has pulled off miracle after miracle, knows what he's doing. Finally, after taking the antidote, my breathing steadies, and warmth slowly returns to my body. Ember, you really are a miracle of a kid. Soren carries me on his back, heading back toward the Leaf Village, making sure to erase every trace of the battle along the way, so nothing comes back to bite them later. While I have escaped death, things aren't going nearly as well for Ronan. Lord Kazekage, please send reinforcements. Ronan's face remains as still as ever, but his voice carries a hint of urgency. You're saying Roth has already taken the poison pill? His odds were already grim, especially against Soren, one of the legendary Sannin. The third Kazekage pauses, the meaning behind his silence painfully clear. But Ronan pushes on anyway. Please, Lord Kazekage, don't give up on him. But before he can finish, the third Kazekage cuts him off with a sharp shout. Enough! And then, the full weight of Akage's presence crashes down, draining what little color remained in Ronan's already pale, travel-worn face. At this, Yara, who had been listening quietly, speaks up. That's enough, Kazekage. Ronan is still young. He doesn't know any better. As she speaks, a scroll slips quietly into her hand. Go on, step back. Ronan still wants to argue, but seeing that even his grandmother agrees, all the fight drains out of him, and the light fades from his eyes. As he slowly walks out the door, he thinks of his parents, and of Roth, who threw himself in harm's way. Without a moment's hesitation, Ronan's eyes turn utterly cold. You'd better watch your back, third Kazekage. Meanwhile, elsewhere, in a nameless cave on the outskirts of the Leaf Village, Soren has turned the space into a makeshift resting spot. After sleeping the entire journey, I slowly stir awake. Well, if it isn't our Leaf Village's Genius Academy student, looking so worse for wear. Soren's teasing voice drifts over, but I catch a note of genuine relief in it. I push myself up with my hands and slowly rise to my feet. Master Soren, is the enemy dealt with? Soren nods, his voice hoarse. The red-headed kid got away, but I took care of the Jonin. Hearing this, I nod. Even though I couldn't stop my own information from leaking, at least a major threat has been eliminated, and that's enough for me. But what surprises me most is that you actually knew how to cure the poison. Soren's face shows genuine puzzlement as he teases. That red-headed kid is a master poison maker. Even I couldn't counter that poison right away, and he'll go far one day. I honestly thought I'd have to carry you to Briar for help. Ember, you really do keep surprising me. Hearing Soren's genuine praise, I can't help feeling pleased, but I don't offer any explanation. Instead, I turn the conversation with Soren toward what we gained from this fight. Soon, after resting for a while, master and student set off again toward the village. Meanwhile, in the Hokage's office in the Leaf Village. After hearing the Shadow Corps' mission report, the third Hokage picks up a secret scroll and reads through it carefully. How dare you, Warwick? Warwick, how could you move against Corvin? Fury rises in the third Hokage's chest. Bring Warwick to me. At this very moment, Warwick has just learned from his root operatives that the mission failed and the scroll has been taken. Useless. Absolutely useless. He slams his fist onto the massive desk, sending out a shockwave of pure rage. But after a moment of thought, a string of orders is issued in a cold, measured voice. Pull back the operatives watching Corvin, deploy 4 Shadow Corps squads immediately, to guard the border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Wind, and search for any trace of the dead Sand Ninja while you're at it. But just as Warwick is calmly arranging the cleanup, the Hokage's personal Shadow Corps burst in. Lord Warwick, the Hokage requests your presence at once. At that moment, inside the Hokage's office, Solon stands in a tense standoff with his old friend. After a long argument, Warwick snaps, seething with anger. Corvin's power is too dangerous. He's a destabilizing force for the Leaf. Everything I did for the village. Nonsense. Solon's temper finally snaps. Effective immediately, the Root's budget is cut by 20%, and its personnel by 30%. What? Solon, you'll regret this, Warwick. I am still the Hokage. Those words land like a hammer blow, striking Warwick right where it hurts most. Warwick storms out, slamming the door behind him, venom in his every thought. Corvin, Ember, Soren, I won't forget any of you. this isn't over. Even as dark currents churn beneath the surface of the leaf, on the surface life carries on, thriving, even livelier than usual, because the Chunin exams, the event everyone's watching, are underway. Congratulations to Kai, the youngest Chunin in Leaf Village history, the examiner announces, voice full of excitement, a moment this historic is bound to stir every heart watching. Kai's expression, meanwhile, stays perfectly calm, as he glances around at the crowd and calls out, Ember, I'm a Chunin now, come catch up to me. The crowd erupts instantly, stunned that Kai would call Ember out in public. It seems even geniuses can't help but respect each other. As people buzz about me back home, right now, I'm still on the road back to the Leaf Village with Soren, but neither of us knows yet that this clash with the sand is about to send ripples through every great nation in the shinobi world. Meanwhile, in the Tsuchikage's tower in the Land of Stone, a short, elderly man dressed in the ceremonial robes of the Tsuchikage sits upright on the throne, none other than the third Tsuchikage, Garrick. He listens carefully as a Stone Village operative reports on the state of the shinobi world. Oh, is that so? So the Sand Village has made an enemy of the Leaf. Good. Pass on my orders, stir up trouble between the sand and the leaf, muddy the waters as much as you can. But just as the operative turns to leave, Garrick adds, Wait, you mentioned a boy in the leaf with unusual talent, what's his name? The operative thinks for a moment, Ember. At the mention of that name, a flash of hostility crosses Garrick's eyes, as if some old memory has surfaced, and he looks at the operative continuing, Whatever it takes, find out everything you can about Ember. Meanwhile, unaware of all the attention now on me, I've just made it back to the village with Soren. Well done, both of you. The third Hokage smiles. Given the unusual circumstances, even though the original goal wasn't met, we'll still count this mission as a success. Ember, your very first mission, and it's an A rank. The third Hokage says to me with a smile. I scratch my head, glancing towards Soren. I was just the errand boy, the real credit goes to Master Soren. All three of us laugh, then Soren claps a hand on my shoulder. Alright Ember, you go on ahead, I still need to speak with the Hokage. Sensing the moment, I excuse myself first. I know there's still plenty waiting for Soren to deal with. Solen knows his student well, and if Soren has something specific to say, it must be important. But he never expects the bombshell Soren drops right away. Ember seems to have some kind of high-speed movement technique. Soren goes straight for my hidden card, and no matter how careful I thought I'd been, even with all my caution, I still underestimated how sharp Soren and the Hokage really are. I studied the Sand Ninja's escape route carefully, and the only footprints on it belonged to him. Ember's footprints just seemed to appear out of nowhere. Hearing this, the third Hokage strokes his chin. That is strange. Has Ember ever shown this kind of ability while training with you? No, never. Soren shakes his head. Then this kid has been deliberately hiding his true skill. That must be it. I don't know why, but whatever Ember has shown us so far is almost certainly not his full strength. Solen nods and says, Understood. Soren exchanges a few more words with the third Hokage, then walks out of the office. Meanwhile, back at home, I've just gathered with my friends for a meal, and I dress up the parts of the mission I'm allowed to share, adding some flair here and there, and everyone hangs on every word. Before long, an entire year slips by. Over that year, I complete 1 A-rank mission alongside Soren, 25 B-rank missions, and 10 C-rank missions on my own, gaining a wealth of real combat experience. Beyond that, as I grow older, my chakra reserves keep steadily growing, now approaching Jonin level, and my overall strength has already reached that of an elite Jonin. And by the way, after Kai's public call-out during the exams, I finally answer the challenge. And, taking first place just like Kai did, I'm promoted to Chunin as well, sending the whole Leaf Village into a buzz. 2 prodigies emerging back-to-back, how could the villagers not celebrate? But it makes the other hidden villages burn with envy. In the Sand Village, old Yara studies the report in front of her, fury boiling inside her. Damn the Leaf. Kai and Ember, one day, you'll both pay for this. Meanwhile, Garrick of the Stone Village floats in mid-air, poring over the intelligence his operatives have gathered on me this past year. The key details have all been sealed away by Solen? Yes, sir. The stone operative kneels and nods. Ember's strength truly is remarkable. This boy cannot be allowed to live. As the one at the center of all this attention, I feel no pride at all. Because over this past year, I've also managed to sneak in a pat on Corvin's head. Corvin is normally buried in work, leaving early and coming home late, so chances to see him are rare. But this time, I finally caught my chance. Ding! Head pat complete. A-rank ninja Corvin, choose 3 of the following rewards. Without hesitation, I go straight for Ashfang swordsmanship, a major physique enhancement, and an S-rank ninja sword. After a full year of real battle experience, I've come to fully understand just how much both power and hidden cards matter. So even though I can't openly wield it, I still decide to master Ashfang swordsmanship. As the reward takes effect, I instantly master the style to perfection, and in my system inventory, a legendary blood-red blade now sits waiting. I draw it out and examine it closely, feeling the cold steel beneath my fingers, and give it a light swing. Instantly, I know. This blade rivals even the legendary White Fang's sword. System, does this sword have a name? Blaze. The system's cool voice echoes in my mind. Blaze, huh? Fits that fiery red blade perfectly. And with the final reward, a major physical enhancement. Applied. My physical abilities now fully match those of an elite Jonin. Feeling the surging power course through me, a deep sense of security fills my heart. But then, one day, I finally received the third A-rank mission of my life. What? Go to the Mist Village? I stare at my master in disbelief, as if he's just told me some wild fantasy. But Soren replies, casual as ever, yeah, the Mizukage succession ceremony is about to begin, and the Mist Village has invited the other 4 great villages to attend. What's wrong? Something bothering you? It's only then that I remember, right now, the Mist Village hasn't yet fallen into the bloody Mist era under Dax's control, and Torin is just about to take his place as Mizukage. I know full well that with my current standing and skill I have no business attending a ceremony like this. The Hokage's real choice for this is Soren, and my master is simply using this chance to bring his student along for the experience, to broaden my horizons. Understanding Soren's thoughtfulness, I quickly agree. Seeing his student's gratitude, Soren gives a knowing smile, and begins arranging the details of the trip. But neither of us knows that back at the root, Warwick is in the middle of an absolute rage. Why him? Why him? Who recommended Soren for this? Warwick rages, helpless and furious, venting his frustration wildly. But once he finally calms down, a sudden thought strikes him. Could Solon be grooming Soren to become the next Hokage? The moment that thought lands, Warwick can no longer hold back his fury. I've given everything for the leaf, and this is how I get treated? Absolutely not. With that, he slowly closes his eyes, as though brewing some dark scheme. As long as Soren can't crack the secret of wood style, he stays untouchable. But if I ruin his reputation instead, strip him of his honor, and leave him with no choice but to serve me, wouldn't that solve everything at once? The thought alone makes Warwick let out a sinister chuckle. Soren, arrogant in his own genius, leads to a mission gone wrong, and the prodigy Ember dies in an unfortunate accident. Ha! Now that's a headline I like. Warwick barks out sharply, pass my orders, get the Roots Intelligence Division moving fast, leak the news that Soren and his student are attending the Mizukage ceremony. One of the Root captains, after hearing this, asks, Sir, should we also leak their exact travel route as well? Warwick shakes his head at that, saying, No need. That would only make it seem too convenient, and no one would buy it. After all, people only believe what they think they've earned through their own effort. And soon, 5 days pass, and Soren and I set off on the road toward the Land of Water. But to my surprise, the moment we leave the village, Soren turns to me. Ember, tell me, how do you think we should get to the Land of Water? I know at once my master is testing me, so after a moment of thought, I give my answer. Soren nods, satisfied. Not bad, you've done your homework, but that's just theory on paper. I look at him confused, not understanding why he'd say that. You've read up on the Land of Water, and that pleases me, but here's what you don't know. Over these past 5 days, word that we're heading to the Mist Village has already spread across the entire shinobi world. My eyes go sharp at that. That's impossible. Every village's delegate is supposed to be top secret. Soren nods, reaching into his ninja pouch to pull out a map of the shinobi world. Regardless, to avoid any trouble on the road, the usual route is out of the question. I've decided we'll go by way of the Land of Iron. Soren's finger taps the spot on the map marking the Land of Iron. It borders the Land of Fire, and it also has a port leading to the Land of Water. I nod, agreeing with Soren's plan. And just to be safe, we also use a transformation jutsu, disguising ourselves as 2 samurai, one older, one younger. The transformation is executed flawlessly. Unless someone has the eyes of a jonin or better, they'd never see through it. And so Soren and I officially set off on the road to the Land of Iron. Meanwhile, in the Tsuchikage's office in the Stone Village, an operative kneels on one knee, waiting for the Tsuchikage's orders. Garrick, honored as Tsuchikage, studies the report in his hands closely. Interesting. Every village keeps its delegate's identity a closely guarded secret, yet now, the Leaf has somehow let theirs slip out into the open. The operative says, could this be bait set by the Leaf themselves? But Garrick shakes his head at that. If that were true, what would they even gain from it? I'm more inclined to think there's a mole inside the Leaf, someone trying to use us to get rid of these 2. The operative asks, startled. Who would dare? After all, Soren was named one of the legendary Sannin by Griffin himself. He's no easy target. But Garrick gives no clear answer, just gazing out at the jagged peaks and winding rivers of the Stone Village. He doesn't want to get his hands dirty, but I'll make sure he ends up covered in mud regardless, and then we'll see if he stays out of it. Also, have Loam get ready. For this Mizukage succession, he'll represent the Stone Village in person. The operative nods in agreement, and soon after, a stream of secret orders flows out from the Tsuchikage's office, and the entire Stone Village moves like a finely tuned machine, springing into action. And the very same thing is playing out in the Sand and Cloud villages as well. However, the Mist Village, as the host, is the one exception. Right now, the Mist Village has completely broken from its old isolationist ways, and Torin, the incoming 4th Mizukage, though he hasn't officially taken office yet, is already handling official business from the Mizukage's office ahead of time. Lord Mizukage, here is a report, please take a look. Elder Marin, the most respected elder in the Mist Village, hands Torin the report with her aged, weathered hands. Torin skims through it quickly, then looks at Elder Marin. So then, the Leaf's delegates are very likely to become everyone's target. Elder Marin nods slowly. Exactly. Soren and Ember made an enemy of the Sand a year ago, so the Sand will likely seize this chance to strike. And knowing Garrick's crafty, opportunistic nature, he won't pass up a slice of this either. Torin sets down the report and falls into deep thought. He knows this whole situation is a test of his capabilities as the incoming Mizukage, and if he handles it poorly, it could have serious repercussions. After a moment's thought, Torin speaks slowly. Soren and Ember cannot come to harm, at least not on our soil, in the land of water, or it'll seriously damage the Mist Village's reputation. Elder Marin nods with satisfaction, then asks, "So what do you propose?" Torin answers decisively. "Under the pretext of security, seal off part of the harbor, and send out the 7 ninja swordsmen to meet them and escort them in." Hearing this, Elder Marin hesitates. Isn't that a bit much? But seeing that the Mizukage's mind is made up, she doesn't press the matter further. Yet as she turns to leave, she adds one more thing. Should we consider, once they leave the Mist Village, eliminating them ourselves? After all, this is the perfect chance to weaken the Leaf. Torin, hearing this, gives a quiet nod. And just like that, every hidden village, all at the same moment, springs into motion. Meanwhile, across the land of iron, fierce winds howl, and snow falls thick and heavy. 2 figures make their way toward the capital of the land of iron, none other than Soren and me. Because of the detour, a trip that should have taken 10 days to reach the land of fire's port has already dragged on for half a month. But after pushing on for another half day, braving the heavy snowfall, we finally catch sight of the land of iron's capital. But right at the city gate, 2 units of samurai stand guard, inspecting everyone entering the city. These are unusual times, so please state your identity clearly and submit to inspection. If you are a shinobi, declare it now or you will be treated as a hostile, the lead samurai calls out loudly. He can afford to speak with such confidence thanks to the land of iron's renowned samurai lineage and their formidable strength, as well as the country's unique status of neutrality. And at that moment, standing in line among the crowd, I whisper, "Master, what should we do?" Soren glances ahead at the checkpoint, where the samurai are using a special chakra detection device, scanning each person as they pass. If it picks up any fluctuation of shinobi chakra, the device sounds an alarm at once. Interesting. I don't recall this checkpoint being here before. Soren thinks for a moment, then replies in his hoarse voice, "Even I can't be certain I could slip past that device unnoticed, but revealing our true identities now would only make us targets, so we need to sneak in instead." I understand at once, without needing another word. Then Soren raises a hand and points, a nearly imperceptible thread of chakra slipping into the shadow of some unlucky bystander currently being checked. The moment the device screeches its sharp alarm, both units of samurai draw their blades instantly. "Don't move! Cease all resistance now!" The lead samurai steps forward at once, subduing the terrified, dumbfounded man on the spot. After a thorough pat-down, they discover the man is just an ordinary civilian. Strange. Could the device be malfunctioning? The lead samurai mutters, puzzled. Once the whole commotion is quickly resolved, with the samurai keeping order, the gate returns once more to its usual routine. But no one notices that 2 people who had been waiting in line are now strolling casually through the gate. Walking through the streets of the capital, Soren lets out a soft chuckle. I ask, "What's so funny, master?" Soren glances back toward the gate. "I'm laughing at the samurai's lack of foresight and the governor's lack of wisdom. They've come to rely on that machine far too much." I nod in agreement. After all, even a simple shinobi trick can easily fool even the strongest of samurai. But just then, unexpectedly, another squad of well-armed samurai appears, patrolling the streets in full gear. And their leader, somehow, I recognize him. He's dressed in finely forged iron armor, bandages wrapped around his head. It's Dorian, the man who will one day preside over the 5 Kage summit. Seeing the legendary Dorian personally leading a patrol, I can't help but feel puzzled. But in the moment I'm lost in thought, Soren has already walked into a tea house, striking up a conversation with an elderly man in just a few words. After a bit of small talk, Soren casually slips in his real question. "Sir, do you happen to know why security's so tight around here lately?" "Ah, you must be new in town, you'd best be careful. 5 days ago an outsider was found dead in an inn, and ever since that day more outsiders keep dying. The whole city's in an uproar over it, so much so that Lord Dorian himself is now overseeing the investigation." At that point I step forward too, pouring tea for the 2 of them, playing the polite servant, then ask, "Is there something strange about these cases? Why haven't they cracked it, after investigating this long?" The old man takes a sip of tea, glancing at me. "Young man, you have no idea. This whole thing is downright eerie. Every time it happens, the innkeeper's right there at the entrance, yet swears no one ever walked in. Every victim's killed with a single strike, and there's not a trace of struggle in the room. Now tell me that's not eerie." Hearing this, Soren's eyes narrow slightly, thinking to himself, to an ordinary person, or even a samurai, this would seem downright bizarre, but to a shinobi, it's practically routine. Once we've gathered the useful details, Soren leads me out of the tea house. I look at Soren, buzzing with excitement, the detective spirit inside me already blazing to life. But Soren sees the excitement written all over my face, and shuts it down without mercy. "Don't even think about it, we're here on a mission, not to play detective." I purse my lips, grudgingly conceding the point. Without wasting any more time, Soren leads me straight toward the land of Iron's harbor. Though the land of Iron is blanketed in snow year-round, frozen for miles in every direction, a warm current passing through the harbor keeps it ice-free all year long. But as the 2 of us cross the entire capital and arrive at the harbor, we're met with unexpected news. "Truly sorry, gentlemen, but due to a once-in-a-century blizzard, the ferry to the land of water is temporarily suspended. It may reopen in about 3 days. Our apologies for the inconvenience." After hearing this bad news, Soren has no choice but to lead me back into the capital. Well, this must be exactly what you wanted. Soren pats my shoulder, then adds seriously, still, we should stay cautious. Not that I'm worried, but I'd rather not invite any unnecessary trouble. I nod, fully agreeing with Soren's caution. The two of us then head back into the heart of the city, looking for an inn to stay at. Little do we know, the moment we'd arrived at the harbor, two pairs of eyes were already locked onto us. Now, inside the inn, for the sake of safety, Soren books us a shared room. After settling in and getting cleaned up, night falls deep and dark. I lie down on the soft bed, my eyelids growing heavier by the second. Noticing how exhausted I am, Soren says, "Get some rest, I'll keep watch tonight." Too tired to argue, I give in without protest, and drift into a deep sleep. Soren, meanwhile, sits quietly with his eyes closed, resting to recover his strength. Because of the recent string of murders, the entire capital is now under curfew, so once night falls, everything around us falls completely silent. But just then, without warning, a thin line of blood suddenly appears, eerily, across Soren's throat, and with a heavy thud, Soren's corpse collapses to the floor. Having taken down one target in the darkness, an invisible ninja slowly advances toward me, still fast asleep, the kunai in his hand rising slowly. But then, in the very next instant, a razor-sharp flash of steel cuts through the air, and the hand gripping that kunai is sliced clean off. He's invisible. The ninja can no longer maintain his invisibility jutsu, and his scream of pain jolts me awake. Hearing an unfamiliar voice, I spring up from the bed in an instant, a finely crafted kunai already in my hand. In the blink of an eye, I'm already in a fighting stance. As the room's lights suddenly flick on, the bright glow reveals 4 figures in the room. Me, alert on the bed, Dorian, blade in hand, the attacker now missing a hand, and Soren, arms crossed, watching it all unfold. Soren claps a few times, looking over at Dorian, the land of Iron's finest swordsman, living up to every bit of the reputation. Dorian sheathes his blade slowly, still eyeing me and Soren warily. "You two are Soren and Ember, aren't you? Why go around hiding your true identities?" Seeing that Dorian has seen through our disguise so easily, my chest tightens for a moment. But what he says next puts our worries to rest. Hiding your identities, sneaking into the city, heading straight for the harbor the moment you arrived, with the land of water as your destination. The only ones who fit that profile are the Leafs delegates, whose identities were just leaked, Soren and Ember. Hearing this, Soren gives a small smile, neither confirming nor denying it. Dorian continues, "The two of you caused quite a stir at the gate, which technically puts you in the wrong already, but I'd like to ask Lord Soren for a small favor. Do that, and we'll let the gate incident slide. How does that sound?" I roll my eyes at that. This is the first time I've ever heard someone make asking for a favor sound like the most natural thing in the world. Soren thinks it over for a moment, then nods, saying, "Go on. What is it?" Dorian's gaze sharpens, a menacing air rolling off him. "I need to find these ninjas' hideout and make sure every one of them dies." Soren smiles faintly at that. "Funny, that's exactly what I had in mind." With that, he turns to me, instructing me, "Ember, you stay here and hold the fort. Make sure you keep a close eye on this one." Soren and Dorian turn and head out, off to hunt down the attacker's hideout. I don't let my guard down for a second either, rigging the entire room with traps, and marking both the room and the attacker himself with flying thunder god markers, leaving absolutely nothing to chance. But by the time I finish all this, the attacker has already passed, out from blood loss. Using medicine, I keep just enough life in him to hang on, then pat his head. Ding, head pat complete, A rank ninja. Rewards, mid-tier or below, choose 3. Seeing the camouflage concealment jutsu on the reward list, I'm genuinely stunned. This technique is incredibly rare, because the only time it ever appeared in the original story was during the Kanabi Bridge mission, where a Stone Village Jonin used it to pull off a devastating ambush, and even managed to wound Kai. And keep in mind, that was right after Kai had just become a Jonin, an invisibility technique that even a Jonin couldn't detect is worth its weight in gold. And that also explains why this particular ninja was able to slip into inns undetected, again and again, to carry out his killings. I pull my thoughts back into focus, studying the reward list carefully, and pick out 2 crucial pieces of information. First, this ninja definitely didn't come alone. To pinpoint exactly where Soren and I were staying without either of us noticing would be impossible without a serious intelligence network behind it. And second, this organization will almost certainly try again, because no organization would willingly write off the loss of a Jonin. Looking at it this way, this easy job of staying behind is actually loaded with danger. I stroke my chin, muttering to myself, and judging by these rewards, the odds are pretty high this group is tied to the Stone Village, given how many Earth-style jutsu just showed up on the list. With that thought, I don't rush to claim the rewards. Instead, I immediately reinforce the defensive traps. Once I've finished perfecting every trap in the room, only then do I start choosing my rewards. I pick Splitting Earth Palm, the Camouflage Concealment, Jutsu, and a moderate physique enhancement. Rewards granted. As the system's cold mechanical voice sounds off, that familiar wave of pain floods through my body once again. By now it's well past midnight, and I keep a careful eye on the unconscious Reeve, while activating simplified Sage mode at the same time, staying constantly on guard for anything nearby. Faintly I can make out the sounds of a fight coming from not far away, most likely Soren and Dorian, leading their forces to wipe out the attacker's base. But just then, something suddenly shifts. I sense it clearly. 5 figures abruptly enter the edge of my awareness. Enemies incoming. The thought hits me instantly, and I snap into a defensive stance. The intruders, too, realize they've been detected, but they don't rush into action. 4 of them dart swiftly to the 4 corners of the inn and shout in unison, "Earth-style, trembling ground!" And then chakra pours out of all 4 like a waterfall, and the entire inn, along with the ground around it, begins sinking straight down. It feels like the world's caving in, and I fight with everything I have to keep my footing. But when I glance out the window, I see the entire inn has been swallowed and walled in by earth, and from a quick assessment, the depth we've dropped to is clearly too deep to simply climb out of. Not to mention 4 ninjas still standing guard above, making escape impossible without beating them first. But right at that moment, without warning, a 5th ninja registers in my senses, quietly searching through the inn, and quickly zeroing in on my location. He kicks my door clean off its hinges with brutal force, but in the very next instant a burst of fire and a deafening explosion tear through the air. I glance toward the doorway, where I'd planted 50 explosive tags earlier, and the arrogant Jonin, caught square in the blast, loses both legs, his whole body scorched and burned, left barely clinging to life on the floor. I have no intention of leaving him alive, though. After all, keeping just one Jonin captive is already stretching my limits. I quickly pat his head, then finish him off with a kunai, without a shred of hesitation. To prepare for the fight still ahead, I decide to sustain myself through battle itself. Skimming quickly through the head pat rewards, I choose a minor physique enhancement and 2 ninjutsu techniques. As the rewards take effect immediately, I can feel my strength climb yet again, but I don't let my guard down for a second, because I know full well the real battle has only just begun. Meanwhile, the 4 Jonin guarding the surface, sensing their comrade's death, say nothing more. They drop down into the pit at once. I move fast, leaving the room without hesitation, dragging Reeve out to an open patch of street outside. The 4 Jonin land in front of me in an instant, dropping into fighting stances. Looking at the 4 of them, every alarm bell in my head goes off. Every one of these Jonin wears the same Stone Village uniform, faces set in cold, murderous focus, shielding Reeve silently behind me. I know a full-scale clash is about to break loose. Without a moment's hesitation, all 4 Stone Jonin charge straight at me. But as the gap between us keeps closing, I stay completely calm. A specially crafted, finely made kunai appearing in my hand in an instant. I channel all my strength into my right arm and swing hard, sending the kunai streaking forward like lightning, straight toward the 4 stone ninjas. But that's not the whole plan. My hands flash through hand seals, activating a jutsu I've had since the moment I arrived in this world, one I've never dared to use until now, the Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. The single lonely kunai instantly multiplies into 10, 10 into 100, 100 into 1,000, a black storm of kunai raining down like a wall of steel, hurtling toward all 4 of them. The stone ninjas never see it coming. Even though they'd taken every precaution, none of them expected that this boy in front of them would open the fight with power this overwhelming. Truth is, I'm not doing so well either. A jutsu burning through this much chakra in a single burst leaves me without enough left to unleash anything else right away. But this sky full of kunai is more than enough to give these Jonin a serious problem. Faced with this, the 4 exchange a quick glance, then flash through hand seals in unison. Earth-style Great Mud Wall. Even after already using Trembling Ground on such a massive scale, they still have chakra to spare. And in an instant, a wall dozens of times larger than a standard mud wall shoots up in front of the 4 of them, swallowing every last kunai. Staring at the kunai buried deep in the earthen wall, a chill runs through all 4 of them. We need to end this fast. But what they don't know is that every single kunai lodged in that wall is now marked with my Flying Thunder God seal. At that moment, the sounds of fighting that had been echoing all around us begin to fade, signaling that Soren and Dorian's mission is drawing to a close, and the 4 Jonin's expressions turn grim. Desperate to finish this quickly, they flash through hand seals fast, and slam their palms against the ground, pouring every last drop of chakra into the earth in front of them. Earth-style, splitting earth palm. The moment the words leave their mouths, I feel it instantly. The ground beneath my feet seems to come alive, shaking violently. I don't dare push my luck, and immediately channel my chakra, activating the Flying Thunder God technique. With a flash of crimson light, in the blink of an eye, the ground surges inward and crushes together, like some kind of grinding machine, shredding through everything caught in its range. Caught in the aftershock of splitting earth palm's brutal quake, the 4 stone Jonin let out a slow breath, certain there's no way I could have survived an attack that devastating. But reality has other plans. With the sharp ring of a blade sliding free from its sheath, the massive mud wall, the very thing that had given them such confidence, now bears a massive handprint gouged straight through it. With a thunderous crash, that colossal earthen wall is split clean in 2, as a figure steps slowly through the gap. I stand there, my left hand gripping a Flying Thunder God kunai in reverse hold, my right hand wielding a blade that gleams a deep, blood-red blaze. Seeing the cold, merciless intent written across my face, the lead stone Jonin's face turns ashen white. He can't understand it. Facing an attack as devastating as splitting earth palm, one that would have killed any Jonin instantly, how could this kid possibly walk out without so much as a scratch, and still have enough strength left to cleave through their earthen wall? But years of field experience remind him, don't waste time asking why, just figure out what to do next. So he quickly reads the situation and moves to plan C. The moment the order is given, 3 of the Jonin draw their kunai, ready to fight it out with me hand to hand. The 3 of them close in fast and we clash in a fierce exchange of blows. I know full well that even with my physique boosted again and again through countless enhancements, taking on 3 Jonin at once is still going to be a brutal fight. But with Ashfang's swordsmanship backing me up, things change entirely. I tighten my grip on the blade in my hand, the techniques of Ashfang's swordsmanship flowing through my mind. With every step forward, another enemy falls. Amid the ringing clash of steel on steel, I slice through the last enemy's neck. But right at that moment, a sudden thought jolts me. Wait, that's only 3 Jonin. Where's the 4th? I whip around, and there he is. The Stone Squad's captain, using the precious time his teammates had bought him with their lives, already standing right in front of Reeve. Facing his former comrade, he drives his kunai forward, cold and merciless, intent on silencing him for good, making sure no information ever gets out. Not on my watch. I push my chakra to its absolute limit, and right then, the Flying Thunder God marker I'd planted on Reeve earlier proves its worth once again. The Stone Captain's head is severed in a single strike. But there's no victory in this for me, because at the same moment Reeve's body slumps down too. In that final instant, though I managed to take the captain's head, his kunai had already found its mark. And now, I'm left standing alone in the open lot outside the inn. That's when Soren's teasing voice suddenly rings out from above the pit. Well now, was it really that brutal a fight? Standing right beside him is Dorian, expression as stern as ever. Neither of them looks too worse for wear, though both are streaked with dust and blood that isn't their own. Leaving the samurai to handle the aftermath, in a quiet corner away from prying eyes, Dorian, Soren, and I stand in silence, exchanging looks. So, what did the 2 of you make of who these attackers were? Dorian speaks first, breaking the silence. I believe they were stone ninjas. Both their uniforms and their jutsu were a near-perfect match for the stone village's style. With the system backing up my read on this, I speak up with confidence. Soren nods along with that. That was our first impression too, but once we reached their hideout, it looked almost too much like the stone village's work. Dorian picks up the thread. But if it really was the stone village behind this, why not bother disguising it at all? That question throws me for a loop too, because it sounds exactly like one of those, you predicted my prediction of your prediction jokes, the kind that ties your brain in knots. The real question is, how many layers deep does this deception go? Soren says evenly, looking at their intelligence, it only goes as deep as information that's already common knowledge among the major villages, which points more toward a base disguised to look like the stone villages. The 3 of us mull it over a bit longer, but without any fresh leads. This mystery is essentially unsolvable for now. So Dorian finally says, either way, you 2 being attacked on land of iron soil falls on me. I'll draft a full report myself and send it to the Leaf Village. Soren nods, accepting that as a reasonable way to handle it. And with that, the matter is settled, at least for now. In the days that follow, Soren and I take the time to properly recover in the land of iron. Soon, 3 days later, the ferry that had been halted by the weather resumes its regular schedule. It's finally time for Soren and me to move on. But just as we're about to board the ship, Soren, without so much as changing his expression, taps me lightly on the shoulder, murmuring, 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Without giving anything away, I glance toward those 2 directions and sure enough, spot 2 separate groups. And the moment my gaze lands on them, they notice me at exactly the same instant. It's now painfully clear. Our cover was blown long before we ever got here.